Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
The moment of truth has arrived.
If you think you have anything other than a split second in this game right now, you're kidding yourself.
He's all to play for. Every single bloke has stood up.
They are leaving nothing out there.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on earth.
Welcome to ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
From 55, side-bottom, launches, goal! The Craze Magpies are on top of the AFL world. They win a spellbinding game of footy. Collingwood are previous.
This is ABC Sport.
The umpire holds the footy up.
You want your very best players having the ball in the moments that matter.
Take your moment. This is that moment.
Something's in the air. Listen to the roar.
Feel a different energy.
The pressure's certainly gone up.
Feel it on your skin.
Punches the air with the right hand.
Feel the electricity.
That's why we love football.
Brilliant to watch. Stand by. The arms are outstretched as he pumps his chest out.
Fill your lungs. Are you ready for it?
Wherever you are, do not move.
We're going the full journey.
'Cause here it comes.
This is the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
From outside 50, goes bang with everything he's got.
Former bad boy looking to redeem himself with kicks like that.
Something big is coming.
One step nonchalant banana finish. Wow. Charlie Cameron snaps. Goal.
Something big is coming.
Hey Siri, play John Denver.
AFL.
From deep in the pocket. Oh, that is amazing.
Fill your lungs. Are you ready for it?
This guy wants to add home on the biggest stage.
And Gordon can finish from 35. Oh, Harold.
It's there.
Superb finish.
What a hanger.
He joins the party.
Works through the goal. Oh, what a moment.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
There's nothing this man can't do. Rioli with some magic. The check side finish. He seizes the moment. Stolen. Snapped it. Over his shoulder. He's kicked an absolute ripper.
Spins around and buries it.
Lightning speed, Bobby Hill. He's Bobby Thrill.
This is just football at its best.
Weaves around an opponent and gets a brilliant goal.
Gathers. Snaps. He'll bring the house down. Time to steady. And pull the trigger. Right foot drop punt is pure. We're not done yet.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season on radio, Sport Digital, and take us with you on the ABC Listener. Just look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming. I know.
A chance to improve the ledger to 2 wins and 1 loss for the winner of either Essendon or St Kilda as a continuing promising start to season 2024 as round 3 of the AFL continues on ABC Sport. Great to have your company for Saturday afternoon footy. Matt Clinch with you. The Saints with a famous win over Collingwood last week by 15 points, but the win came at a loss. Losing Mason Wood out for a month with a collarbone injury and concussion. Liam Henry out for 6 weeks and Max King through suspension after losing in round 1 to Geelong by 8 points. Well, the Bombers, they defeated Hawthorn back in round 1 by 24 points before losing to Sydney by 30 points. That also had a bit of a toll to it with Peter Wright out for 4 weeks. Darcy Parish returns for his first game of 2024 and Mason Redmond returns following suspension. There is one late change as the teams make their way out to Docklands for their warm-ups, with Harrison Jones coming in for the Bombers this afternoon. So off the emergency list, he will replace Will Setterfield. And the subs for the Bombers this afternoon is Nick Hine, and on debut for the Saints, Angus Hastie. Lauren Borden to call the action alongside me. Happy Easter to you, Loz. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Clinchy. Happy Easter to you as well, and everyone else along this long weekend, probably just tuning in to a little bit of footy or listening on as they've got some family events. But it's lovely to be here at Docklands for both of these two sides. First game here as well, both tenants at Docklands, but here for their first game of the season so far. So interested to see how both these clubs go. I know St Kilda beat Collingwood. It was impressive, but as you mentioned, they've lost a few players out of that and they've got a growing injury list. So I'd just like to see a little bit more from St Kilda and see what they can produce against Essendon, who we know have just had that one win against Hawthorn, but looked good and showed some good signs last week against Sydney. Yeah, it's a good point. The Bombers in their second season under Brad Scott. The expectations are they want to return to finals. Don't have to run the numbers to too many Essendon fans who know that it's been 19 years since they featured in a finals win. Well, the Saints, they managed to get into September last year but lost in the first round. The elimination final against GWS. So Ross Lyon looking to build year on year to try and get the Saints back into contention and fighting for their second premiership.
So if you are out on the road or you're travelling across this Easter weekend, please make sure you take care. But great to hear so many of you on the SMS with Corbin and Ben, 0437 774 774 if you want to let us know where you're listening from or a thought or two on the match coming up later on this afternoon. The Australian Football Hall of Fame member, the St Kilda champion over 300 games, Nathan Burke is here and ready to go. Welcome to you, Burkey.
Hello, Clinchy and Loz. Happy Easter, everybody. The Clinchy got a bit of chocolate and chin still.
Thank you.
A bit, but I hope everyone's sitting at home listening to us getting stuck into the eggs.
How much chocolate is too much? Anyway, we'll pose that question a little bit later. It's great to have one of the modern-day players join us once more. Injured, unfortunately, Hawthorn forward. Chad Wingard is with us, two-time All-Australian, John Cahill medalist. We're talking about your career as representing Australia in the international rules before we came on air. Chad, welcome to you. Thanks for coming to join us.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Yes, we're talking about international rules. Obviously, Merritt was part of that team as well.
Yes.
So looking forward to this game. Obviously, two teams that are very fast-paced, and obviously from Marvel Stadium, it suits both these clubs. Both historically play very well here, so I'm really looking forward to, obviously, a clean day of footy. See that both teams are very skillful, so hopefully a high-scoring game. And yeah, looking forward to see which team comes on top.
Yeah, under the roof of Docklands, which is closed, I think we're going to have a fast match, which might make for an entertaining contest. Training for you this morning. Obviously, the Hawks don't play until Easter Monday, so it is a long wait for some players until they get their chance to play for the weekend. How'd you go? How was training this morning?
Yes, training's done, so Easter eggs for me, that's for sure. Boys will have to wait till after Monday so they can have some hot cross buns. But yeah, training went well this morning. We had our main session. We have it always 2 days before our game, so I was lucky enough that I got to do the whole session, tracking really well. The boys are obviously very fired up after last week, and yeah, looking forward to bounce back against Geelong. So obviously it's going to be a good game. Hopefully we can obviously bring that intensity and bring the Hawthorn style which people love to watch and play.
Does it take away from your Easter, your long weekend, when you have to wait all weekend to play your game on Monday?
Yeah, it's definitely strange. Obviously, moving over to Hawthorn is something I've never experienced playing on a Monday. But you also get to watch all the games that have happened prior, and you can probably pick up on some trends. Obviously, our VFL boys played the Geelong today, so we kind of can see what they've done, how we can. Obviously, we won today, Box Hill, so we can see what they've done well, so we can emulate that into our. Obviously, both teams are both VFL, AFL listed clubs, and majority of our game styles are very similar. So we can obviously review them, they'll review us, and hopefully they can help us obviously get an edge again on Monday. So obviously 2 days to review that game as well.
It's great to have Chad Wingard with us for Saturday afternoon footy. Yes or no answers? Hot cross buns?
Yes, with butter.
With butter, yeah, I'm with you on there.
With fruit? Always got to have the raisins, or are you a chocolate?
If you really treat yourself, you had the chocolate, but we'll stick with the raisins.
Yeah, no, I'm hot cross buns all the way. How much chocolate have you had by Saturday?
Oh, if I'm not playing, I've probably had an extra couple.
What about just
probably,
this
I
weekend?
reckon a handful.
Handful. Nathan Burke? Hot cross buns?
No, body's a temple, mate. I don't partake in those sorts of things.
Walking the beaches of Sandringham, no chocolate eggs for you before...
With my shirt off. I
just
walk my
bicep
shirt
curls
off.
There's an image for all the ladies out there and the listeners tuning in. So no to hot cross buns and no to chocolate.
No, yes to both. And, microwave hot cross buns, not toasted.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Okay.
Big cool.
What about for you, Loz?
Yeah, like hot cross buns. I used to never eat the ones with raisins when I was younger, and now big fan. They've got to have the raisins, always butter and toasted.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Hot cross buns, warmed up, butter, delicious.
Yep.
I've had more hot cross buns than I've had chocolate Easter eggs, but we've got a long weekend, so I may get them closer to parity by the end of the weekend. We're going to get a chance to head inside the Essendon camp in a few moments' time. Jordan Ridley is going to drop past the injured Bombers defender for a chat, and we'll also take you inside the St Kilda camp with Brendan Goddard, a former member of our ABC team. We'll catch up with BJ ahead of the clash this afternoon. But, Berkey, who would you prefer to be in this scenario? Both sides are missing key forwards. Peter Wright missing from an Essendon side of things. Max King missing from a Saints side of things. You probably feel like St Kilda are just that little bit further in terms of their progression, but the Bombers are desperate to get back to finals.
Yeah, it's really, really even, this one. The thing that probably puts Essendon in front on the scale of ins and outs is Parrish and Redmond coming back in, where the Saints haven't really got a Parrish or Redmond coming back into this side. They've sort of filled in the gaps. The three players that were going out certainly couldn't be replaced. So I think it's a bit of a tick in Essendon's column in terms of the ins and outs, but I'm looking down the list of players on both sides. It's very, very even, this contest. It's hard to pick a winner. Caminetti coming in for the Saints, I actually don't mind that. A young fella in his second season, played 18 games last year, kicked 19 goals, and who would have thought last year that Caminetti, Owens and Philippou would hold down the Saints forward line for the majority of the season. It's good to see those young three sort of reunited again today and see what they can do. So even though Max King's not there, I'm quite excited with what that forward line can deliver.
Yeah, Darcy Parish has had a really good record against the Bombers, so he'll be keen to continue with that in his first game for the season. Well, great to have your company on ABC Sports Saturday afternoon footy. A man who would love to be out there is unfortunately with us in the commentary box, Jordan Ridley, the Essendon defender who finished 5th in their best and fairest last year, but he can join us ahead of the match this afternoon, the Bombers taking on the Saints. Jordan, thanks for coming up to our commentary box, and we're not seeing you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Not seeing me today, unfortunately, but hopefully next week. But obviously got to tick off all the protocols throughout the week, so we'll see how we go. So
from your point of view, it was a quad injury, wasn't it, that you happened in the pre-season game?
Yeah, a little quad, similar to last year's injury, but nowhere near as severe this time. Thank God for that.
So how do you go watching? 1 win, 1 loss. Obviously the side trying to get an early promising start to 2024.
Yeah, it's been an interesting start. I probably felt like we took more of a step forward in our win than in our loss than our win. To be honest, thought it was obviously a really fiery game last week, but I thought the way the boys went about the contest and the contested side of the game was really good.
Jordan, welcome, mate. You've got a couple of old fellas, Goldstein coming in. We talk about recruits, who are most excited about recruits, but Goldstein coming in. I wouldn't call Gresham an old fella or Dursman an old fella, but certainly the players from other clubs coming in have had a real impact, probably more so with you guys than a lot of other teams have brought in players from other clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all 4 of those guys with Buckets Mackay as well have been super. I think Goldie's probably the one that's probably surprised me the most. He still runs around like he's 25, so he's looking really good. But in their own way, I think they've played some really important roles for us over the last couple of weeks and will continue to do so.
And at the other end of the scale, the young fellas, for the Essendon listeners out there, which of those young fellas are you most excited about? Is there one that stands out, you go, yeah, this kid's going to be good?
There's a few. I think obviously a lot's been made of Nate Caddy, young key forward. He's looking the goods. As a defender, though, I'm very biased towards my backs and really like the look of Zach Reid, even though he's probably not as young as some of the other fellas. He's obviously had a career marred by injury so far, but once he can get out in the park, I think he'll be a star.
And when you come back, does Ben Mackay take the key forward and you can get the more mobile guy and run up the field a little bit more?
I think so. I think it'll probably change a bit week to week and probably within play as well, depending on where we are. It'll change a bit too, but I'm really looking forward to playing hopefully a lot of footy with Ben.
And just speaking on a couple of the new boys, obviously you played us Hawthorn and took us to the sword a little bit in the first round, but I was really impressed with Gresh. I thought his energy around the ball, could you probably explain a little bit of how much his impact, obviously coming to a new club, it's pretty impactful what he's done, but obviously he didn't have a day out numbers wise, but I thought just his ability to, do you think he still obviously has that energy and creates that, I suppose, dangerous small forward for you guys up there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even from playing on him throughout pre-season at training, I noticed how just difficult he was to play on. He's a really interesting matchup, very balanced, very skillful, and I think his first 2 weeks have been fantastic. I think he's really creative down there, and certainly I'm glad he's on our team now and I don't have to play against him anymore.
Oh, that's good.
And what about Nick Cox? Would you prefer seeing him then in defence? Obviously, he's played a bit there, a bit forward. What do you think, Jordan?
Look, I've got no idea. He's called the unicorn around the club, and you can probably see why. He's obviously got a massive tank, and I think he's 200 centimetres or something ridiculous. So, to be honest, I've got no idea where his best position is. I think he can be a really good player in any of the 3 parts of the ground. To be honest, I don't think he knows where his best position is either. But I'd love to have him down back if that's where he settles or on the wing.
Essendon defender Jordan Ridley is with you on ABC Sport. There was a bit made around Brad Scott's comments around the Essendon edge. I guess with clubs trying to have a mantra or a catchphrase, a way in which they'd like to play. In your eyes, what is the Essendon edge?
Yeah, I think it's probably something that's not necessarily too different to what every club tries to go after. It's for us, it's just about being really uncompromising and aggressive in the contest. But I think, to be honest, with all 18 in the teams in the competition, that's probably an approach they're taking and looking to take into games. But in saying that, I think we've really done that quite well over the first 2 rounds, and we'll be looking to build on that.
You have had a couple of players suspended, though. Peter Wright, probably a slightly different set of circumstances. Mason Redman, is it a delicate line to make sure you're not overzealous in your attempt to try and be aggressive at the contest and the game?
Yeah, I think it certainly is a delicate line. I think, as Brad sort of said during the week, we still want all of our actions to be in control, and we want to be in control of the contest and the contested ball. So, it's certainly a fine line, but one that we'll get right in time.
And do you feel any of that pressure to make finals? It's been 20 years. I know Will Setterfield kind of said sometimes you feel like the clock's ticking. Brad Scott hasn't said as much as that. Do you feel like there's a bit of time that's ticking now to make it into the finals?
I think personally, no different to any other year. I think I'm a very optimistic person, so every year that I've played so far, I've been really optimistic about our chances to make finals, and trying to do that every year and do as much damage as we can within that. So hopefully we do make it this year.
In the aspirations to get back into finals, Zach Merritt feels like a player who's very much tried to lead by example. Can you give our listeners an insight as to what he's like week to week at the club and trying to instill those standards on the playing group?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Zach's obviously he's a superstar. I think since he's been a captain, his game's certainly gone to another level. I think probably something that may be underappreciated sort of in the greater field of AFL is just how good of a defensive midfielder he is as well. He's an elite tackler, elite chase pressure. We love that about him, and I certainly love having him lead our team.
And Jake Kelly plays his 150th game today. Obviously, he spoke about playing in a grand final with the Adelaide Crows, and it's taken a long time to try and get back to finals. What can you tell us about his pathway to joining the Bombers?
Yeah, Jake's he's a super person, first and foremost, but also out there he's just an absolute workhorse. He's probably one of the best in-game runners that I've actually come across in my time, and just a fierce competitor down there as well. So whether he's sort of down back or on the wing, sort of similar to Coxie, I love playing with him.
He signed a long-term contract agreement as well. So you were signed to 2026, now signed to 2029. So your future is in safe hands.
Yeah, it was really exciting for me just to have sort of that security, and I've certainly loved my time at the club so far, so great to be able to continue that.
Do you have a role today in watching the game?
Not really, just sort of, I'll work a little bit with the backs coach, but nothing sort of set in stone. I'll just sort of sit out there, and if I say anything, I'll mention it to him. And
fingers crossed, Port Adelaide next Friday night for Gather Round. Are you half a chance?
I'm hoping so, yeah. I still a couple of things to tick off over the next week, but fingers crossed that that's the game I'm back for.
Great to see you, Jordan. Hopefully you're back out on the park next week. Thanks for coming up to the commentary box.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Yes, and an injured defender, Jordan Ridley, joining us on ABC Sport in the lead-up to the Bombers taking on the Saints. Are around 31 minutes away from the opening bounces. Round 3 of the AFL continues. The winners so far this weekend, Collingwood by 20 points back on Thursday night over the Brisbane Lions. The Blues, too strong for North Melbourne by 56 points, and Fremantle winners by 35 points over the Adelaide Crows from the west. So still to come tonight, it's Port Adelaide and Melbourne from the Adelaide Oval. We'll take you there at the completion of this match. Matt Clinch alongside Lauren Borden to call the action. Andrew Mays down on the boundary. Chad Wingard and Nathan Burke are your experts this afternoon on ABC Sport. Great crowd in attendance yesterday, Burkey. I think it was 51,000 for the super clash between the Blues and North Melbourne. And Imogen, the young girl from the Royal Children's Hospital, I don't know, we probably didn't get to hear it on radio, but her little, as she tossed the coin with Jai Simpkin and Paddy Cripps and said, "Good luck, Jai, go Roos." And that sort of beautifully summed up everything for the Good Friday appeal and what you'd hope the day would be with a game of footy involved.
Absolutely. So it was 40 something here?
Yep.
And there was 51 over there, so great crowds. And then you've got a sellout in Brisbane on a Thursday night, so I think that's probably the way to go from now on. Good Friday, let's play one in the afternoon, one at night, and spread the others out over the weekend. I think finally, after all these years, we've settled on a good model.
51,000 in Perth for Fremantle and Adelaide, 47,500 at Docklands for Carlton and North Melbourne. So they weren't two of the greatest games of footy, but I think the occasion will continue to build, especially with North Melbourne and Carlton, and the possibly there with the Roos looking to climb their way up the ladder, that if Nick Larkey and Jacob Wiedering is anything to go on, there might be some good rivalries there between the fullback and the full forward. Your old side, Chad, Port Adelaide in action tonight against Melbourne. What's been, I don't know how much of Port Adelaide you've seen, but what's been your read on the power and having been beaten in straight sets last year?
Yeah, obviously they haven't had probably challenge just yet. They've obviously played Richmond last week and obviously had Eagles round 1. Big challenge. Obviously the midfield battle I think is obviously going to be pretty impressive. It's almost like the speed versus the power. Like, obviously you got the young bulls, I suppose, of Port Adelaide, who are very quick in and out. Then you've obviously got the Melbourne guys who are a bit more stocky, I suppose a bit more stronger, you would say, by the eye. And obviously you've got Gorney, who's obviously been in great form. So it's going to be a great game. Adelaide Oval, though, Port Adelaide are pretty hard to beat there. I think the crowd are going to come in full force. It's going to be obviously an absolute ripper. Obviously Boki's going to have his 351, but it's his at their home deck, obviously last week being away, so they're going to obviously have a big celebration for him on his home deck as well. So yeah, going to be a great game. I think it's going to be, it's probably one of the games of the round. I think it's an unbelievable game, so I'm really looking forward to that.
And Melbourne obviously lose Stephen May with some broken ribs, but the expectation is he might be back in a couple of weeks. Jack Lever has been named at this stage, despite not playing the large portion of the second half with a knee injury. And Clayton Oliver did leave training early during the week, but he has also been named from the Melbourne side of things. So that's certainly a game to look forward to tonight from the Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide and the Demons. We'd love to hear from you on the SMS 0437 774 774 as Liz has got in touch. Hi guys, across the country listening from Geraldtown, where so many of the good AFL players have come from. That's from Chris, David and Liz. So if you're out and about on this Easter weekend, whether you're camping or making your way out to catch up with family, please make sure you take care on the roads. Berkey, contrast yesterday between Justin Longmuir and the Fremantle Dockers. They've had a promising start to the season, and Matthew Nicks and the Adelaide Crows still searching for their first win of the season. There's a couple of clubs that find themselves in interesting predicaments at the moment, and Chris Fagan's another one with the Brisbane Lions having lost their opening 3 games. As a coach, how do you try and make sure you focus on the week-to-week rather than the external hype which starts to build at this stage of the season?
Yeah, I think Chris Fagan made a good comment. He said there's still 20 games to go. That's a lot of games, and his side's not playing that bad. They have played some pretty good sides along the way. So, no panic stations there. If I'm panicking anywhere, it's probably over in Adelaide. They're the ones, to me, that really look like they're... what have they got different that's going to catapult them up the ladder? Tex is sort of struggling a little bit at the moment. Fogarty, when is he going to become consistent? Yeah, he needs to be consistent week in and week out if they're going to rely on him as a key forward. And their midfield is just a little bit same. I want to see Soligo and Rochelle and these guys get in there a little bit more often, because Laird and Crouch, they had 33 touches between them at half-time, and I think they've probably about metres gained was probably about 50, because it was just all backward, sideways sort of stuff. So they need a little bit more dynamism through that midfield. So I want to see those sort of guys in there, at least one of them, every single time. I don't think you can have Dawson and the other two in there all together. So I think Nick's has got some decisions to make and some experimenting to do, and this is where he's going to earn his money. If he experiments and gets it right, well then, they're a talented enough team to shoot their way up. If he experiments, or if he leaves it the way that it is, I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, it sort of feels like there's a bit of a disconnect at the moment between their midfield and their forward line. The Adelaide Crows, of course, Matthew Nicks got the contract extension. Justin Longmuir got the contract extension as well, both before the official season got underway, although Nicks was actually technically last week. Chad, when you're in a 2-team town, such as the Adelaide Crows players, there's not too many places where you don't get referred back to the wins and losses throughout a season, so bit of a challenge for the Crows boys, because it'll all of a sudden come around pretty quickly for next Thursday night.
Yeah, I was just looking at the next 3 matches. You got Melbourne, then Carlton, then Essendon. I mean, not much let up there. So obviously they're 0-3, and some challenging games coming up. And like you said, being in a 2-town team, you'll definitely hear about it, whether you're going to the coffee shop, whether you're just reading your paper at the cafe, even if you're just going home, there's only one there's the advertiser, and they only report on 2 teams. They don't report on Collingwood, Carlton, Hawthorn. It's just Port Adelaide and Adelaide, and they live and breathe it. So like when things are going well, you feel like a rock star. You feel like you're Adam Sandler and you're on top of the world and Billy Madison. But when it's going bad, you feel pretty down the dumps, and it's pretty hard to get out of. So Matty Nicks has got to use hands full, but like I said, it's going to be week to week. But like I said, they've got a tough 3 games coming up, so it's going to determine how well they go, I suppose, early part of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So Adelaide, 0 wins and 3 losses to start the 2024 season. Saturday afternoon footy coming to you from Docklands in Melbourne under the roof this afternoon. There has been a late change this afternoon. So Harrison Jones, who wasn't originally named as part of the Essendon lineup, he comes in, replacing Will Setterfield this afternoon. The subs are Nick Hine and Angus Hastie, who is making his debut. The Geelong Falcons ex-under-18s player, a basketballer and a footballer. He played a bit of cricket as well before eventually getting picked up and focusing his attention on the AFL. Berkey, we got the chance to chat to Jordan Ridley just a few moments ago about the Essendon edge. What's Brad Scott trying to do there in terms of trying to harden his playing group in their attack on the ball?
He's trying to make them accountable, hopefully. To me, that's the big thing about Essendon, is their midfielders are just not accountable. And this whole Essendon edge thing, it doesn't mean anything to the players who are not on the edge players. And I think he's got a lot of not on the edge players. So if they're running around out there going, I have to be rough and tough and I've got to bump and all that sort of stuff, every single second that they're thinking about, I need to keep Brad Scott happy by doing a bump here and a bump there, that's seconds they're not thinking about getting a footy. And it's taking away valuable mental space. So forget about the edge sort of stuff. You just set the standards in terms of accountability. I'll tell the story. I got the Western Bulldogs video cutter-up guy to give me some vision of last year when Essendon played the Western Bulldogs. And one particular piece in particular, Bontempelli gets the ball 30 metres out from his defensive goal, kicks the ball out to the wing, then proceeds to run straight down the middle of the ground. 3 Essendon midfielders started to run with him and then thought, nah, he's too hard. If the ball turns over, I'm going to get the ball on the other way. And they all looked at him and ran the other way. He kept going all the way down the middle, got a handball back, walked around to play and kicked the goal. And 3 Essendon midfielders all spread out to the wing, hoping their defence had got it. And that's the biggest problem with Essendon. So forget about, edges and bumping and all that crap. It doesn't do anything. What he should do is go, right, anyone who doesn't run hard and pick up their player and have a defensive side of their game, you're not playing next week. That's the thing that they need to do. Essendon edge will come down to selection, not what the players do out on the ground. That's what it has to come down to. The biggest thing Ross Lyon did with the Saints in the early or late 2000s was he dropped Nick Del Santo and Stephen Milne. Both of them didn't have a defensive side to their game, despite kicking 3 goals and having 30 possessions every week. That shock of that out of the team sparked the rest of them, and they went on and played in grand finals in 2009 and 10 purely because of that. So Brad Scott, Essendon edge doesn't come down to what the players do on the field. It's what you do in selecting who goes out and plays on the field. That is where it all counts.
Those video editors, guys, do a lot of work these days. What do you call them? Cutter-up guys that cut up the vision together.
That's his official title, the video cutter-upper. You can see we didn't have one in our AFLW budget.
Well, now the influencers, social media, you can do it all on your phone these days, Berkey. What about, Chad, I guess you're looking for the leaders to try and implement the standards, aren't you? And does that come back to the playing group really taking ownership of what they're willing to walk past and what they're going to demand of each other?
Yeah, definitely. It starts from, obviously, the coaching, driving that standards and what they stand for. And then, obviously, it's the leaders that lead by example. So some leaders do as I say. And I think Merritt's obviously one of those guys who are lead by example. But I think one thing that is concerning for me from Essendon is how many... obviously, they played us and then they played Sydney. But Sydney had 36 shots on goal, right? And then if you think about us, they beat us. But we had 28 shots on goal. So if you think about a team that's trying to win a lot of games, it's pretty hard. I mean, we kicked 11 goals, 17, but we could have easily have won that game. The thing about this game in particular is that St Kilda is a very good defensive side. They give up not many scores, and if I suppose Essendon give St Kilda enough chance, I'm not sure if they can defend a score, because obviously having that many shots on goal, either something's breaking down, whether it's like you're saying, the accountability, whether it's the backs, or whether it's a transition from obviously the ball movement from the other team. But to have that many shots against is pretty concerning. I know it's only 2 games, but I'm worried about their defensive structure or their work rate to be able to contain that many shots on goal. It's not going to be sustainable through this year.
No, 64 shots on goal for 2 weeks. That's not going to cut the mustard on too many occasions. Chad Wingard alongside Nathan Burt this afternoon as your experts on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden to call the action with Andrew Mays down on the boundary. Chance to head inside the St Kilda camp ahead of this afternoon's match. A man who we know particularly well, not too long ago, he's sitting up on the back row with us. He's down with Lauren Borden.
Well, someone who's played for St Kilda and Essendon is Brendan Goddard. He's now midfield coach at St Kilda. Thanks for your time, Brendan. Obviously, Thursday was when you last played. It's a bit of a long wait to Saturday twilight, but does it feel a lot nicer when you've got that win against Collingwood on the board?
Yeah, it definitely does. And as for coaches, it's a little bit better having a bit longer than a 5-day or what we say a 4-day break. Turn around, you play on the 5th day. So I've been privy to that part of Essendon with the Anzac Day clash, all that kind of thing, but never as a coach. And it's put you under the pump, so it's good to have a longer break and you can actually just exhale just a little bit.
It did take its toll, that match, though. Obviously, we saw Mason Wood collide with Cordy. He's got a broken collarbone, but can you give us a little bit of an update on to how Mason's going?
He's going actually pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty happy. Out of a sling, I think. The surgeon even said you didn't need to wear it, but Mason, as we call him, Doc, he's great at self-diagnosing himself. But no, he's going well, so it feels good, after the concussion, and then with a broken collarbone. Yeah, I've been privy to those, but that was post-season, so he's looking to come back as soon as he can, but it's played it up. It's pretty much not going anywhere, so he's thankfully, he's in a good space.
He's been in a lot of good form since coming to St Kilda, and so was Liam Henry in his first 2 games. He also had a hamstring injury. Brad Crouch was injured during the week too, playing VFL. Do you feel like some of those stocks are, I guess, starting to get limited as you've got a fairly big injury list at St Kilda?
Yeah, we do. Unfortunately, as the midfield coach, I'm very limited to the depth, and it makes it a little bit easier because I actually don't have too many to choose from come match committee. So, yeah, no, look, unfortunately for those guys, Crouchy was probably, to be fair, was probably lingering even just prior to him making his return in round 1. And he pushed really hard to get there, as we kind of alluded to during that week. So he did a good job just to get to where he was. And then, unfortunately, he knew there was something else going on. And he reckons there may have been a bit of a knock during the Geelong game as well. And then the other one, Liam Henry, yeah, he's been great since he's arrived at the club. He's fitting, he's a really good guy. Really mature head on, a young guy, loves his golf too, so we've got a bit in common. So, but yeah, he had a real impact in his first couple of games for the Saints, and we saw what he's capable of. A little bit of excitement, that speed and agility around the contest, obviously what would kind of been looking for, and provided that. And then his impact forward of centre was really positive. So unfortunately, yeah, he'll be pushing hard to come back within that kind of 6 to 8 or before that 6 to 8 week time frame. But he's had a real impact.
It means Angus Hastie gets his chance to come in. I don't know what he's like as a golfer, but he did do a bit of basketball, I think, and cricket before he came in and chose AFL. What's it like? What are we going to expect from him today? Yeah, another talented sportsman. Seems to be a lot of them these days, but a really good kid. So came back post-Christmas after, probably about six weeks, I think it was, learning, kind of seeing what AFL footy's about, and really made a statement with the way he came back in his 3K time trial and his body, in that 3-week period that the players have off now over Christmas. So what you're going to see, he's a lighter frame. He's still building his frame, but agile, pretty quick on his feet, confident with ball in hand. But we're not, as I said to him yesterday, we're not expecting anything but to play your role, mate. It's pretty cliche, but for young guys coming in, particularly in their first game, I think to keep it as literally as simple as possible is a good thing, because there'll be a million thoughts going through his head and the build up to the game, and obviously his family's going to be here and all that kind of thing. So he's going really well. And what about Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller? You probably were involved with him when you were a development coach at St Kilda. He's had a great season last year, outstanding first couple of rounds. What makes him so eager to learn and improve upon each week? I think more is just his attitude about identifying what it takes to be a great player and getting the best out of yourselves, and actually implementing or coming up with a plan. And that's where the coaches help with him, in particular Boris, his line coach. And I did a bit of work with him as development coach last year, but more about implementing, coming up with a plan, and then implementing it. So, he's such a dedicated kid, and I played with his dad, or his stepdad, so it's quite ironic, but got a few similar traits. With that, Naz says he's a better kick and he's a better player all round, but he's a special kid, so he's really dedicated to his footy. He's identified and got a plan of what it takes to be great, and he's just got a great attitude, trying to improve every day. So we everyone sees
the end product come weekend on game day, but not many are privy to the work, not only he does, but the whole playing group and a lot of those younger guys, what they do from Monday to Friday to actually be able to perform on game day.
And you're a former Bomber. What are you expecting from this Essendon edge today that we've seen for 2 rounds?
Like we do every week from any opposition, a tough, hard-fought game. So, we prepare as if we're going to see the best from every opposition each week. But yeah, we expect the same. So they've been playing some pretty solid footy. Sydney, obviously, a really good team, arguably the best team in the competition at the minute, obviously sitting at the top of the ladder, but just even their form and the way they're doing it. So push them arguably all the way to the end or 3.5 quarters. So, no, we expect the best from every opposition, in particular Essendon today.
We're used to your special comments in the ABC Sport box. What's it like now transferring from that box, a commentary box, to a box with Ross Lyon?
They're a little bit different, yeah. But although you still got the guy sitting in the front calling the shots, as Corbin or Ben were, being the callers, and Ross doing the same. So yeah, no, it's a little bit different. So a bit of problem solving, trying to look for patterns. Behaviours throughout the game, and trying to be proactive to get on the front foot and try to prevent any disasters before they happen. But and also obviously then identifying some things we're doing really well, and then keep encouraging the guys to do that.
Well, thanks for your time, BJ. All the best today.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Great to hear from Brendan Goddard, down and part of the St Kilda coaching staff now, as the Saints make their way out onto Docklands as round 3 of the AFL continues. So the Saints first out, looking to try and make it back-to-back wins after a good win over the Magpies last week. And the Bombers just a few moments away. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden to call the action with you on ABC Sport. Andrew Mays down on the boundary. Nathan Burke and Chad Wingard are your experts this afternoon. Sort of as we said, it poses the question, Burkey, as to St Kilda's improvement, progression. They seem to have really focused on a couple of key areas during the off-season, and Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera seems to be one of the more attacking players across half-back, and got the 10 coaches' votes last week and continues to impress.
Yeah, he's been amazing on that half-back line, and the big dilemma for the Saints in the long term will be, do they just leave him as that potential All-Australian half-back flank, or are there other spots on the field where they can use a guy of his talents? And that's a long-term dilemma for them. But what we've seen from the Saints so far this year is a far more attacking brand of football. Last week was their second highest score for something since like 2021 or something like that. Been a long time, but they've got to make sure that they still don't lose that defensive edge that made them competitive last year. When they, against Geelong, they got the balance wrong at times. They went too attacking, turned the ball over, and then Geelong capitalised on them. Got to make sure that, we've still got that defensive edge and attack when we need to. So be really circumspect about when they go shooting forward. But what I've liked is that it's a far more complete, rounded game plan of attack and defend that we're seeing from the Saints so far this year. And I think most of the supporters are very impressed with that.
As the Bombers make their way out onto Docklands, it's all coming through loud and clear. The effects are working rather well. They're hoping of a crowd of around 40,000 for this afternoon's clash. The bottom deck is growing nicely, and there's a few fans on the far side from us all the way to the back, so maybe they will get a good showing for this Saturday afternoon fixture. Well, we mentioned Zach Meriden, the red-hot form he's been in. Would you expect someone like a Marcus Windhager potentially go to him? His improvement this season has also started the year on a really strong note.
Yeah, well, Windhager last week just went and got the footy himself. And I'd love to see that again this week. Just trust the young fella. Just trust him to go out there and say, mate, you can match it with these other midfielders. No need to tag, no need to shut anyone down. Just go out there and beat them. And that's what he does. He gets himself in a one-on-one contest, and he's really, really hard to beat. So, yeah, don't want to see any defensiveness at the start. Our 3 midfielders against your 3 midfielders, and see who's best.
Chad, Zach Merritt, start of the season, 32 disposals and 2 goals last week against the Sydney Swans. It feels like his game's going to another level if he can be that type of midfielder who can finish in front of goal. Yeah,
you just hit the nail on the head. Obviously, he's known as like a defensive mid to kind of help back the backs and then set the guys up. So against us, round 1, he really worked really hard back and used his, pivot foot to try and set up the defenders and get the ball out of their D50. Obviously, hitting the scoreboard is just adding another element to his game. I wouldn't say that's his strength, but if he can add that as well, it means that he works both sides of the footy. He's obviously a hard worker. yeah, if you're, I suppose, St Kilda, you want to challenge him, because if he's going to come back all the way into the defensive 50, that you're a chance to actually get a handball and make sure you're working with him, because then they're the kind of, I suppose, midfielders that you want to work against, because if they're working so hard forward, it means so far back, it means that that's in your forward line and you're every opportunity to kick a goal. So he's obviously started the season off very well, the leader of the team. But again, you've got to come up to these guys, and you can't, I suppose, take them fully out of the game. They're very hard to do, especially when he works. He can play multiple positions. He can even start in a half-back to get away from a tag. So, the key is to really make him work for it and hurt him on the other side.
The voice of Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport. Your thoughts on the SMS? Make sure you let us know your name and where you're listening in from on 0437774774. Bill says, Crows, if not talent, must be mindset. Must make possessions count and get sick of losing. And Brendan from Hobart, Nick Dacos back at half-back seemed to work well for the Pies. It'll be interesting to see if they leave him there. And Adrian from Geraldton poses the question, Berkey, what does Harrison Jones need to do to take the next step as a forward in which we require?
Just be competitive. No one's expecting him to go out there and kick 5 or 6. If he can kick 1 or 2, be involved in 5 or 6 score involvements, I think that will do. Just be a rounded forward. You don't want to be relying on any particular part of your game. Be a rounded forward. They're the ones that teams tend to love these days. So just be competitive, lay some tackles, be a triple threat. Mark the ball in the air, lay some tackles, get some ground balls, be involved in general play, get some handballs on the run pass. So that's what I'd be looking at if I was Harrison Jones. And as I let you and Chad discuss where you think the game will be won or lost, just watching Todd Goldstein warm up alongside Sam Draper. So 2 ruckmen for the Bombers against Rowan Marshall, who I think on his day could be one of the most influential ruckmans in the competition. He had the 24 disposals the last time the two sides face off, and he's now sort of started to rack up disposals in the 20s to start last season and to start this year. So if he can take a few more contested marks around the ground, it's his clearance game, which has really gone to another level as well. Yeah, and the worry for the Saints is that you've got Rowan Marshall and then there's a gap. So who's next? We've seen Mitch Owens doing the ruck work, and that's not a long-term plan to have your young gun getting smashed knee in the ribs by Todd Goldstein. That's not going to do anyone any good. So they need somebody else. I wouldn't be surprised if Caminetti came into the ruck at various stages today. Also Cooper Sharman doing a little bit. But the long-term plan for the Saints is they need to find a better second ruck option than Mitch Owens. And at the moment, the two big fellas are working well together. And we'll see how long that lasts. Grundy and Gawn didn't quite work out, but can these two be a bit better, Chad? Yeah, and it's a hard one because if you don't make an impact forward, you're almost having half your game as a ruck. And we've had the same dilemma at Hawks. Obviously, we got Miki and Reevesy, and when one plays, they have a really good impact. But when we play two, sometimes it takes away from their strengths. So obviously, Rowan Marshall, one of his biggest strengths is his work rate. He can get up and down the ground. He can take marks, and if he's obviously take him as a second ruck, or if you put another one alongside him, maybe he doesn't have as much impact. And that's what obviously you see what happened with Grundy and Gawn. Obviously Grundy being the number one ruckman, taking majority of the centre bounces, he gets that work instead of having to share that, I suppose, that work and that toll. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. But I think it's going to come down to who's at his feet, what players are at their feet, who's going to get that, which group are going to get that done. Whether it's the first 10-metre bubble or it's the 20-metre bubble. So the first touch or the second touch is going to be who wins this battle. And I'm not sure how much the ruckman can be different, I suppose, against each other. But it's definitely going to come down to the midfield and who can actually, I suppose, win that battle. And without Peter Wright playing, you're probably going to expect that Draper or even Goldstein might spend a little bit of time up forward. So you might see them both on the ground at the same time, which is probably not the plan when Peter Wright's in the team.
And we mentioned Darcy Parish playing his first game of 2024. For the Saints, Dan Butler, who was their second leading goal kicker last season behind Jack Higgins, who had 36. Butler finished with 33. So Max King didn't really feature until the second half of the season. Dan Butler plays such a pivotal role in not just the pressure he provides, but his ability to finish as well. Well, it's Liam Henry pretty much keeping him out of the team, and I think Liam Henry, they were hoping he was going to be good, but the first 2 rounds he was a bit of a revelation. He was outstanding, and him being out for 6 to 8 weeks is an enormous blow. But to have a guy like Dan Butler and his experience just waiting in the wings is a real plus
for the Saints, and we know he and Higgins have played a lot of football alongside of each other, so they know how each other plays. And for me, it's going to be the wing role, which is without Mason Wood, who's held that down for the last 18 months or so, doing a really, really good job. Does young Darcy Wilson pick up that role? Ryan Burns we've seen doing that role. So it's going to be interesting whether Brad Hill sort of just parks himself on the wing and not off the half-back line. It's an interesting wing role for the Saints.
You mentioned Jade Gresham, just the fourth time in the last 30 games he had over 20 disposals and kicked a couple of goals last week. But whenever you're playing against your old side, there's a little bit of chirp that can take place. I think you would have got a bit of that during the week. What was it like for you?
Yeah, it's obviously pretty daunting. You almost don't message the boys for that week. You want to just make sure you're focusing on what you're doing. And Gresham's obviously a well-liked player on both groups, and he's come out with all things swinging. He's played really well. I thought, like, against us, his energy was there. Didn't get, I suppose, the lick of the ice cream that he did against Sydney, but he's back. I feel like his energy has been really good. Obviously, he's a tremendously skilled player, and he makes the most out of any disposal that he has. But yeah, it's a big week for him, obviously, come up against the old side, and you want to make a statement, and whether he left on good terms or not is up to be debate. But yeah, I can't wait to... He's obviously started the season very well. Looking forward to see what he does today.
I saw the bizarre moment post-game where Zach Fisher exchanged jumpers with Paddy Cripps at the end of last night's game.
Yeah.
Have you kept any of your old jumpers, Chad? Is that something that you do when you're a modern-day player?
Yeah, it's interesting the old change, because I'm pretty sure we only get about 2 Guernseys a year, so it must be a Clash Guernsey or something. So, yeah, he wouldn't want to rip his next Guernsey, because I'm not sure if he has a spare. Well, their budget might be bigger than ours. But yeah, no, I've definitely got a fair few poor Guernseys laying around. It's in a bag, I believe, in the garage. There's heaps of them in there. Obviously, a lot of different alternative Guernseys. I might have to whip them out and show the fans one day. But I've got a fair few there, actually.
To keep your international rules ones, that might have to be the one you show us next time.
Yeah, I've actually got, because speaking of swapping Guernseys, I've actually got one of the Irish boys' Guernseys that were switched their Guernseys with. So that's a bit smelly, but it smells of a loss, because obviously we won that one. So up the Aussies.
Do you know whose jersey it was you took?
No, it was a long time ago. That's a good question. But he's a good fella.
What about for you, Berkey? Have you kept any of your playing day memorabilia?
I have, but when the footy money runs out, then you offload and then you sell them. And get
charity, of course.
I've got a few. The Saints are bringing back the candy stripe.
Yeah, next week.
One next week, is it? Yeah.
Next week at Gather Round.
Yeah, well, that was my last game.
Oh,
there you go.
Was wearing the candy stripe. It was a heritage round out here at Marvel. So good to see that one coming back. They asked me if I had still had it at home, and I don't think I have.
What about the helmet? Did you keep the helmet?
They tend to stink up a fair bit by the end of the season. And there's one in the museum at the MCG. They lent it to St Kilda. St Kilda didn't want to give it back. So there's a big fight between the two of them. They said, have you got another one? And I said, no, I haven't. I was going to try and buy one and just sort of stink it up.
Backyard.
Just put it on once and say it was well worn.
Go for a run.
Righto. Well, thankfully the players are just about ready to go. Essendon having won 4 of the last 5 clashes against the Saints, as the two captains have gathered in the middle of the ground, Zach Merritt and Jack Steele. The final member of our team sitting in the front row this afternoon is Andrew Mays. Welcome to you, Maysy.
Very good afternoon to you, Clinchy, and fascinating prospect this afternoon. Beautiful conditions. Yesterday played really well here at Marvel, although it was quite hot, about 28 degrees outside yesterday, and it seemed to get into the stadium as well. Not so this afternoon. Nice and cool in here. It's about 22 outside at the moment, so lovely conditions as always, even in these warmer months at under the roof at Docklands. Just in terms of the changes, if you didn't hear earlier, Jones in for Setterfield, who's out with knee soreness, and the subs Hind for the Bombers and Hasty for the Saints. Interesting on the bench here, the man getting the most handshakes has been Josh Marnie, of course, who's head of footy at the Bombers, now here in his AFL capacity as head of footy ops under Laura Kane. So there have been a few awkward glances over to his right, but plenty of handshakes for the man who's spent a fair bit of time in charge of footy at Essendon.
Thanks very much, Maisie. Zach Merritt won the toss. He'll head to the southern end of the right, as we see at the city end here at Docklands. They've, of course, taken down the old Lockett and Coventry end. So with Langford heading to full forward for the Bombers, and Jake Stringer there in the forward 50 as well. So Saturday afternoon footy under the roof of Docklands as round 3 of the AFL continues. A chance for either Essendon or St Kilda to make it 2 wins to start the season. To get us underway, here's Lauren Borden on ABC Sport.
Harris straight into the middle for his return game, lining up next to Marcus Winhager of the Saints. It's Draper with the tap out straight into the path of Parrish, overruns it, taken to ground. It'll be the Saints that steal it here through Steele, who hand passes to a running Hill. Can kick it long down the outer wing here at Docklands to half forward. Mark can't be taken by Membry. Windhager will take it. Exaggerated head throwing back. Umpire says he wasn't taken high. Hill with a high kick inside 50 directly in there for the Saints, and it's Anthony Caminiti who takes the mark. 35 metres out from goals, and Caminiti coming into the side as well for this game. Gets an early touch of the footy, not even a minute in.
Well, it's a wonderful use of his body there by the young fellow. Just sort of shrugged the Essendon defender and sent him flying. It might have been Dyson Heppel, was it? Yep, just got rid of Heppel, shoved him out of the way and took an easy chest mark in the end. But back into the side for Big Max King. It would be quite a start for the young fellow to put this one through, kicking from round about 40.
So we did have a good season last year where he kicked 18 goals from 19 games. He sends this one towards the goals at the Lockett end, and it's off to the right-hand side. So just a behind for the Saints to start proceedings. A minute played, and the Saints are leading 1 behind to no score Essendon.
As the Bombers look to bring it back into play, it's Mason Redmond having served his 1-game suspension. He sends it long towards Jones and Langford. Langford shoved Wilkie underneath. It gets to the back. A chance for Caldwell. Can't get a disposal away. Here's Parrish onto the loose footy. Chips it inside the defensive 50. A risky kick which didn't get to Heppel. Merritt racing back. He's locked up by Membry. It's about 35 metres out from the Saints' goal, and the umpire will ball it up.
Well, hopefully that was a shank and Darcy Parrish wasn't actually kicking it the wrong direction. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt there.
Oh, I wasn't so sure. Draper tries to take it out of the ruck against Rowan Marshall. It spills down the way of Butler. Hand pass to the Saints. He works it away to Owens. Hand pass to Higgins. Swings onto the right-hand side. And Jack Higgins has the opening goal of the match.
And that's just great work, isn't it? Obviously, the pressure building, you could just see some of the, I suppose, the handballs from Essendon. You're just building that pressure, just handballing and just relaying that pressure to the next player. Obviously got a repeat stoppage in the forward line for St Kilda, and Higgins just absolutely cell-canning the whole 4 players of Essendon, just going the one way, he goes the other, whiffs it on his right boot and straight through. That's an unbelievable finish, but it's all built off of their absolute pressure straight away, and you knew that's what St Kilda need to bring. They need to bring their pressure whether it gets in on the ground in their forward 50. So great start by St Kilda, and let's see if they can go again.
St Kilda 1-1-7 to the Bombers, yet to score through just 2.5 minutes. And it's gone inside 50 on 2 occasions for the Saints. Essendon haven't got it past halfway.
And Essendon, that 4 players cannot be fooled by Jack Higgins. One of them has to run at Jack Higgins.
So play back in the middle. It's Martin with it for the Bombers, who hand passes defensively to Redmond back in the side after suspension. He flicks off a hand pass to McGrath, works it to Merritt, and then Redmond keeps running to the broadcast wing of Docklands, gets the ball back. Long hand pass across to Caldwell. Hand pass to McGrath, trying to move it quickly. Finally, it's Durham that gets caught. Umpire says play on. Saints steal the footy back. Marshall just kicks long down the wing. It'll be Redmond running after. He taps it, but he taps it to the advantage of Owens of St Kilda. Doesn't have anyone long inside 50, so hand passes it to Higgins, who kicks right directly into the middle of the 50 and finds Sinclair standing all alone.
That is super impressive. Every single player from St Kilda on this side of the ground was chasing someone. There was no easy exits for Essendon, and they absolutely put them under the pump. Even from the centre bounce, they got their first possession almost in St Kilda's forward 50. They just pushed them back that far. And obviously you just see they reap the rewards off their defensive efforts. Obviously classic St Kilda the last couple of years, just working that ball. And obviously he's got a mark from about 30 out, straight in front. Pretty stock standard from here. Let's see if he can put it through.
So Jack Sinclair directly in front, 30 metres out, eases it towards goals, puts it through. A second goal for the Saints. 2-1-13 leading the Bombers and just catching the Bombers out on the rebound like Essendon tends to do, giving up scores on the rebound. And that was all pretty quickly, like you said, Chad Wingard.
I'm just not sure if Essendon, that should be their game style early on. I think they should be trying to get marks and not, I suppose, invite the pressure from St Kilda. We know that that's their strong point. We know they've had 3 inside 50s now, 3 shots on goal. And that's all from their work rate. So I'm not sure if the handballing chain is going to be the most successful way forward for Essendon at this point of the game. I think they need to take the sting out, maybe get a mark and then pick through them that way, and maybe get a handball once they get through, I suppose, the middle of the ground. But inviting the pressure from St Kilda this early on when they're up and about, I'm not sure is probably the best method of their ball movement right now. But super impressive by St Kilda, and great start from them. 3 shots on goal in 3 inside 50s. Unbelievable.
The voice of Hawthorn forward Chad Wingard alongside Nathan Burke this afternoon. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Andrew Mays down on the boundary. Back in the middle, Parrish tries to wrestle it away from Steele. It's on the outer of the centre circles, and the umpire will come in to ball it up. A lot of players around this contest as it's thrown in the air. Draper tries to knock it forward, but Marshall knocks it down for the Saints. Gets it to Ross, kicks up towards half forward. Dyson Heppel was well positioned. He takes the mark in front of Mitch Owens. His chip kick missed Laverty. Martin races back onto the loose ball for the Bombers. Inside the defensive 50, turns it over, straight to Sinclair. Chips it to Caminiti, he missed him over his head, and the mark is taken by Ben Mackay. Essendon fans' hearts would have been fluttering there as he goes short to Merritt, tries to work it up to Jones. It never quite got to him. And the intercepting mark taken by Seb Ross. Centre field for the Saints. They lead 2-1-13 to Essendon yet to score.
The Bombers still yet to enter their attacking 50 as Ross puts St Kilda inside there as Mitch Owens picks it out of a pack. Contested mark there for the young forward Mitch Owens, and it'll be another shot at goal for the Saints, this time coming from 45 metres out from a 45-degree angle.
Well, the Bombers extremely lucky that Jack Sinclair completely missed a player inside 50. Otherwise, it would be another shot from 30 metres out. As it is, this is just Mitch Owens taking a contested mark 40 metres out. He's got the distance. Has he got the accuracy?
So here now on his approach, one of the best emerging players coming out of St Kilda. Launches the ball towards goal, doesn't look good off the boot, completely across the face. It'll stay in play, and it's Dyson Heppel sitting back there for the Bombers to take the intercept mark. So no change to the score, Saints leading by 13.
Heppel goes short to Redmond and now chips a kick to Nick Martin, trying to find an avenue out of defence. Links up with a kick to Laverty. They work it up the wing on the broadcast side, and Todd Goldstein takes the mark. The 35-year-old former Kangaroo wheels onto his left-hand side. Kicks up towards Langford in a wrestle with Wilkie. The St Kilda defender spoils it down. Caldwell front and centre. Hand pass to the Bombers to Perkins. Gets it away to Hobbs. He drives a kick inside 50. Draper's gone forward. Spoiled away from him. It spills down. Durham just missed McGrath with the hand pass, and a chance for Charman. Cooper Charman with a clearing kick out of the wing. The foot race is on. Ben Mackay should get there first. The Bombers defender, he gathers centre wing. Gets the hand pass over the top to Nick Martin. He's going to go back to Redmond, who can turn and come inboard, but it's on the bounce for Goldstein.
So Goldstein hand passes back to Redmond. Redmond will just go for a run along the city wing. Pop it to half forward. He was looking for Langford. It went over the top of his head. Just dribbles into the forward 50 for Essendon, where we'll have a throw in.
Cole Langford and Jake Stringer, I'd be sort of saying to the guys, hey, you're using 3 extra possessions to get the ball to us every single time. If you're facing forward, look up the ground, at least give us a one-out opportunity with our defenders. Don't let them get free plays back on us while you're mucking around with it.
So Caldwell hand pass to Perkins, puts it up high on his left boot. Be an intercept mark taken, though, by Battle of St Kilda. Gets off a hand pass to Sinclair, who's now sitting back in the defensive 50 for the Saints, and he'll chip a pass forward to Wilkie, standing at left half back for the Saints.
He looks to send it up towards the wing. Mitch Owens got rid of his opponent McGrath, takes the mark on his chest, chips it forward to Butler. Hang on, it's coming back. Illegally, the mark claimed by Mitch Owens, and a late whistle just as the Saints were charging forward.
I think it was not sure which umpire paid it.
So it comes back to Andy McGrath, centre wing, kicks up towards half forward. Unable to pull in the mark was Dersmer. It spills out the way of Langford. He becomes the tackler now. And the umpire balls it up with the footy locked to the chest of Josh Battle. Right half forward for the Bombers. It's all the Saints, 2-1-13 to Essendon yet to score. 8 minutes gone in the opening term here at Docklands. Umpire throws it in the air. Marshall wins down the tap against Goldstein. Straight into the path of Steele. He can't break clear as Caldwell lays the tackle.
Umpire quickly throws the ball right back up in front of Goldstein, finds a holding free in the ruck contest, going the way of Goldstein of the Bombers.
Very difficult to tell whether it's a hold or a block in those ones. I think the umpires just go, 50-50, one for you.
The ruck lotto.
Yep.
Goldstein from 55, looks like he's going to launch it then towards goals, then decides to put it in the hot spot. But it was the right decision with Jones coming in there to take the mark.
and that's just a veteran kick. He's told that he was either going for goal or he was trying to kick that 50 metres to top of the square. And what he's actually done is pulled that from about I suppose, 100% kick to about a 75%, and then didn't put too much height on it. So it gave Draper, I think, was the target.
I think so.
And he was actually in line to mark that as well. But it gave him a run and jump at it. It's such a difference between you got a guy forklifting you, using his arms to put you underneath it. But 30 metres out, straight in front, see if he can convert.
So Jones just swiped in at the last second to take the mark, straight in front. The late in has got Essendon's first goal of the afternoon. The Bombers on the board, 1 straight 6, trailing St Kilda 2-1-13 after 10 minutes gone in the first term here at Docklands.
Like you said, Berkey, I think once they're going more direct, not the handball chain, kicking a bit earlier, they looked a bit more damaging then. They had 2 inside 50s, looked pretty dangerous, and obviously having a free kick helps, but kicking earlier seems to be the way forward for them at the moment. Looked very dangerous as a forward rather than seeing the handballs and you get a turnover and it goes back over your head the other way.
And they've got mobile forwards down there as well. You know, Langford and Jones and Stringer. You know, they've got Draper coming out of the square now, who's going to keep Cordy busy. But it's more of a mobile forward line than just a big pack bear in the square type of forward line. So get it in there with a little bit of space and let the guys go to work.
Australian Football Hall of Fame member Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport. And as Lauren May mentioned, he wasn't originally part of the 23. Came in for Will Setterfield. Chance for the Saints to gather from half-back. Wilson kicks into the middle of the ground. No mark claimed by Filippo. Butler can't gather. Nick Martin for the Bombers. Hand pass to Merritt. Fends off the tackle. Gets the hand pass away to Redmond. Kicks a spiralling ball inside 50. Wilkie underneath it. Langford nudges him out of it. Stocker for the Saints. Hand pass back to Wilson under pressure. Releases the reliable Sinclair, who chips it to left half-back. And the mark is taken by Seb Ross. St Kilda leading by 7 points. 11 minutes gone, opening quarter.
Ross in game 201. They mentioned how he's never felt safe in the side, has never felt like he's always been one of the first picked, but has made it to 201 games. His kick goes down the wing. Philippou marks. Hand passes quickly to Wanganeen Miller, who takes on Perkins, moves around him, gets the Saints to half forward. Burns with the footy. Can hand pass to Bonner, running on his right, and Bonner will kick towards goals. He'll go all the way to the line. He'll just make it through for a behind. So couldn't reach Sharman before going over the boundary or going over the goal line for a minor score. It's the Saints 2-2-14. Essendon 1 straight 6, 12 minutes played.
Quickly brought back in by Dyson Headpool. Finds Mason Redmond, who has the shaved head to start the season. Comes inboard to Nick Martin. It's a little bit risky trying to find the right avenue out of defence, and the chip kick to Dersma, who got a shove from Wilson. Gets to his feet and gives the hand pass to Redmond under pressure. Dribbles the kick up towards Parrish. Hand pass to Durham. Sammy Durham links up with Cox and then through traffic. Dersma spotted away forward. He charged through that gap. Kicks up towards Langford. Got rid of his opponent, Cordy, but couldn't take the mark. He's back onto it. Hand pass into the middle of the ground. Perkins squeezes a kick onto the boot. It's up towards full forward on the bounce, trying to knock it forward. Cox gets into the advantage of Menzies, who just couldn't dribble it from just a few metres out. Couldn't get boot to ball, and a minor score. St Kilda leading by 7 points.
So the Saints waste no time bringing it in. Bonner can get the footy across to Burns and then gets the hand pass back, takes a bounce and puts it straight down the line into the middle of Docklands to find Jack Steele. Swirls around and into the forward 50. The ball goes. Mateus Philippou this time, the St Kilda player inside that forward 50, finding himself in plenty of space.
That was a kid in a lolly store. He could have kicked to about 5 different players, and even that whole build-up, that's gone from a point all the way into St Kilda's forward 50, uncontested the whole way. Bonner and Wanganeen Miller could have got a handball receive, both of them, both the most damaging players on the field from that half-back line. And he had a chance to bounce it in a kick-in. That's unbelievable. That's not a good enough defence from Essendon, and let's see if we can make them pay.
So the ball moved from end to end in seconds. Burns to make the most of it. It's to the near side. Just a minor score for the Saints. They move to 2-3-15 and Essendon 1-1-7. It's 13 and a half minutes gone in the first quarter.
Yeah, that's a let off for the Bombers. That transition defence from that score was absolutely atrocious.
5 scoring shots at 2 the way of the Saints as Nick Martin brings the Bombers back into play. To Heppel, who kicks up towards Harrison Jones. He reaches the 4th-year Bomber at left half-back to take the mark. Kicks out wide to Parrish. He's corralled by Butler. Drives it up towards Menzies, trying to get over the top of Rowan Marshall. He can't do so. And the St Kilda ruckman was waiting for that kick and takes it nicely.
That's a little bit of your Essendon edge there. You've got a ruckman backing back into the play. and you just come flying past in the night. If you're going to be tough, well, make him earn it. Don't do anything untoward. Even if you smack his arms, you either marks or you smack his arms, but make him earn it.
Burns works it up the outer wing and finds Dan Butler in for his first game of the season for the Saints. Kicks up towards half forward. Marshall in from one direction. Caminiti at the back. It comes off hands and goes out of play for a boundary throw in. Right half forward for the Saints. They lead by 8 points. 2-3-15 to the Bombers. 1-1-7.
So ball to be tossed in at half forward for St Kilda. Leading by 8 points early stages of this round 3 match as Durham gets it out for the Bombers. Hurries a kick and Burns picks it up for St Kilda to put them inside 50 with a dribbling kick. Laverty reads it best. He's tackled over the line by Membry, so it'll be a throw in 30 metres around from the St Kilda goal.
Saints are happy to bring an extra up into the stoppages and contests around the middle of the ground, and Essendon have Heppel sitting back in a hole all by himself, and the Saints are happy with that because they're winning the clearances 5-3 at the moment.
Goldstein tries to take the ball out from the ruck, drops it. Heppel can pick it up and hand pass it. Only gets as far as Butler, who can weave his way through traffic to put it on his left boot, slams it into the goalpost. Another minor score for St Kilda, but they're racking up their opportunities in the first quarter. Now the Saints leading by 9 points in the first term at Docklands.
Nick Martin this time with the kick-in duties. Goes short to Cox, who marks still inside the defensive 50. Give it back to Martin in the right back pocket, who works it up to Hobbs. So kick mark game for the Bombers. It's got them to right half back. Where to from here? Trailing by 9 points. Gets the kick away as Wanganeen Miller makes the bump. Kicks up towards Jones, who was caught behind against Battle. Battle brought it down. Durham for the Bombers. Gets the hand pass away to Duursma. Close to the line and just landing on it. The boundary umpire on point there in front of Langford and Cordy, and it goes out of play for what will be a boundary throw in just inside the attacking 50 for the Bombers, but it's the Saints who lead by 9 points. 16 minutes gone, opening term.
So umpire to toss the ball back in just on the pain of 50 for the Bombers. Langford contesting the ruck now for Essendon. Falls to ground. Jones was there, comes through his legs. It'll be a free kick going Essendon's way.
Yeah, it's the same spot that Goldstein had his kick from, and a left footer. So let's see if either Saints see what he's trying to do, because I don't think Gresham has got the distance, but we'll see what he's trying to do here. Obviously, against his old team, the crowd is absolutely giving it to him. I think he might want to have a shot on goal now, I reckon. I reckon it'll just round him up a little bit.
I think the Bombers fans might have drowned out the boos there from St Kilda fans. Like you said, Chad, Gresham just chooses to centre the ball. Rowan Marshall had 2 hands for it. Couldn't take the mark. The umpire will pay it. Just held on to it for long enough.
So same spot. Obviously, the Saints learned from that. Oh, turnover here.
And it's pinched for the Bombers as Heppel kicks inside 50, turns it over. Battle takes the mark, gets the hand pass away to Sinclair. Sends St Kilda up towards half-back. Outnumbered Philippo, and Ben Mackay takes the mark for the Dons. So chance to reload and send it inside 50. Short to McGrath. Swings onto his right-hand side. Long kick for Langford. He's outnumbered. Marshall got hands to it. The umpire's paid the mark. Just had it long enough in his eyes. Marshall plays on with a hand pass around the back. Wanganeen Millera, a kick out of defence, which set a bit of a challenge to Cooper Sharman. Gathering at Duursma for the Bombers. Hand pass to Menzies. Inside 50. Awkward ball for Hobbs. Can't gather. Wanganeen Millera redeems himself. Gets the hand pass away to Sharman. Out of defence, Battles kick up towards the wing. It's over the head of Membry and Laverty. And racing back, it's Jake Kelly in game 150. Hand pass away to Mackay. Links up with the hands to Cox. Put the hand pass to Laverty under enormous pressure on the half volley. And Seb Ross lays the tackle to lock the ball up on the wing. The Saints leading by 9 points, 2-4-16 to the Bombers, 1-1-7.
So both Goldstein and Marshall make their way over to the ruck contest. Tapped away into the hands of Duursma. Hand pass to Parrish. His hand pass stolen by Philippou. Tackled though and drops to the floor. Parrish goes back to collect. Hand pass to Cox. Fumbles it a few times before getting it away to Perkins. It's all a bit scrappy in the centre of the field for Ross. Can hand pass it to Windhager. He'll put the Saints inside 50. Mark can't be taken by Mackay. It'll be the Saints here with another shot. Philippou had the ball. Instead chooses to hand pass to Caminiti, who hand passes it to Butler. Dodges traffic, dodging and weaving. Puts it on his through. He just scraped it through. His teammate had to move out of the way, but he's dribbled it through for a goal.
That's almost like who wants to kick the goal. It was almost like new you kick it. It's like parcel. But at the end of the day, but knew what he was there for and has kicked the goal. But that was great pressure again, good ball use, and they just obviously shared the handball. But the pressure wasn't that great by us, and it wasn't a sense of urgency. They didn't think that the ball was almost like two people were getting stepped in the goal square from Essendon. Obviously, it's great work by Butler to be able to force that, but I don't think anyone got touched in 6 plays inside their forward 50, which is not good enough. But obviously, St Kilda just very explosive in that forward line. They got that ball to ground and they just went to work. So another goal. That's 3 goals for to St Kilda and against 1-1-7 to Essendon. So good start by St Kilda. Obviously, all the trend was in Essendon's way. They just didn't get their bang for buck, and then obviously St Kilda go end to end again and just get it done.
Kicked it around his teammate Caminiti and Ben Mackay. He maybe had to just go for the ball rather than worrying about his opponent. Steele gets the clearance back in the middle of the ground for the Saints. Hand pass to the ruckman. Marshall kicks up towards Butler, lunging forward. Andy McGrath tries to knock it out. It's socket off the deck by Nick Martin. Out to the wing. Dersma gets there second, and he's able to work Cooper Sharman out of play for a boundary throw in. Right half forward for the Saints, who lead by 15 points, 20 minutes gone opening term.
I think what we're going to see, if the Bombers cannot maintain possession through the middle of the ground, the Saints are going to have a field day and score very, very heavily. The inability to stop them on transition so far has been very evident.
Had more of the ball, the Bombers, 77 disposals to the Saints, 62, but likely to turn it over. Winhager had it for a moment, lost it. The kick from Gresham up towards half forward. Stringer's caught behind as he offers chase on Wilkie. Wilkie for the Saints, hand pass away to Sinclair. Gets the hand pass to Winhager. Over the top to Ross, up against the boundary line on the outer side. Kept it alive with a hand pass back to Winhager. Kicks inside 50, over the head of Membry. Caminiti got rid of his opponent. McGrath gathers, kick smothered. Higgins doing well, the small forward. Hand pass over his shoulder, looking for Caminiti, can't gather. Heppel tries to knock it out for the Bombers. Under pressure, Perkins gets the hand pass away. They find an avenue out of defence. Laverty, hand pass to Heppel, kicks towards the boundary line, and just reeling in the mark is Kelly. Just up against the boundary line in the right back pocket. It's hard work for the Bombers at the moment.
Had to go backwards to Menzies. The Cookwood kick was no good again from Menzies. Another mistake from the Bombers leads to a St Kilda goal. It's Caminiti on the end of this one.
That looked like a heavy legs, didn't it? Obviously, they're just so much under the pump when they've got the ball, whether it's coming in so much, but that's just a lazy kick. You can't be missing a 10-15 metre kick, especially in your back 50. That's where they're most... you just saw it. He's just about a metre off a kick, hits the deck, gives St Kilda a chance, but... They just don't look on at the moment, the Essendon boys. I feel like they're a step too slow when it comes into the contest. And then Heppel, you say that you've got Heppel there as, I suppose, a defensive extra layer. They're actually taking one out of the source and then allowing him to be a bit of a general back there. It's not helping him. They don't feel like they had the extra number there. It almost feels like they've got one less number there the way that St Kilda are playing at the moment. So they need to come up with some little spark, whether... to obviously get them going at the moment.
And you spoke about the amount of scores against Essendon have conceded. There's 8 scores so far to the Saints already.
Draper wins down the tap to Merritt. It's socket off the ground by Perkins. Gets it up towards the 50. Collision as Stocker and Wanganeen Miller took out each other. Langford kicks towards Stringer, end over end. Knocks it down to Caldwell. Gets the hand pass away to Dersma. This time, the Bombers strike truly. Through a few hands to end up in the hands of Xavier Dersma, the former Port Adelaide midfielder, and he kicks his first goal as a Bomber. And they come from everywhere to celebrate maybe the spark in which they needed. A much-needed goal against the run of play, with the Saints having kicked the last 2 goals of the match. St Kilda 4-4-28 to the Bombers 2-1-13. 23 minutes gone, first term on ABC Sport.
Berkey, do you see the difference when Essendon have got the ball, the energy that they have compared to when in defence? When you see, I suppose, St Kilda, they look like they're the same amount of energy on, I suppose, on offence and defence. It's just a completely different side when Essendon go into defence. It just feels like they don't want to defend.
There's been a bit of a tilt in Marvel Stadium. The Coventry end is lower than the Lockett end. It's far easier to run that way than the other way.
So free kick from the centre bounce goes the Bombers' way.
The bow and arrows continued, Loz, even in the new colours. That's still Xavier Dersma's celebration.
He's taken it across the border with him. So Draper, booming kick inside 50, puts it in the hot spot. Langford can get it. He might have been taken high. Umpire says play on. Wilkie can hand pass it away to Jones, who hand passes it to Wilson. Can exit defensive 50 for St Kilda. It's Andy McGrath, the vice-captain for the Bombers, coming in to take the intercept mark.
and put the Bombers inside 50 to Jake Stringer, standing there, well-weighted kick, and Stringer takes the mark.
Well, neither side really defence is setting the world on fire at the moment. This could be the second mark inside the corridor that the Essendon team have taken and kicked goals, and the Saints just they're all expecting the ball to come to them, and I'll mark it rather than going to the Essendon player. And to allow 2 marks in the corridor will not impress Ross Lyon in the slightest.
Stringer with 4 goals in round 1, 3 goals in round 2, and he's got his first for round 3. The Bombers now with 2 on the trot. Margin wound back to 9 points in favour of the Saints, 4-4-28. St Kilda, Essendon 3-1-19. Your experts on ABC Sport, Chad Wingard and Nathan Burr.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a turnover game at the moment. Obviously, it's just been we've had a passage of play where it's just kicked almost like tennis. You kick it to one end and they kick it back. So it's going to come down to who can, I suppose, be a bit more composed by foot. It feels like there's been a lot of skill errors. We do have the roof closed, believe it or not. It feels like there's a bit of a breeze in here with the amount of missed kicks that we've had, especially in the dire straits in the back 50, where you don't want to miss kicks. You just want to take as much ground as you can. But it'll be interesting to see whether one team takes a little bit of bit more caution with the ball coming out of their back 50.
It was Darcy Wilson for the Saints, just a young player, third game inexperience, just kicked it out and turned it over.
Nathan Burke and Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Steele trying to extract the footy for the Saints. Hand pass to Suck Jones on the very bottom of the pack. The bald head trying to knock it out with a couple of players on top of him as he gives it back to the umpire. Draper wins down the tap for the Bombers. Kelly in game 150. Hand pass under pressure to Gresham. Turns it over. Winhager with a hand pass to Steele for the Saints. Kicks up towards Mitch Owens at half forward. Laverty gets there first. Taps it towards the boundary. Owens skirts in front of him. Laverty lays the tackle. Good contest on half forward and the ball to be thrown in. And right half forward for the Saints. They lead by 9 points. 4-4-28 to the Bombers 3-1-19. Ball spinning back into play. Draper doing the ruck work here against Marshall. Tries to fend him off and then wins down the tap, but straight to Hill of the Saints. Gets the hand pass away to Sinclair. Swings onto his right-hand side. Kicks towards Owens, who's outnumbered. 2-on-1. He almost took the mark and then got rid of Redman. McGrath was taken high. A late whistle, but the advantage is taken for the Bombers as Merritt kicks up to the wing. Draper the target. He takes the mark. Rises over the top of Wilkie.
So Langford's the only Bomber inside 50. He comes out to take the mark at half forward. Langford with the ball at half forward. Can spot Stringer inside the forward pocket and hits him up. So set play there. Langford comes out of the 50. Stringer drops back to take the mark. Left forward pocket for the Bombers, kicking from about 35 out.
Good running by Stringer. He was up on the wing at the contest where Draper took the mark and then sprinted as fast as he could back into that forward pocket and ended up with a shot at goal. And he's the type of player that can put these ones through.
Starts his run up from the advertising hoarding and then puts the ball towards goals. It's across the face. It might stay in. It will. Marshall, right next to the behind post, takes the intercepting mark for the Saints. He'll be able to hold on to it there. For St Kilda have a 9-point lead.
Right, Marshall took a long time to get rid of it. Langford laid a late bump. The kick up towards half-back. Philippou can't claim the mark. Cox for the Bombers. Now pass away towards Parrish under enormous pressure. It spills out to Caminiti. He's locked up by Cox and the umpire. Ball it up at right half forward for the Bombers, who've worked their way back into this contest after the Saints had the dominance inside 50 early. Draper wins down the tap. Caldwell tries to get it to Sammy Durham. Through traffic, Martin just got the hand pass away. Jones with a good little sidestep around Durham for the Saints. Kicks up towards the wing. Higgins is outnumbered 2-on-1. Ben Mackay is able to take the mark with the support of Cox. Turns and comes inboard to Laverty. Into the centre square, he kicks to Andy McGrath. He's looking to dash down onto the outer side.
So goes to the outer side of Docklands, kicks it out wide. The mark's taken there by Jones. So Jones, having kicked Essendon's first goal of today, has it between wing and half forward for the Bombers. Just a long kick inside 50 where a pack will form. It'll fall down the bottom. Kick will come away, but it'll dribble over the boundary line for a throw-in. So still locked inside Essendon's forward 50.
Yeah, St Kilda making it hard for themselves. Obviously, they've got all their numbers in their defensive 50 besides, I think, 3 players right now. So against Essendon, they've got about 5 or 6 players out. They're making it very hard to try and get some territory and maintain it. So just got to make sure that the three guys that are up there just try and force another contest. So it's about 3v1 at each contest in their forward line.
And it's difficult still here. St Kilda managed to get it outside of their defensive 50, but then it comes straight back in off the hands of Draper after some fumbles. Sinclair now holding the ball in defensive 50, gets a hand pass away as the siren sounds to mark the end of the first quarter, which saw a pretty dominant St Kilda early on until Essendon fought back with the last 2 goals of that quarter. The margin 9 points to St Kilda's advantage. It's St Kilda 4-4-28 leading Essendon 3-1-19. The goal kickers in the first quarter, Jake Stringer, Xavier Dersma and Harrison Jones with 1 each for Essendon, while it was singles as well to Anthony Caminiti, Jack Sinclair, Dan Butler and Jack Higgins.
So there was a late change with Harrison Jones coming in for Will Setterfield for the Bombers. Nick Hind and Angus Hastie on debut were the subs this afternoon. The Saints had 6 of the first 8 scores of the match, but the Bombers able to finish with a bit of a flurry there to reduce the margin to just 9 points at the first break. On the SMS 0437 774 774, we'd love to hear from you. Brad from Belmont is belting up the Northwest Highway, enjoying the commentary. Looking forward to ripping the lips off a couple of fish. Go the Bombers. Hello to you, Brad. Rachel wants to know, is 2-metre Peter fully fit? He's not out there, unfortunately, this afternoon, Rachel. Peter Wright is suspended, so he's got 4 weeks on the sideline for his bump on Harry Cunningham. And another question coming through, is there any statistical proof scoring is higher since the roof is closed? We might have to take that one on notice and dig our way into the record books. Great to have your company for Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport, on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button.
It's the most magical time of the year, right? Footy season. This season you can get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app. Unbelievable. AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered.
If he does, he bounces and throws.
Every goal, try, mark and tackle, called by ABC Sport's expert commentary team.
A wonderful goal! Game, set, bingo!
100% pure footy, live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Spills down the way of Butler. Hand pass to the Saints. He works it away to Owens. Hand pass to Higgins. Swings onto the right-hand side. And Jack Higgins has the opening goal of the match.
It'll be Redmond running after. He taps it, but he taps it to the advantage of Owens of St Kilda. Doesn't have anyone long inside 50, so hand passes it to Higgins, who kicks right directly into the middle of the 50 and finds Sinclair standing all alone. So Jack Sinclair directly in front, 30 metres out, eases it towards goals, puts it through. Goldstein from 55, looks like he's going to launch it, then towards goals, then decides to put it in the hot spot. And it was the right decision with Jones coming in there to take the mark.
And that's just a veteran kick. He sold that he was either going for goal or he was trying to kick that 50 metres to top the square.
Jones just swiped in at the last second to take the mark, straight in front. The late in has got Essendon's first goal of the afternoon with a Saitsia with another shot. Philippou has the ball, instead chooses to hand pass to Caminiti, who hand passes it to Butler, dodges traffic, dodging and weaving, puts it on the just scraped it through. His teammate had to move out of the way, but he's dribbled it through for a goal. Had to go backwards to Menzie. Oh, the Cookwood kick was no good again from Menzie. Another mistake from the Bombers leads to a St Kilda goal. It's Caminiti on the end of this one.
That's just a lazy kick. You can't be missing a 10-15 metre kick, especially in your back 50.
Draper wins down the tap to mirror. It's socket off the ground by Perkins. Gets it up towards the 50. Collision as Stocker and Wanganeen Miller took out each other. Langford kicks towards Stringer, end over end. Knocks it down to Caldwell. Gets the hand pass away to Dersma. This time, the Bombers strike truly.
Andy McGrath, the vice-captain for the Bombers, coming in to take the intercept pass and put the Bombers inside 50 to Jake Stringer, standing there, well-weighted kick. Stringer with 4 goals in round 1, 3 goals in round 2, and he's got his first for round 3. The Bombers now with 2 on the trot.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
The Bombers finish at the last 2 goals of the quarter, but it's the Saints who lead by 9 points at the first change, 4-4-28 to Essendon 3-1-19. Great to have your company for Saturday afternoon footy. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Andrew Mays down on the boundary. The thoughts of your experts Nathan Burke and Chad Wingard.
Yeah, obviously St Kilda had such a hot start. I think they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. I thought they had an extra couple of shots or opportunities that just led astray. I think that set shot and then that missed kick inside forward 50, which should have hit a target. And then obviously letting Essendon just a little sniff towards the last probably 5-10 minutes of the quarter, just owned the territory, and a couple turnovers that were a bit costly. They changed angles, and then they obviously got a set shot on goal. And then stringing that goal, that's tough to stop. Obviously, it's a transition mark, and then the lead up by Langdon, that was impressive. I think he's been great all day. I think he's obviously half directed about 4 contests, and obviously got a nice lead up there where it was right in the buckets where he wants it. But yeah, I think Essendon are going to have to go a little bit more direct if they want to stay in this. I don't think as soon as they went to more of a kicking game rather than a handball receive, it invited the St Kilda pressure. And and the worry for St Kilda at the moment is if they don't get turnovers, can they generate enough scores? Obviously, they're not a high-scoring team. They're a very defensive-minded team. So whether they can not take too many numbers away from their forward line and not let the tall defenders of the Essendon to really set up and just mark everything that comes by, I think they're probably the 2 different things that I'm worried about from both sides.
So Brad Scott Berkey would be happy with the response, but had the Saints kicked truly, it could have been a 4 or 5 goal margin.
Yeah, look, there's a really clear danger for the Bombers. If they overuse the ball, it's going to invite St Kilda's pressure. If they can turn the ball over in that middle of the ground, well, half the Essendon team, they're very good at running forward. If the ball gets turned over, it's going to be a really open forward line, and the Saints have got a very mobile forward line without Max King down there, so they're going to score really, really heavily. So does that mean that they handball the ball less? I'm saying yes. I'm saying the way that they've looked dangerous at the moment, we know Rowan Marshall has taken a few marks down there, but if you can bring that ball to ground, Langford can take marks, Jones can take marks, took one in the corridor, Stringer can take marks, get the ball in there as quickly as you possibly can. That's when the Saints are vulnerable. So let's see whether they've learnt from that. If they try and overdo it through the middle, invite the Saints' pressure, they will get scored against pretty heavily.
Australian Football Hall of Fame member Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport alongside 2-time All-Australian Hawthorn forward Chad Wingard. And apparently they had a bit of a technical issue on the scoreboard below us on the commentary side, so still North Melbourne was the logo there for a lot of the first quarter, despite them playing on Good Friday. Second quarter about to get underway. St Kilda leading by 9 points. In the middle of the ground, it's Goldstein who wins down the tap, but Marshall gets the rove. Gets the hand pass away to Steele, who links up with Winhager. Hand pass away to Burns, kicks up towards half forward. Phillippo tries to juggle the mark, not paid in the eyes of the umpire. He's ragdolled to the turf by Sammy Durham, and the umpire will
play
pull
on
off.
with him, Mark.
Do you know my theory about bald umpires, Chad?
I can't wait to hear this. Tell me.
Think about where you're going here with this comment, as it's knocked out by Jack Steele of the Saints. Got it to Stocker. Retreats back by a hand to Brad Hill. He kicks up towards the forward 50. Mitch Owens comes charging out. Little shove. It got to the back. Tim Membry's onto it. Hand pass to Higgins. Tries to knock it forward. Caminiti can't knock it out. A chance once more for Membry. He gets it away to Mitch Owens. He's brought down by Laverty, but not before he got the hand pass away. Phillippo knocks it out to Membry. They have more numbers there, the Saints. Phillippo can't take it cleanly. Under pressure, McGrath kicks it straight to the boundary. How will the umpire view this? Insufficient intent.
For those playing along at home, that was the Saints' first free kick of the game. 5-0 in the first quarter.
Does that go into your theory with the thought head?
No, I'll tell you at half-time.
And Ryan Burns is going to receive the free kick. He's up against the fence in the left forward pocket. So a tough shot on goal here as he tries to open up the angle, and in the end it's a centering ball. Have a fly at that. Caminiti's in the pack, can't gather. Goldstein tries to work it back. It's only metres out from the Saints' goal. It's rushed through in the end by Nick Martin and through for a minor score. St Kilda leading by 10 points. Andrew Mays on the boundary.
Plenty of work at half-time amongst the Essendon coaching staff. Interesting to see the way the wingers react for St Kilda as well. Brad Hill, as good a runner as he is, he's a very good coach out there for them too. Always seeing marshalling up the field.
Thanks, Maisie. McGrath and Cox working the wall to half back for the Bombers. Kick goes over the line, goes up the wing and then over the line. Wilkie just tossing it back to the umpire, where we'll have a throw in centre wing. Docklands this afternoon. Saints holding the advantage in the game. The Bombers coming back late in that first term. As the ball's tossed in, Goldstein and Marshall go at it. It's Heppel who can pick it up, then kick Essendon to half forward. Running onto it though is Wilkie for the Saints. Hand passes it in the path of Marshall. Philippou comes in, spins around a full 360. Hand pass to Hill, who can hand pass it across to Ross. He hand passes it back to Sinclair, who this time puts it on the boot for the Saints. And Owens is running up to take the mark. He got a break on Laverty, and Mitch Owens takes the mark 40 metres out from goals for St Kilda.
And that was pure reaction time. He was actually behind their Essendon player then, so he actually just read the ball a lot better. Owens just quick to react, obviously a forward, actually a bread and butter, and did all his work late, which is not normally what you hear. So he was behind his defender and just read the ball off the boot and just jumped in front of his opponent. So he's about 35 out, directly in front.
So Owens had a shot in the first quarter. Second shot for the day to put goal number 1 on. The rising star of a forward from the Saints gets the goal. Mitch Owens with his first for the afternoon, and it's the Saints with their 5th. The margin now 16 points, St Kilda's advantage, 5-5-35, leading Essendon 3-1-19. Just a few minutes played in the second quarter.
I know teams avoid it at all costs, Chad, but sometimes just throw it on your boot, get the ball forward inside 50, 1 out, can work wonders. We try and manufacture everything so it's all perfectly and beautiful and hit the guy leading on the chest, but I think we get as many goals from just a scramble than we do with those perfect ones.
Yeah, definitely outside of stoppages. So when it's a mixed play like that, when it comes to stoppages, teams allowed to get set up. But when it's in the middle of the ground, just a general play, getting it forward sometimes is obviously better for the forward. You're going to read it off the boot better.
Back in the middle, Goldstein, one down the tap against Marshall. Bust his way through was Marcus Windhager. He's locked up. The umpire will ball it up just to the left of the centre circles. Archie Perkins with a good tackle for the Bombers. Thrown up, Goldstein wins it down once more. Kelly trying to knock it back to Goldstein. Hand pass away. Kick from Perkins was right into the opponent, and a bounce straight back into the path of Steele. It kicks it towards Membry. Dropped an easy mark. Back onto it. Hand pass to Higgins, who snaps on his left, and he's got it. Jack Higgins with his second. Wasn't the prettiest passage of play, but in the end it ended up in the right hands, and Jack Higgins, who doesn't need to look where the goals are, puts through his second. And the Saints have 2 quick ones to start the second quarter through 5 minutes. They lead by 22 points. 6-5-41 to the Bombers, 3-1-19.
It was a great kick by Jack Steele because everyone was leading out to the commentary side, but Tim Membry went straight down the middle. He hooked it back, hit him right on the chest, but amazingly he still had enough time to pick up the ball and handball the ball to Jack Higgins, whose opponent is, I think, at Southern Cross Station, because he's nowhere near him at the moment.
Yeah, only one guy's happy about that drop back, and that's Higgins. It's the leg of it. Yeah, no one's near him again. And they're not working back.
It's a clearance out the middle. How can the ball get forward to a small forward and have no one within 30 metres of him?
So back in the middle, Zach Jones tried to gather the footy. He couldn't and was tackled. Windhager went after it. He's dispossessed. Burns in there as well for St Kilda. Zach Jones back, working his way through there. Hand pass to Windhager. Hand pass to Wanganeen Millerer, who can flick it across to Stocker. Stolen, though, by Stringer, right at half forward for Essendon. He's tackled, and Windhager can steal it back for the Saints. Burns with the footy left half back now for St Kilda. He'll hand pass back towards Wilkie, who tries to steady things for St Kilda and chips the ball up towards left half back where Stocker marks. Goes down the wing and finds Membry. Membry can now move St Kilda to left half forward. Slow steady here coming from the Saints where Sharman will mark. And with his kick, he'll be able to put St Kilda inside 50. It'll bounce just in front of Caminiti. He's tackled to the ground. Umpire will say play on. It's Redmond now in a bit of pressure for the Bombers, holding the footy in the right back pocket. Can hand pass to Martin, who can kick Essendon out of defensive 50 to some space.
Up towards Menzies, who couldn't take the mark. Stocker emerges from it, kicks up towards half forward, and Burns marks to the Saints. Right on the paint of 50 out to the left. Quarterback coming inboard for Steele. He stepped off his line to call to play on. Kicks towards Rowan Marshall. He and Draper tangle. It spills to the back. Wilson's onto it. Hand pass to Steele. The St Kilda captain can't get it to Butler. Emerging Sam Draper. The mullet flocking. He kicks towards half forward. It's on the bounce, and Cordy was waiting for just that kick. Repels to the Saints. Hand pass away to Wilkie. Kicks out to the far wing where Brad Hill takes the mark. Between wing and half forward. He looks up inside 50, comes into the corridor. It's wide for Zach Jones, who tries to lunge onto it. Hand pass around Gresham, gets it to Sinclair. Having to work his way out of traffic. Wilson gets the hand pass to Hill. Brad Hill brought down by Stringer. Good pressure. Battle gathers the loose footy. Hand pass to Sinclair. Kicks the Saints up towards half forward, but Xavier Dersma takes the mark for the Bombers at left half back. St Kilda by 22 points.
It's 3 minutes of ugly football. Just players overdoing it. There's no need for all those kicks to go sideways and handballs missing targets.
So Dersma then went back to the top of the goal square to Mackay, kicked it out towards Martin. Right back pocket, he takes a bounce as he runs outside of 50, kicks forward towards Kelly.
Glad he found Kelly because there was no other Essendon players that bothered to push over there at all.
That's basically what Kelly did with his hand, asking his players to come forward. And he finally finds Martin, who's kept running up there, and Martin will switch sides of the ground again to find Dersma. He'll try and speed things up a little bit. Put the Bombers inside 50. Jones comes rising in again, comes from behind, in front of the pack, and takes the mark for Essendon inside 50.
Well done by Dersma. He just got the ball on that centre wing, didn't wait for the short passes, didn't wait for players to spread out to the wing, just wheeled around, got the ball to a really dangerous spot, 25 metres out from goal, and trusted his forwards to actually take a mark.
Jones kicking again from directly in front, 35 metres out. He's looking to make the most of his late inclusion into the side. Skips in, launches the ball towards goals, and he's got 2 for the afternoon. Jones with another, and St Kilda's margin now at 16 points. It's Essendon 4-1-25, trailing St Kilda 6-5-41 after 9 minutes in the second quarter.
Yeah, like you said, Dersma is lucky he did take that on because they're looking a little bit lethargic on offence. No one's really working for it. Got a bit stagnant, and just that switch kick just opened them up, and then obviously forcing the forwards to run and jump at it. It was a great kick and dangerous kick, because if we mark it, it's 30 metres out. It's almost a dead set shot on goal, and obviously a goal. But they looked a little bit tired with their ball movement. So whether that's the pressure from St Kilda getting at them or just a constant defending. So to see if they can get their energy up and going.
Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport. 5 inside 50s to 2. The Saints' way so far in this second quarter. Sam Draper reaches over, slaps it forward. Was Durham taken high? He was, as he put his head over the footy and was collected by Jack Steele. Free kick will go the way of the Bombers. Durham gets the hand pass away to Nick Martin. Kicks inside 50 over the head of Langford. Lunging forward, no mark claimed. Under pressure, Rowan Marshall now as he tries to knock the footy out. He eventually becomes the tackler. And Harry Jones locked underneath, and Hobbs trying to rip it clear. 15 metres out from the Bombers' goal. Marshall and Draper, a tangle. Marshall tries to slap it down in the direction of Cordy. Tackle dispossessed. Langford through traffic, kicks the goal. So creative. Cole Langford, not a lot of room to move, but was able to just get boot to ball. And all of a sudden the Bombers had a couple of quick goals in succession. A couple of lead back to 10 points the Saints' way. 6-5-41 to the Bombers, 5-1-31. 11 minutes gone, second quarter on ABC Sport.
Pretty poor defending there by the Saints. It was Cordy who got his hands on the ball first, but couldn't get a handball away. But all of the Saints players were just standing flat-footed, waiting for to get that handball receive. And it was Langford who was the most proactive. He was the one guy moving around the contest, wanted the ball the most, and really smart low-down kick underneath the attempted smother. So well done by the Bombers to hit back with 2, but get the ball to the really dangerous part of the ground, centre right in front of the goals. That's where they've kicked all their goals today, so that should show them. Let's not go around the boundary line. Let's not get the ball out wide. Let's get the ball to that dangerous spot, because we've got the forwards who can actually score goals.
2 goals in a row to the Bombers in response to the 2 goals consecutively for the Saints. As the ball's tossed back into the middle, it's Ross who can hand pass, and Wanganeen Miller picks up. Hand passes back to Steele, who flicks it to Zach Jones. He shoves it on the boot this time to put the Saints inside 50. It'll be a mark taken by Sharman. Took the footy at its highest point, rose up, and the Saints will have another shot at goal.
Well done by Zach Jones. The Saints were in danger actually being too cute with the football. They've been handballing far too much this quarter, get themselves into trouble, waiting for that perfect one. Zach just got it, threw it on the boot, and again, trust your forwards to read the ball, jump up and take the ball at its highest point. And in the end, it was an uncontested mark.
So Cooper Sharman, 45-degree angle. There's a couple of goals for the season already. Kicks towards goals. It's offline the moment it leaves his boot, but it'll just sneak in for a behind. So Saints' margin extends to 11 points, 12 and a half minutes gone in the second quarter.
On the SMS 0437 774 774. Cheer out to Marcus in South Melbourne, who's making chicken Kiev. Why is the roof closed on such a beautiful day? Don't start that, Marcus. Not designed to have the roof open, unfortunately, during the day. We couldn't tell you what the weather's like outside. Derham brings the ball across the defensive 50, links up with Kelly. Gets the hand pass away to Nick Martin. That kick is a little loose. Xavier Dersma's able to gather at left half back. Gets the hand pass to Laverty, back inside the defensive 50 to Jake Kelly. Game 150 for the former Crows defender as he comes inboard to Nick Martin. He works it to Parrish.
Up to 20 possessions already.
So he's brought his own footy this afternoon. Nick Martin with 21. Mason Redmond the next highest with 11. The kick into the middle of the ground. Free kick for over the shoulder. It's going to go the way of the Saints, and Seb Ross will take it to the left of the centre circles.
Seb Ross kicks out towards the City wing. Mark taken by Ryan Burns. So looking ahead of him, working out whether to go straight ahead or kick out wide to Battle. He opts to go straight ahead, kicks forward, punched away by Cox. It's punched all the way out of defensive 50 for the Bombers. Picked up by Hobbs, who's running around under pressure, can spin around and kick in the Langford direction. Bounces over his head, and Wilkie can pick up for the Saints. He hand passes it out wide. Goes past Bonner, which means the Bombers can pick up here again. Langford can hand pass away. Merritt with the footy. Hand passes it forward. It allows the Saints in here. Zach Jones picks up. He gets around some traffic. Bombers defenders can't catch him. He can take a bounce again. Hand pass it to Philippou, who flicks one in towards Wanganeen Millera in the centre square. He dodges around Goldstein easily. Hand passes across to Jones. And this time Jones will kick it inside 50. And he finally finds the gap to get it to Caminiti.
It's frustrating at times. We wish players had actually kicked the footy, but in the end, it worked out all right. It was just a bit of Seb Ross composure there that waited for a forward to get free. But boy, oh boy, for traditional football followers who just love people to kick the ball the way you're facing, it's hard to watch.
So it's Cooper Sharman taking the mark with the footy. 45 degrees out, opposite side to where he was kicking before. Just eases this one towards goals, and again he's hit the post, so hits the left goal post. The second goal post hit that we've had today. St Kilda leading by 12 points though now, 15 minutes played.
Couple of hinds for Cooper Sharman as Heppel kicks the Bombers out to half-back. Perkins, Langford can't take the mark. Caldwell it was, spills the way of Hill, kicks inside 50. Martin makes the spoil for the Bombers. Spills past Higgins. Butler trying to charge his way in. The Bombers have the numbers. Heppel with the hand pass away to Dersma. Back to Dyson Heppel. The former captain goes short. And Caldwell marks in the left back pocket. Saints by 12 points. 6-7-43 to the Bombers 5-1-31. Kicks up towards Stringer, who takes the mark close to the boundary. Just in front of Cordy, he wheels out on the right-hand side, turns it straight over. Couldn't get it to Langford. Winhager takes the mark, risky kick in the middle of the ground. Sharman cannon into. He regathers the footy. Hand pass to Wilkie off balance. Wilkie kicks out to the wing. The foot races on. Tim Membry should get there first in front of Nick Martin. And St Kilda forward gathers. Hand pass away to Burns. Looks up inside 50. Philippou the target. Caminiti at the back. It's Heppel who flies in the middle and takes the mark for the Bombers. Inboard to Redmond. A little too casual. He did have the arms chopped. And was almost left blushing if it had been spoiled late there. St Kilda by 12 points.
Yeah, St Kilda had a clear defensive change, so they're laying back a little bit and inviting them to try and, if Essendon are going to kick it, they're trying to pick them off. So they're actually helping each other out. We call that 1.5 man defensive mentality. So you got your man, but then you got a half in a position to help your teammate. So they're having the ability to drop off their teammate a little bit, but still cover him. And that's why you can see so many players picking off these kicks. You can just see, even from the kick in, there's only about 3 players inside their forward 50, and then they're inviting them to kick.
So Redmond and Cox combined to kick it down the wing. Battle sent it back the other way, and now the Bombers have ping-ponged it back the other way to centre wing. Umpire will say play on here. Crowd not happy. As Philippou runs into some traffic and can get the ball out, then kick inside the centre square. Wanganeen Miller is there. Hand passes to Ross, who can kick inside 50 again. The Bombers have left a player all alone in Higgins. Kai runs up to him late, but it's Higgins who'll have a shot from 40 metres out, again, almost directly in front.
Essendon supporters are whinging about a dropping the ball free kick, but it's not actually a free kick. If you don't have prior opportunity, all you have to do is attempt to kick the ball. You don't have to successfully kick it. In effect, you can drop the ball.
So Higgins, for his third, is offline. St Kilda now 6'8", 44, leading the Bombers 5-1-31. 18 minutes gone in the second term here at Docklands.
And Saints supporters, I can hear them now saying, here we go again. If there's been a team over the last couple of years who can shoot themselves in the foot with bad kicking, it's been the Saints.
Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport. Possession number 24 for Nick Martin, who's doing the kick-in duties. No mark claim. Under pressure, Dersma can't get a pass roll on Marshall, and the Saints take it back. Sinclair to Bonner, kicks inside 50. Laverty dealt with an awkward half volley ball. Hand pass away to Nick Martin. Hand pass away to Perkins to Hairpool, not pretty. Got it back to Perkins. Hand pass away to Cox. At centre half back, kicks up towards Gresham. Sliding in front, Wanganeen Miller takes the mark. He juggled it on the second bite. Is it just attacking side of the centre circles? Hand pass away to Battle. St Kilda in rhythm. Driving kick towards the teeth of goal. Membry sets himself. Spoiled away by Ben Mackay from behind. Front and centre. Andy McGrath has it locked to his chest. Jack Higgins locked to him, and the umpire will ball it up 15 metres out from the Saints' goal.
So right in the hot spot at the Coventry end of Docklands. Tapped away. Perkins tried to pick it up. He couldn't. Cox could for the Bombers. Hand passes it to Martin. Shoves it on his boot to get some distance, and it'll bounce once before getting out of the 50. Langford running onto it for the Bombers at left half back. Happy to just see this one over the boundary line and paddle it there. So we'll have a throw in where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary line, heading towards St Kilda's attacking end of the ground. So St Kilda ahead by 13 points, having got out to 21 points at one point during the first quarter. Ball's tossed in. Draper taps it down, picked up by Dersma. Hand passes it away to Caldwell, who can then hand pass it away to Parrish. On his hands and knees, hand pass away to Dersma. He just kicks it off the ground to try and gain an advantage. Bonner running after it. Gresham pushes him off the footy and can get it in the Hobbs direction. He's taken in a tackle by Battle, and the umpire will have to come and toss it up right at centre wing at St Kilda, leading by 13 points as we tick over to extra time in the second quarter.
The voice of Lauren Borden calling the action alongside Matt Clinch. Andrew Mays down on the boundary. Chad Wingard and Nathan Burke, your experts. The Bombers through McGrath. Hand pass into the middle of the ground. Perkins at the driving kick over the head of Langford. Wilkie dropped the mark. A chance into the open goal. Kelly can't get a boot to it. It stays in up against the left goal post. Trying to get the hand pass to Gresham. He tried to throw a boot at it. And off hands it goes out of play. Up against the left behind post. It was a bit of the Keystone Cops for the Bombers. Only metres out from the goals, but just couldn't find a way to finish it.
It was long odds for it to actually go out of bounds. It was had to be a point or a goal or something, but Wilkie, we never ever see him drop those marks.
Thrown back in, it bounces off the forehead of Marshall as Draper went down, no whistle. Winhager, a couple of goes, missed it. St Kilda captain Steele gathers, hand pass to Wilson. Last line of defence, kicks a long ball up towards half back. Lying through the pack, Dyson Heffel takes the mark. The rejuvenated former captain, 31 years of age, he probably doesn't have 50 metres left in him. As he looks into the pocket, Stringer offers a lead. He goes more central than that. Draper sets himself, flies in the pack with Jones, can't come down with it. Hops through traffic. Was he taken high by Marshall? Play on's the call. Wanganeen Miller gathers. Hang on, there's a whistle.
Throw.
It's a throw and a St Kilda free kick. And Rowan Marshall will take it in the left back pocket for the Saints.
Marshall hand passes to Bonner. Left back pocket, and Bonner will go long along the outer wing, but McGrath sits back there, takes an easy intercept mark for the Bombers. So he'll chip it further forward. Again, it's a poor kick from the Bombers, another one for the day. Luckily Hobbs can pick it up, hand passes it away to Martin. His kick is smothered by Mitch Owens over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for the Bombers. So Essendon with a couple of goals this term. Margin now at 13 points. Still St Kilda's advantage. Have led from the outset of the game right until this point. The umpire throws the ball in. And Draper puts his hand, palms it down. Picked up by Philippou of the Saints. He can kick St Kilda quickly to half forward. Membry's there. Mackay was with him the whole time. Heppel runs in. He's taken in the tackle. Hand pass to Mackay. Hand passes it to Dersma. Working the ball along the broadcast wing can find its way to Harry Jones in front of the Essendon bench.
Returns and comes inboard on the bounce to Dyson Heppel, who gathers. It's a precise pass around the wing, and Ben Hobbs marks on his chest. Still two good kicks out from goal, though. Stringer is deep. Draper as well sends it in that direction. Cal Wilkie trying to get back, just can't complete the mark. Onto it, Wilson for the Saints. Hand pass towards Marshall, almost pinched by Merritt. Spills away a Bonner. His kick is out on the full. He'll be coming back as the Bombers will take it between wing and half forward. St Kilda by 13 points, 6-8-44. The Bombers 5-1-31. Andy McGrath out to the right, kicks long towards Draper and Jones. Neither can take the mark. Steal there for the Saints. Hand pass to Bonner. Tackled by Merritt. Did he get away with it? He did. Not sure he got a legal hand pass away, but the ball did spill out in the tackle and rolls out of play up against the left behind post. Bombers trying to bring a little bit more intent.
Didn't have throw opportunity anyway, so
throwing right to the hot spot for Essendon. It's palmed down to Merritt. He can't pick it up. Ross hand passes it away to Bonner. Kicks the Saints out of defensive 50. Again, it's towards Membry and he can't take the mark. Essendon with a look in here. Cox hand passes to McGrath. Puts them inside 50. Marshall's at the back. He's tackled by Merritt. This is his falling. And Merritt ensures the Bombers will lock it in their arc for a ball up 30 metres out from Essendon's goal. So Marshall just slow to get up after being tackled into the turf. But he can get the tap out here. It's straight towards Parrish, though. Shoves it on his boot for a snap at goal. But he misses to the left-hand side. So St Kilda advantage now, 2 straight goals after 24 minutes in the second quarter.
Again, poor defending there by the Saints. There's no way known Parrish should have gotten free at that point.
Wanganeen Miller, a beautiful kick into the middle of the ground, although Bonner dropped it. Had to soccer it forward away from Zach Merritt. The Bombers are well set. Martin with a hand pass to Cox. Hand pass to Perkins. Sinclair with a lunging tackle. It spills to Harrison Jones. Hand pass away to McGrath. Gets it to Parrish. Good lateral kick out to the right. He spots Jake Kelly having pushed forward. He marks just inside 50 out to the right. And game 150, he's going to give it off and goes wider. And out to Kyle Langford, who takes the mark just 5 metres in from the boundary, deep in the right forward pocket. He's kicked a goal this afternoon, but just the 5 disposals so far.
He's gained 5 metres, but sacrificed about 15 degrees of angle.
Saints got out by 22 points at the opening 2 goals of the second quarter. Just to pull it back to a goal. Langford hard against the boundary in the right forward pocket. It's not a bad effort, but it's near side all the way, a minor score. St Kilda by 11 points at the 25-minute mark of the second quarter. On the SMS 0437 774 774. Jerry pointing out that Jay Gresham just a couple of touches before half-time. G'day, Jerry, listening in from Canberra.
Sinclair with the kick in to Bonner. Left back pocket. Bonner will switch it here towards Wilkie. It'll be stolen here by Jones for Essendon. He bends, sidesteps Wilkie and puts it to the hot spot. Seeing if there's a mark. Looking for Stringer. Stringer couldn't take it. Gresham comes in there, hands and knees. Ross is there for the Saints. Then Gresham tackles Ross. And the free will be paid towards Seb Ross of the Saints. So it's the Saints again that'll emerge from here after a mistake in their defensive 50. And Ross can chip it to the left back pocket where he finds Bonner.
He looks to drive a long kick up towards the wing. Membry's the target, can't get a fly at it. Heppel spoils it down. Philippou stripped of it as he gathered in the tackle. Sammy Durham tries to knock it out. Cox tries to fend off the Burns tackle for the Bombers. And then eventually gathers hard against the boundary. Kicks and gains territory. But it goes out of play in the right forward pocket through Riley Bonner, and a boundary throw in. With the Bombers in attack, but the Saints leading by 11 points.
Getting repeat inside 50s for probably the first time in the game. The Saints are really struggling to get it outside their defensive 50s, so they need to capitalise with a goal here, the Bombers.
16-14, the Bombers inside 50s in this second quarter. Steele trying to get a clearance away, can't break clear. As Rowan Marshall lays the tackle and the umpire will ball it up. Archie Perkins on the bottom of the pack. Saints by 11 points, closing in on half-time.
Still time for Essendon to score a late goal. 40 metres out. Draper bashes it away. into the path of Perkins. Falls over the footy, goes back for it, tackled. Everyone looks around to see what the umpire will say. And there'll be another ball up. Side 50 for Essendon. Quickly tossed up. Draper just kicks it out of the air. It's Cordy that can pick it up for St Kilda and clear defensive 50 for the Saints. Laverty pushes it forward in the McGrath direction. He's beaten to the footy by Higgins. Soccers it forward to gain some distance for the Saints. Battle goes after it, or Butler goes after it rather. So did Perkins. It's the Saints still with the footy. Tackle from Laverty. Won't be rewarded for his tackle against Membry. Saints still slowly edging it forward. Owens taps it around. And then he goes after it. Then he's tackled by two Bombers and kept on the floor. Fenwing outer side of the ground.
They can have a whinge, these Essendon supporters, can't they?
Yeah, we almost don't need us here. We can listen to them.
I thought Carlton supporters were bad.
So it's St Kilda ahead by 11.
Thrown up, quick kick forward by the Saints. Cox left it behind. Membry's hand pass to Higgins. Is there time for one late? Mitch Owens to the hand pass over the top. Charging forward. Higgins one way, Heppel the other. Could have almost been high contact as though Higgins is down. Heppel, I think, caught one to the face. It's gathered by Jake Kelly. Gets the hand pass to Laverty, who kicks up towards half-back, and the siren sounds for half-time. Don't need to listen too sharply to hear the response from the Essendon fans, who feel like they've been on the wrong side of a few of the umpires' calls. But at half-time, it's the Saints who lead by 11 points, 6-8-44 to the Bombers 5-3-33. St Kilda in that second quarter kicking 2 goals 4 to the Bombers 2-2. Having led by 9 points, the Saints at quarter time. For the Saints, a couple of goals so far to Jack Higgins, individuals to Owens, Butler, Sinclair and Caminiti. Meanwhile, for the Bombers, 2 goals to Harrison Jones, who was the late inclusion for this afternoon's match for Will Setterfield. Individuals to Langford, Stringer and Dersma. Half-time here at Docklands under the roof. It's the Saints who lead by 11 points. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Andrew Mays down on the boundary. The thoughts of Nathan Burke and Chad Wingard with you.
Yeah, that last 10 minutes was actually hard to watch. It was pretty scrappy. I thought St Kilda were almost a little bit too aggressive from their back 50. Like, for that defender to try and keep the ball in when he could have just taken it over the goal line, almost created another shot on goal. And then that kick in that they had to Bonner, where Bonner dropped the mark, that was actually a set play. So you could see Bonner was setting his defender up. He pretended he was going to get a lead up and then led out the back. And that was a set play with about 3 minutes left in the half. And the ball's been in their 50 for maybe 5-10 minutes. And it's been in and out. And to have that gutsy call to try and kick the ball from a kick in all the way through the middle, if he marks it, yep, it could be inside 50, it could be a shot on goal. But because he drops it, it goes the other way, and they actually get a shot on goal. Lucky they missed it from the far side with Langford actually having that shot. Very aggressive from their back 50, but what happens with St Kilda? They put all their numbers back into the defensive 50. They source that so heavily that when they do win a clearance or they do get it back, they're kicking it forward. They're asking a hell of a lot from their small forwards, whether it's a tall forward or a small forward down there. They're outnumbered by maybe 2 to 4, 2 to 5, but it's impossible for them to maintain that distance that they've gained. So that's why you're getting so many of these repeat inside 50s against. But then the benefit of that is that they're getting it back because they're marking, because they've got so many numbers and they can't score from it. I think St Kilda would actually be shooting themselves in the foot again. Like you said, they've had 6 goals, 8, and I think a lot of them were about 45 metres out, about 40 metres out, but not much of an angle. Very kickable goals, and like with Berkey said, you've seen it before with the inability to hit the scoreboard when it matters. I think it would have been a massive goal if Essendon could have snuck one in the last 5 minutes. It looked like they were going to, and I think that could have really... that momentum, you can hear the crowd getting involved now. If they got that extra one right before half-time, I think it would have been game on, like, fully, and I think the momentum into the half would have went to the Bombers. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a tough quarter to that one to watch. With not much scoring, back and forth turnover footy. I think the skills haven't been great from both sides. I didn't think it was going to be like this. I thought it was going to be a very high-scoring game. But yeah, like, we're in for a treat at the moment. Second half, we'll see what's going to happen. Yeah, Kyle Langford had that shot for the Bombers that would have made it single digits. You mentioned, Chad, throughout the call, the sort of 1.5 defensive. So is that when you feel like it's starting to become a little bit more predictable in terms of the opposition movement, and so you're trying to cut off the corridors and the intercept marks? Yeah, so it's a bit more of a zone defence. So there's either a 1v1 defensive team. So if you think about... Essendon, they're very 1v1. They follow their opponent around, where zone teams will kind of cover their man. They'll be within 5 metres, but then they'll be in a dangerous space to be able to help the player behind them. So you see with the amount of turnovers that they've caused is because of that kind of zony defence where they've helped out their defender, and it creates, I suppose, decision in the kicker's mind where to kick it, because no one's really open. It looks like everyone's open, but really 2 or 3 players can get to that kick, and that's what happens in the middle of the ground, where you've seen the Steels and the midfielders, but even the Higgins, they can get their hands in a couple of these possessions. Wangali Malira, you saw him pick one off in a centre bounce area. That's what happens when you get. That's the benefit of the zone teams, but obviously the guys they're trying to create that handball chain where they can invite their pressure. I suppose the deficit of that is that if you kick long, that they're probably going to be outnumbered, and you're going to get a run and jump at it. And you've seen their forwards, as soon as they get a run and jump at it, the Essendon forwards look very dangerous. They've had a couple marks, and they're marking it 30 out compared to where St Kilda have been taking the shots, about 45 to 50. So their shots have been, because they're going more direct, they're getting, obviously, what have they kicked? 5 goals, 3? They could have kicked sharper, but they're having easier shots on goal because of their ball movement.
Great to have the modern day insights from Chad Wingard, Hawthorn forward, Nathan Burke.
If you want the old-fashioned insights, come to me. None of this modern-day stuff, Chad. It's speaking far too much sense. I'll look at scoring shots, 14-8 in favour of the Saints. They're shooting themselves in the foot again. They have a history of doing that, and they're just not taking their dominance and putting it on the scoreboard. Martin's had 28 possessions for the Bombers, just mainly hanging around that half-back line, and just letting him go in there, do what he wants. So,
how effective do you think Mitch Turner lets us know that he's at career high is 32 disposals against North Melbourne back in round 22 last year? Had that famous debut where he kicked 5 goals and 27 disposals against the Cats, but how damaging do you feel like his disposals are in the back half?
It's a tricky one. You say 28, that's a lot. We need to do something about it. If he's getting 28, he's obviously out by himself a lot. Where's his opponent? Are we using his opponent to go through? Because he's obviously, not manning up, not being next to somebody. He's not winning 28 contested possessions. So can we actually try and exploit him going back and filling a hole and using his player to actually go through? If I'm saying Kilda, I'm probably looking at that option before I'm saying, hey, let's go put somebody on him and cut him down, because the Saints are in front. The Bombers have only had 8 scoring shots, so they're not getting transferred into a whole bunch of inside 50s and scoring shots. So I'd leave it the way it is at the moment. McGrath's had 15, Hebble's had 14, Sinclair for the Saints had 15. So those small defenders are getting a lot of the footy. I think the Saints would like Wangali Malira to have the ball in his hands a little bit more than what he's had at the moment. So whether they can get the ball to him, because he normally makes something happen. Clearances 21 to 15 in favour of the Saints, so that's working well. What I want to see from both sides, though, is just they've both got a tendency to overuse the ball, to try and get the ball to a free player to hit somebody chest out, running out of the forward line. It's not happening in this game. Both sides have looked dangerous when a player has taken it upon themselves to kick the ball inside 50. Saints have taken 9 marks inside 50, and the Bombers have taken 7 marks inside 50. So it does happen. They're not beautiful leads and hitting him on the chest, Jason Dunstall style. This is just banging the ball in and trusting your forward to read the ball better. So less mucking around, less handballing through the middle, get the ball inside 50 a bit quicker and trust your forwards to do the job, because at the moment all the defenders have got an attacking mindset. So they're thinking, I'm going to run off and get the footy, run off, get the footy. They're not thinking, I'm going to defend first. You've got to take advantage of that by getting the ball to your players quicker than what you have been in this game. So let's see whether they can adjust with that. But these clearances are going to be important because field position is important as well.
He has had 362 metres gained. Nick Martin in his 27 disposals, including 3 score involvements, just behind Riley Bonner, who's had 359 metres gained for his 11 kicks in his 11 disposals. And Andy McGrath's the other one who's been the springboard with 360 metres gained, providing the run from the back half. Half-time here at Docklands, St Kilda leading by 11 points. Still to come later tonight, Port Adelaide and Melbourne. But let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. The federal member for Perth says he hopes an inquiry into the country's COVID-19 response will reduce the need for disruptive pandemic responses in the future. In its submission, the WA government called for greater clarity between state and Commonwealth responsibilities. It claimed quarantine procedures were a federal responsibility it shouldn't have had to field during the pandemic. Member for Perth, Patrick Gorman, says he hopes the inquiry will shed light on how state and Commonwealth governments can cooperate more effectively.
When I was here in Western Australia, one of the things we saw that was so disruptive was that you had Commonwealth and states working against each other rather than working with each other. I want to make sure that we don't have to resort to some of those harsher measures if there are smarter ways of working together.
The inquiry's final report is expected to be delivered by the end of September. Queensland Police are investigating the suspected drug-related death of a woman on the Gold Coast. The 40-year-old was found by paramedics who were called to a Surfers Paradise unit complex late last night. It's believed several people were either ill or unconscious. 2 women were taken to hospital in a serious condition. The United States will impose new visa restrictions on a number of Hong Kong officials over the crackdown on rights and freedoms in the Chinese-ruled territory. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says China has continued to take action against Hong Kong's promised high degree of autonomy, democratic institutions and rights and freedoms. This includes the recent enactment of a new national security law known as Article 23. The US-funded Radio Free Asia is also shutting down operations in Hong Kong following passage of the new security law. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk says Europe has entered into a pre-war era. He says no one in Europe will feel safe if Russia defeats Ukraine on the battlefield. Mr Tusk is urging Western nations to increase the flow of weapons to Ukraine and to boost defence spending to prepare for a direct confrontation with Russia. The Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski says he's been in the United States urging Republican lawmakers to lift their blockade on American aid to Ukraine.
I was trying to persuade the Republican leadership in the House of Representatives that the cost of deterring Putin after he conquers Ukraine will be much higher, because he would do to Ukraine what he's done to Donbass, which is to take the resources, both industrial and human, and use them against us.
There's been an Easter lull in violence in strife-torn Haiti, although the population still fears another upsurge. This report from the BBC's Nomea Iqbal in Haiti.
It's relatively calm and the violence has subsided somewhat in Port-au-Prince. I'm more than 80 miles away. This is seen as a much safer part of Haiti. And it's Easter weekend. People were out on the streets here celebrating. One woman did say to us that she felt really heartbroken by what was happening to her brothers and sisters in Haiti. So whilst people are trying to get on with their normal life, of course, in the background, we know that this violence is continuing.
Japanese health officials have searched a factory operated by drug maker Kobayashi Pharmaceutical following 5 deaths possibly linked to dietary supplements using red yeast rice. A health ministry spokesperson says officials inspected the company's factory in the city of Osaka that makes the supplements containing Benai Koji red yeast, suspected of causing health damage. It follows a statement from the company yesterday that it's investigating reports of kidney disease linked to the products. In AFL, Carlton coach Michael Voss has praised former player Eddie Betts for speaking out about a racist incident targeting children outside his home. Confronting vision that Betts posted to social media shows someone shouting racial obscenities at the children who were playing basketball as they drove past Betts' home in Melbourne's Inner East on Thursday. Police are investigating the incident. Michael Voss told a post-match press conference last night that his club will support Betts any way it can.
I think we're sort of all really tired that it still exists, and we'll support him wherever we possibly can. And, also for the courage he's been able to show to speak out. One thing with Eddie is that, he always comes from a really educational approach, and, he's got amazing humility when it comes to that.
And in tennis, Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov will face the Italian men's world number 3 Jannik Sinner in the final of the Miami Open in the US. Dimitrov defeated Alex Zverev 6-4, 6-7, 6-4 in his first victory over the German player since 2014 in their semi-final. In the other semi, Sinner overpowered Russian Daniil Medvedev 6-1, 6-2.
G'day, this is Becky Cole inviting you to join me each week for Saturday Night Country. For more than 30 years, we've been playing the best in Australian country music, as well as the overseas artists that you know and love. So whether it's the classic tunes that you grew up with, the best new releases, or the interviews of your favourite acts. You'll find it all on Saturday Night Country. Saturday Night Country. Hear it anytime on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Hand pass to Hill, who can hand pass it across to Ross. He hand passes it back to Sinclair, who this time puts it on the boot for the Saints, and Owens is running up to take the mark. So Owens had a shot in the first quarter. Second shot for the day to put goal number 1 on. The rising star of a forward from the Saints gets the goal.
Kick from Perkins was right into the opponent and a bounce straight back into the path of Steele, who kicks it towards Membry, dropped an easy mark, back onto it, hand pass to Higgins, who snaps on his left and he's got it. Jack Higgins with his second.
Dersma will try and speed things up a little bit. Put the Bombers inside 50. Jones comes rising in again, comes from behind, in front of the pack and takes the mark for Essendon inside 50. Looking to make the most of his late inclusion into the side. Skips in, launches the ball towards goals, and he's got 2 for the afternoon.
Marshall tries to slap it down in the direction of Cordy, tackle dispossessed, late for through traffic, kicks the goal. So creative, Cole Langford, not a lot of room to move, but was able to just get boots a ball. And all of a sudden the Bombers had a couple of quick goals in succession to cut the lead back to 10 points the Saints' way.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Saturday afternoon footy, great to have your company on ABC Sport. Under the roof of Docklands, it's the Bombers who trail by 11 points at half-time. The Saints 6-8-44 to Essendon 5-3-33. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Chad Wingard and Nathan Burke are your experts, with Andrew Mays down on the boundary. A couple of goals to Jack Higgins for the Saints, while Harrison Jones is the multiple goal scorer, the late inclusion for the Bombers with 2 goals. He came in before the match for Will Setterfield. The subs both haven't been required as yet, so Angus Hastie on debut for the Saints and Nick Hind for the Bombers. Coming up tonight from the Adelaide Oval, it's Port Adelaide and Melbourne. We'll bring you a preview of that match at 3/4 time with Aaron Bryans. So off to the City of Churches tonight, and of course the Easter weekend continues on Monday with Hawthorn and Geelong from the MCG. Tom Hawkins playing in his 350th game. So much to look forward to across the weekend. And of course, it's all available on the ABC Listen app. Whether you want the AFL, the NRL or the NBL, we're bringing you coverage of Game 5 of the Championship, the series decider in Melbourne. So coverage is available on the ABC Listen app tomorrow. Just look for the designated button there. In the NRL, hang on, let's jump to the wrong season. Let me come back to you as to what the NRL scores are. A couple of the stats for the Bombers. We touched on Nick Martin, who leads the way with 27. Dyson Heppel with 15. Andy McGrath with 15. And Xavier Dersma with 14. Meanwhile, for the Saints, 17 to Seb Ross, 15 to Sinclair, and 12 to Jack Steele. In that quarter, it was a 2-goal apiece quarter. Thanks, Stu. You're helping me out here with the scores. So, in the NRL, there we go, week 4, that looks a bit more better than what I had, round 22. The Dragons and the Seals, 6-all after 10 minutes. Coming up later today, it's the Titans and the Dolphins. And the matches completed yesterday, it was the Broncos who were too good for the Cowboys, 38 points to 12. That's also available on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the ABC Sport button. Chad Wingard, Nathan Burke, what do you imagine the message from Brad Scott would be at half-time? Can you see them trying to play a little bit more daringly in this second half, or is it all about efficiency?
No, a bit more dare. Has to be a bit more dare. Efficient up to the middle. You don't want to turn the ball over through the middle, but we saw a little bit of a daring play where the ball went out to the wing, it got switched, a long switch in the middle to Dersma, who then just played on, kicked the ball to 25 metres out, and Harrison Jones took a mark 25 metres out. That's when they look dangerous, when they go quickly through the middle and the forwards stay home. So hopefully a bit more of that from the Bombers, whereas the Saints, again, it's their pressure. As soon as they turn the ball over, as soon as the Bombers start to overuse it, the Saints turn it over, go back at their defenders quickly, that's when they look dangerous. So the Bombers cannot afford to be too cute, because if the Saints lift up their defensive pressure, they will win that footy and they'll score heavily.
Stoppages have been in previous seasons, one of the real strengths for the Bombers, Chad. But it feels like this afternoon the Saints have been able to go to work, and I know for a couple of the Bombers fans, the frustration about the ability of the Saints players to really break through the tackles and get to the outside.
Yeah, obviously the total clearance is 21-15 in the favour of the Saints. So, yeah, Essendon obviously is their one wood. With having two ruckmen as well, you'd assume that they would win that battle. But obviously Marshall's had 16 hit-outs to St Kilda, 17 to Essendon, so no dramatic effect there. But yeah, the game's going to be won by who can put the most pressure on and who can kick a winning score. I think who can kick straight. I think St Kilda looked the most dangerous on the transition and turnovers, and Essendon look their most dangerous when they change an angle and then get it more direct. I think if they play, I think Brad Scott comes in saying, boys, we've got the momentum here. We had them under the pump. We just need to make sure we keep it in our forward 50, and good things are going to happen when we go more direct. St Kilda, I think, again, shooting themselves in the foot. I think they just need to go back to what got them rolling in the first part of the game, which was their pressure, and then now just got to finish off their work. So I think St Kilda got less worries than and they got a little bit more leeway, but Essendon have to be perfect and play their way to get back in this game and win this game.
On the SMS 0437774774, cheerio to Steve in Parkville, who's loving the commentary as he's running laps of Princes Park. Nothing better than listening to Saturday afternoon footy. And Pete from Darwin thinks that Dyson Heppel and Steve Smith are both done, judging on his analysis of Dyson Heppel's first half. 0437 774 774. Into the second half we go with Lauren Borden.
So Saints with the 11-point lead as plays restarted in the middle. It'll be St Kilda who can work it out to the broadcast wing. Hand pass from Wanganeen Milera. Went to Sinclair. He was taken in a tackle. Umpire says play on. Essendon gets into their attacking 50, but it's an intercepting mark taken by Stocker. So Wanganeen Milera with a couple of early touches gets the hand pass away from Marshall. Brings the ball right through the centre of Docklands Stadium. Pinpoint pass. He can find Mateus Philippou. Half forward for St Kilda. He'll load up on the kick to the goal square. Trying to see if there's a mark taken. Membry got both hands onto it. Did Wilson finish it off? It was touched off his boot. It hit the post. So Wilson kicked it off the ground. Bit of quick thinking from the player in his first year, but just a minor score for the Saints. Margin now out to 12 points, very early stages of the third term.
Tim Membry, somebody get him some grippo. There's two of these drops. He dropped a chest mark in that second quarter, 20 out from goal, and that one was pretty much in the end. He got rid of his opponent uncontested in the goal square.
McGrath with the hand pass away to Redmond and kicks over the head of Goldstein. And the mark is taken by Cal Wilkie. Looks to come back inboard. The All-Australian St Kilda defender to Jack Steele. Through the middle to Rowan Marshall, who takes the mark despite the late challenge from Sam Draper. He looks up towards full forward, puts it in the direction of Membry, got fingers to it. Ben Mackay makes the spoil. Dersma couldn't take it cleanly. It spills to Caminiti. He snaps across the body. He misses everything right across the face of goal and out of bounds on the full.
Had two sets of goals, he still wouldn't have scored.
So from the right forward pocket, he missed everything and put it out on the left forward pocket, about 25 metres out from goal. It's got to be harder to do that than put it through the big sticks. Some of them, any of them.
They're wasting chances here, the Saints. Good chances.
And it's Dyson Heppel, the recipient of the free kick for the Bombers. So it's a long kick out of defence. It goes to a pack. It was Stocker rather at the back. He couldn't pick it up, which means Gresham can for Essendon. Hand pass to Durham. Longer hand pass across to Caldwell. Finds himself at right half forward. He's got Langford on a one-on-one. Easy mark taken by Langford ahead of Wilkie. Runs to an open goal square. Puts it through. He's got two, and that was a quick transition there for the Bombers. St Kilda's lead now just one straight kick. 6-3-39 Essendon. St Kilda 6-9-45. 2.5 minutes gone in the third quarter, and there's not much in it anymore.
Yeah, and Essendon taking the contest, so they've obviously kicked very long, and it's just two chains then, like two handballs, and they're out the back, and that's what happens when you've got a press forward team, a team that wants to put pressure on. You can get out the back if you win that first contest. So because they're not handball chaining, they're going direct. They look very dangerous, but St Kilda again had two shots on goal, easily gettable goals, and then it goes the whole length of the field, and Essendon get a goal square goal. So that's a killer.
The voice of Chad Wingard, who at halftime gave you a great insight into the way in which the Bombers are trying to play. They've cut the margin back to 6 points early in the third quarter. Goldstein wins down the tap. Parrish can't get a disposal away. Heppel through traffic, gathers to the Bombers. Hand pass to Goldstein, away to Nick Martin. Gets the hand pass to Merritt, back to Martin. Beautiful hand passing. Martin on goal. This will bring the house down. He slams it into the left goalpost. The Essendon fans are out of their chairs before it had gone through, and it just faded late. A minor score, but much better from the Bombers. A 5-point lead St Kilda's way.
Halfway to a celebration there, the Essendon fans.
Yeah, that would have sparked the whole crowd up, that one. That would have been a huge play for the Bombers, but it wasn't to be.
So Wanganeen Miller brings it into Battle, who then switches kicks across to Cordy in the left back pocket for St Kilda. He'll kick along the broadcast wing, and it'll be Jack Steele that marks. Let's head down to Andrew Mays on the boundary.
Yeah, one move that Essendon seem to have made is Heppel, who's pushed up a little bit further to a wing. So you'll see him on the wing a little bit more in this second half, one would think.
Thanks, Maisie, as Steele kicks to Membry, and he holds on to this one, Berkey. And then he goes inside 50. Membry goes towards Marshall, and Marshall takes it on the chest.
Big Todd needed to work a bit harder there. He gave Rowan Marshall about 3 or 4 metres head start. Rowan wasn't moving that fast, but Big Todd just trailed along behind him thinking, someone else will jump in the way and get in the way there. No, big fella, that's your fella. That's your player. One-on-one, ruck inside 50, you've got to defend.
He's lining up about 40 out with a snap.
Exactly what he does. He snaps, hits the wrong part of the footy. It goes completely across the face of the goal. It'll just stay in. Owens can keep it in. It's petering along the boundary line. Caminiti gets a hand onto it. So does Hill. Then Owens goes back in, puts it on the left boot, puts it in the middle of the 50. Marshall could get 2 hands to it. McGrath's there. He's swung around in the tackle. Marshall gets it back for the Saints. Hand passes it towards Membry, shoves it on his boot. And Bombers defenders desperately hold it. So it just goes over the boundary line right next to the right behind post for a throw-in. 5 minutes into the third term. St Kilda ahead by 5 points.
It's a masterclass in how to waste chances in front of goal by the Saints.
Yeah, there's been a few misses, that's for sure. Throw in, clears Marshall and Goldstein. Out the back, quick kick by Parrish into the middle of the ground. Spoiled down by Battle. Parrish trying to regather for the Bombers. Hand pass missed Sammy Durham. Through traffic, Burns throws the arms back, wanting the whistle, doesn't get it. Parrish with a hand pass to Merrin. Kicks a spiralling ball in the middle of the ground. Wilkie's well set underneath it. He takes the mark for the Saints. Chips it out to the broadcast wing, the dock side here as Battle marks. He wants to come inboard, opens up the field in front of him, finds Zach Jones, hand pass away to Hill, kicks around his body, long towards the teeth of goal. Mitch Owens is there, Caminiti as well. Shoved out of it was Ben Mackay. A chance for Higgins, receives the hand pass, snaps over his shoulder, and Jack Higgins kicks his third.
And that's the benefit of changing angles. I know you're saying getting territory, but that quick absolutely opened up that whole 50. Bradley Hill getting that with the full steam, and he gets about 5-10 metres space and just puts it to the hot spot. Like you said, put it in a dangerous spot where even if you don't mark it, it gets to the ground and you're going to get a better shot on goal. Obviously, that was a sigh of relief for the St Kilda fans. I reckon the pressure is starting to build in terms of wanting to convert. They've had a couple shots on goal where I think Ryan Marshall from 40 out. Unless you're Paddy Ryder, I think you kick that as a drop punt. Exactly. I think there's only one man in the history that I think can snap from 50 plus, and that's Paddy Ryder. But I think they desperately needed that. That's a sigh of relief for St Kilda fans.
Aaron Mackay learned that one the hard way. There was a little bit of friendly fire. Laverty's elbow cleaned up Ben Mackay, but a great goal for Jack Higgins for his third.
Draper palms it down in the centre of the ground. Zach Jones can funnel it out towards Jack Steele. He's taken in a strong tackle by Hobbs. Ball spills out to Parrish. Can put it 45 metres out from Essendon's goals. Menzies running onto it. It's beaten to the footy though by Burns. By Stocker rather. And we'll have a throw in just outside of attacking 50 for the Bombers, kicking towards the Coventry end.
Saints absolutely needed that goal. They were bombing the ball inside 50. Getting it in there would have been travesty if they'd got no reward for that sort of effort. But luckily Jack Higgins bobs up for his third.
So Marshall and Draper go at it. Bonner can get it out. Hand pass to Sinclair. He kicks along the outer side of the ground. It'll be stopped by McGrath, who can hold on to the footy. It'll be tackled to the ground. Membry's there. So was Hill for the Saints. And we'll have a ball up just slightly forward of centre wing.
So the Saints by 11 points after the Bombers kick the opening goal of this third quarter. Spills down the way of Perkins, who tries to get the hand pass to Durham. Kick was smothered. It ricochets back to Perkins. Hand pass away to Draper. Cuts past Bonner, the big bomber, from 45 metres out. Kicks towards goal through the hands of Langford. He throws his hands to his head and realises he should have let it go. Hands up in, apologising to his big ruckman. A minor score. Saints leading by 10 points.
So Saints quickly trying to move it out of their defensive 50. Stocker with a spearing pass towards Sharman through his fingertips. McGrath puts the ball towards Langford. He spills the mark. McGrath gets it back from Hobbs. Kicks towards goals, and this time the Bombers have got it. A 45-metre goal from Andy McGrath. And they turn it around from that Draper near goal to get the 6 points this time. St Kilda's margin now just back to 4 points. Essendon 7-5-47, St Kilda 7-9-51. 9 minutes gone in the third quarter.
Yeah, McGrath absolutely gave a dart of a kick to Langford and couldn't mark it, but then he said, I'll pick it up and I'll just do it myself from about 45. So absolutely unbelievable kick off 2 steps. So again, turnovers are killer. So if you have a turnover from your back half, back 50, normally it goes back over your head. So again, they worked so hard to get that goal, St Kilda, and it's just gone just like that.
It was just Josh Battle just trying to hit, I think it was Caminetti on full steam coming along the wing. It was just too hard of a kick to make. You've just got to go long if there's nothing on. Inventing something didn't work.
Nathan Burke and Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport. Draper wins down the tap, but it's Owens who is doing the fellow ruck work. Hand pass to Steele. Hang on, free kick going the way of the Bombers. Zach Merritt is going to take it. The ball a little slow to return to him. The Essendon captain to the left of the centre circles. Kicks long towards Langford. Caught behind against Wilkie. The St Kilda defender dropped the mark. Hand pass away to Owens. To Wanganeen Millerer. Almost turned it over. The dribble kick to halfback. Ross receives. Hand pass away to Brad Hill. Kicks out towards Steele at right halfback. The Saints now up to centre wing with a hand pass away to Burns. Links up with Butler. Back to Burns. Back to Dan Butler. Hasn't really managed to progress their cause any further. Turns and chips it inboard. It's a delicate kick which missed the intended target, Ross. It ricochets back out to Butler, who gets the hand pass of the Saints to Steele. Around the outer wing. Hand pass away to Stocker. Kicks up towards 50, and Tim Membry takes the mark in the right forward pocket. Just timed his positioning and his leap in the right spot against Ben Mackay. And he'll shoot on a 45-degree angle from around 40 metres out.
That was a great block then. He's done that twice now. Is it Caminetti? Yeah, that's an unbelievable. So he's had 2 chances where he could have run and jumped at it, but he knows he's in a bad position. And he blocked for Rowan Marshall, the one that he just got a mark down here. So that's just doing the team thing, and it's allowing your teammates to be better and getting a shot on goal.
10 disposals and 3 marks for Tim Membry for his first shot on goal. 5 goals so far for the season. The Saints looking for the response as Membry comes in, leans back on it and drags it to the right. You can hear the Bronx cheers for the minor score. St Kilda leading by 5 points at the 11-minute mark of the third term.
So Nick Barton gets another possession as he takes the kick in. Kicks to right half back, where he finds Jake Kelly. Jake Kelly looks a little bit stressed with what's ahead of him. He's not happy with anything that's presenting, so he decides to go long down the wing. Durham's around there for the Bombers, but it's Stocker that comes in to punch it, and it'll be a free kick to Essendon advantage. Perkins straight away goes towards Stringer. Pushes opponent in the back. Stringer keeps running towards goals, and he's put it through. No, the umpire will recall it. So Stringer kept playing.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
No, the supporters wait for the boos.
But he definitely did push his opponent in the back. It was a clear push from Stringer when he had all the space behind him.
But you see how dangerous they look when they take that contest? That's a 1v1, the whole 50. So if Essendon are able to win that contest, Stringer versus Bonner, you'd almost take those odds nearly every time.
And now Bonner's been progressed 50 metres after that with Stringer playing on. He kicks it to half forward for St Kilda.
Well, the mark is taken by Steele. Comes inboard as easy as you like, which is surprising given the 50-metre penalty. And Seb Ross takes the mark directly in front, 40 metres out from goal.
Yeah, that was poor by the Bombers. They had to go and get the ball from behind the goals, run it all the way up to the middle of the ground for a 50, and the fact that Seb Ross can get free 40 metres out dead in front just shows that they switched off.
The 200 gamer for what could have been for the Bombers at one end. Seb Ross trying to make sure of it at the other. He starts his approach just outside 50, comes in, gets underneath it, but steers it straight through the middle. A 2-goal swing. And Seb Ross is able to make the Bombers pay. And the Saints restore an 11-point advantage, 8-10-58. To the Bombers, 7-5-47. 13 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
He's probably been the Saints' best midfielder so far today, Seb Ross. 17 possessions in that first quarter. Just looking at the replay again of the Jake Stringer, it wasn't a big push, but it was hands in the back. The thing is, he's a talented enough player not to give away that free kick. He can use his backside, which is ample. He can use his forearms, all things that allow the ball to get over the back, but there was no need to use his hands, and the umpire in the end had no choice but to pay it.
And sold well. Like that's an art as well to sell that free kick.
So it's the Saints in the end with the most recent goals. Plays back in the middle. Merritt can gain the clearance, puts it in front of Durham. He's met by Seb Ross and taken in a tackle high. So Ross, after scoring the most recent goal, then gets Durham high and gives away the free kick. Durham still lying on the ground here in a fair bit of pain.
Not sure whether it's a head or a shoulder that's...
It's being helped by Dyson Heppel as physio comes out and runs to him. Kai there as well. Let's head down to Andrew Mays on the boundary.
Yeah, the physio's out there and straight away towards his neck, so hopefully everything's okay there. He was about to get to his feet and told just to lie down. Obviously in these head situations every precaution is taken, but just worried a little bit about his neck there, and you saw him sort of grab it immediately as he went to ground. So he's getting to his feet now, which is good news. You'd think he'll come off for an assessment pretty much straight away.
Thanks, Maisie. It did look like his head then hit the turf when he was taken in the tackle. So he's got the doctor and the trainer now walking him off.
It was a free kick, but it wasn't an untoward tackle. There was nothing, there was no sling, overly forceful dump rotation or anything like that. It was just a tackle that was unfortunate. It wasn't a big head bang into the ground, so let's hope that he's just a little bit shaken and can pass the test and come back out there.
So it's Heppel then that takes the free kick in place of Durham. He kicks out wide towards Dersma, who goes back to Heppel, holding the footy at half back for Essendon. He's got Cox running, or Redmond rather, running towards him. Takes the mark and keeps running along the broadcast wing to Jones. Jones can't hold on to the mark. It's Ross here with the footy and passes it away and takes it over the boundary line for a throw-in. So a few boos from the Essendon fans, but like you said, Bergie, a legal tackle. So Kilda ahead by 11 points, 15 minutes gone in the third quarter.
The voice of Lauren Borden alongside Matt Clinch calling the action. Andrew Mays down on the boundary. Hawthorn forward Chad Wingard and Australian Football Hall of Fame member Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport. From the throw-in, it spills down the way of Zach Jones for the Saints. Now pass to Seb Ross, hard against the boundary, kicks around his body, up towards Laverty, who's tackled by Caminiti, gets it away to McGrath, under pressure. Wilson tries to knock it out for the Saints. Winhager charges his way in. It ricochets off the knee of Seb Ross and goes out of play for a boundary throw-in. Nick Hind and Angus Hasty are the subs this afternoon. Hasty on debut. Sammy Durham will be assessed by the medical team down on the boundary. Toss back into play below our commentary position here at Docklands. Draper and Marshall tangle once more. Down to Zach Jones, who gathers to the Saints. Kicks a high ball off balance. Underneath it, tough one for the forwards. Charging in underneath was Higgins. It spills off hands. Parrish is after it for the Bombers. Gathers between wing and halfback. Hand pass away to Hobbs. He kicks up towards Draper. He positions himself. Wanganeen Miller did well to make a spoil. Spills to Wilkie. Hand pass to Marshall under pressure. Sharman lost it. Perkins just dragged out at the last moment. And then Draper slid in. Had to be careful with that contact below the knees. Umpire let it go. Caldwell's now the tackler. Zach Jones is grabbing at his ankle, and that's exactly the free kick that the umpires have normally been instructed to pay.
Been red hot on it lately.
So Draper and Marshall in the ruck both get attacked to it. Perkins dives on top of it. Hobbs can pick it up. He gets tackled. He just tries to hand pass it into some space. Wilkie picks it up and then he's tackled to the ground. And the umpire will throw the ball up 30 metres out from Essendon's goal. Let's head down to Maisie on the boundary.
Durham, after a bit of a discussion with the Docs, straight down to the room. So we'll see how he comes back up. Nick Hind warming up.
Thanks, Maisie, as Marshall tries to kick the ball, gets a fresh airy. Ross can pick it up, hand pass to Wilkie, who flicks it across to Bonner, who shoves it on his boot to get a clearing kick for St Kilda. Draper running after it. McGrath can pick it up. He just sends the ball straight back into attacking 50 for the Bombers. It's Sinclair, though, who can intercept the mark for St Kilda.
To Wanganeen Miller, who kicks up to Filippo, takes the mark at half-back, wants to chip it over the top to Winhager. Parrish makes the spoil. It lands in the lap of Marshall, though. He hacks the Saints up towards half-forward. Good run from Redmond, in fact it was Mackay who came charging out, knocked it to the advantage of Dersma, couldn't get a clean disposal away. A chance for Caminiti, who gets it to Steele, kicks up towards left half forward. The Saints are on the attack. Wilson marks, centering ball, miss Filippo, spoil made by Butler. Jones is back in defence for the Bombers. He's locked up 30 metres out from goal. Reinforcements arrive just in the nick of time.
Yeah, Essendon very lucky there. They probably had 3 options for St Kilda, and I think Saints would be happy with a forward stoppage here.
Yeah, Jake Kelly did well there. Got himself into a really good spot to hold that one up.
So Marshall straight to Caminiti, but then Kelly comes in for the Bombers. It'll be St Kilda still with the footy here. Windhager has it, taken to ground. Hand pass comes away to the Bombers' defence. Martin back to Mackay. He puts it on his boot, gets it to the top of the 50. Still in defensive 50, Essendon. Caldwell hand passes across to Perkins. Gets some distance on his kick, and Stringer can get the footy ahead of Wilkie. Works his way into some space. Kicks the Bombers nearly to half forward. Gresham falls over. The umpire will blow his whistle, and it'll be a free kick against Gresham. He fell on top of Sinclair of the Saints, and Gresham will kick St Kilda out to the outer side of the ground.
Wanganeen Milera takes the mark. He works it up to right half forward, where the mark is taken by Ross. Hand pass to Bonner, hard against the boundary, kicks inside 50. Nick Cox takes the mark. Caminiti and Mackay in a tangle of bodies, and Cox goes short, and Parrish takes the mark. Darcy Parrish, possession number 21, coming up as he kicks out to Hobbs on the wing. Good one-handed mark, and they're on the break here. Has Menzies free. Between wing and half forward he plays on. Hand pass over the top. Caldwell with a fumble. Has to try and go back and win it. Battle over the top. It's knocked out by Menzies. Trying to get it to McGrath. Windhager, strength in the contest of the Saints. Gets the hand pass to Battle to Wanganeen Miller in the middle of the ground. Cordy couldn't take the mark. It's Brad Hill who gathers. Hand pass to Cordy. They have the numbers across half back. Gets the hand pass to Sebros. Not a lock down the wing. So had to dart back past Stringer. Hand pass now to Cordy. It opens up in front of him. He kicks out towards the wing, where the mark is taken by Butler. He takes it between wing and half forward on the dock side. Kicks up towards the inside 50. Filippo trapped underneath. Spills off the hands of Heppel. Still a chance here for the Saints, although Nick Martin's onto it. Hand pass to Hobbs. Back to Nick Martin. He relays from half back. Possession number 33 as he kicks up to Jones, who marks centre wing.
So Jones at centre wing, kicks to left half forward. Stringer was going one way, then going the other. Wilkie got in the way of the footy and trapped it. Sinclair picks it up. Hand pass across to Bonner, who's running down the outer side wing of the ground. Puts it inside 50 towards Membry. Membry can't mark. It was well done by Laverty. And it'll be a hand pass from Mackay to Heppel, who'll now work the ball alongside the outer wing towards Jones.
Sorry, Loz, they need a timeout. They're all exhausted. The Saints forwards can't lead, and the Bombers, when they get it, they're too tired to hit a target. Both teams are exhausted.
And they're happy for the 10 seconds that this Jones mark has provided, and he'll just go long to half forward to a pack forming. Langford was at the front but couldn't take the mark. Ball will be brought to ground. Parrish pushes it away. Perkins can pick it up and hand pass it to Hobbs. He'll go inside 50. It's to a one-on-one towards Menzies. It'll be Battle that takes the mark, and again the Saints fans not happy with that one. This Battle kicks it out wide, and it'll be Wilson holding the ball left half back, and he'll kick into the centre of the ground for the Saints.
Inboard to Cordy, hand pass to Sinclair and that famous number 35. Hand pass away to Windhager. Spots a free man out on the far wing. It's Riley Bonner. He can chip it over the top to Hill. Looks up inside 50, ignored Butler. Now he goes to him. Not 15. Chips the pass, centering for Filippo. Can't take the mark. Good spoil made in the end by Heppel. It spills out. Wanganeen Miller on the fly from 53. He misses to the left-hand side, and a minor score. The Saints leading by 12 points. Andrew Mays on the boundary.
So that sub has been made. Durham hasn't even re-emerged from the rooms yet. So the call was made upstairs. Hind into the game. Just waiting on confirmation whether it is actually because of concussion or a little bit of shoulder soreness as well. We'll get confirmation on that soon.
Thanks, Maisie. So Nick Hind into the game for the Bombers. Angus Hasty, the sub for St Kilda, still yet to be used. As Martin brings the ball into Laverty and then gets it back, kicks down the wing towards Menzies. He doesn't take the mark. It'll be picked up here, though, by Kelly, who can kick to half forward. Gresham's there running onto it. He's beaten to the footy by Bonner. Read it best and marked the footy for St Kilda. He'll just chip it across to Wanganeen Miller. He'll gain some distance on his kick along the outer side of the ground where Hill can mark centre wing. Kicking St Kilda inside 50. At the back was Caminiti. He didn't mark it. He just held it up, kept running and kicks a goal.
He's missed. Hit the post.
He just sat at the back, kind of was so excited that he had the ball in his hands. He turned around, spun and went for goal, but he's missed. So now St Kilda ahead by 13 points, 23 minutes gone in the third quarter.
The game's starting to open up now. Players look really decidedly tired. It's which team, through their tiredness, can actually be cleaner.
Apple into Martin to Laverty and now to Perkins, who kicks a long ball up to the wing. Stringer with a fly, can't come down with a mark. Caldwell hit it with pace, hand pass forward. They're out here, the Bombers. The kick inside 50 from Gresham, spots up Langford. He marks in the left forward pocket, only around 30 metres out. And a chance to respond here and cut the margin back to single digits.
And that's all it was, just a bit of cleanliness by Gresham. Good lead by Langford. Langford straight at him. Made the kick easy. So, Saints have had their opportunities going the other way, but what they're not getting from their forwards, they're not getting leads. They're just standing there saying, kick it in the air, kick it in the air, and they're not strong enough to push guys like Mackay out of the way.
The Bombers leading goal kicker last season, out to the left, kicking for his third. Langford comes in and sends it straight through the middle. As the Essendon fans get to their feet at the Coventry end. They've kicked 3 goals to 2 so far in this third quarter to cut the margin back to 7 points the Saints' way. 8-12-60 St Kilda to the Bombers 8-5-53. 24 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport. You're with Chad Wingard and Nathan Burke.
Yeah, just like you said, it's just that final touch. Obviously, Essendon getting a mark inside forward 50, and St Kilda just the inability to get that. Obviously, we've had the good ball users in hand going inside forward 50, and like I said, they're not making the lead or they're drawing it too deep, and they're not getting the marks so they can have a set shot at goal. We're relying on almost a miracle mark where it just fell into his lap and having a shot from Caminiti, but yeah, St Kilda are working hard. They're getting the ball. They're working around, like a lot of tired legs out there, but they're just not getting the reward for effort. Not getting the marks inside 50 and getting the shots. But great work there by Essendon to get that shot on goal there.
So the two captains, Steele and Merritt, going head-to-head at the bounce. It'll be a free kick going the Bombers' way. All the players stopped, and it'll be a Parish free. No, it won't. He'll deliver it back to Todd Goldstein. So Goldstein will have the footy right in the middle of the centre circles. Goes long with the kick. Searching for a mark inside 50. One can't be taken. Hind runs past it. Steele could pick it up for the Saints. Hand pass to Wilkie. Langford went after him. Tackled him to the ground. Steele picks it up. Shoves it on the boot to get some distance away from defensive 50. That he does, but it'll bounce out of bounds for a throw-in. About 60 metres out from Essendon's goal. Kicking towards the Coventry end of Docklands. The Bombers trailing by 7 points. 26 minutes gone in the third quarter.
Kel Wilkie's normally the Saints' Mr. Reliable. He does everything right all the time. This is probably one of the worst games that I've seen him play, to be totally honest.
Thrown in. Paris, quick kick inside 50. Did Hind get his hands underneath it? Umpire says he'll ball it up. Just inside the 50 for the Bombers. So Nick Hind, the sub into the action. Sammy Durham. The Saints got out by as much as 22 points in the second quarter. The Bombers have closed it to 7. Sinclair, clearing kick only as far as McGrath. Drives it inside 50. Jones back with the flight. Can't take the mark against Battle. Spills out to Stocker of the Saints. Under pressure, hand pass to Wilson. Redmond got him high. No whistle. And the ball spills clear and out of play. 4 or 5 Essendon players with their arm outstretched. And now they're going to get insufficient intent as the ball went out of play.
Where are the boos now, Essendon fans?
It's not the best couple of moments of the umpires as Dersma comes inboard to Nick Martin. Translate that to the players as well as he kicks it out on the full. And a St Kilda free kick in the left back pocket. It'll go the way of Zach Jones. St Kilda by 7 points.
So Zach Jones just chips it towards Wilkie. And then he'll exit defensive 50 all the way to centre wing where Mason Redmond stands there for the Bombers and takes the mark. Kicks Essendon to right half forward towards Caldwell. He's jittery to get the ball moving before steadying himself. He's got Langford short, decides to go longer and towards a pack. Jones can't take the mark. Bonner running after it. Then comes Gresham. Leads with his head into Sinclair. Bonner just kicks the ball away. Sockers it along the ground. McGrath stops it from going out. With the ball along the boundary. Centering ball. Parish was there, but he was outnumbered by St Kilda players. Then Merritt can pick it up for the Bombers. Kick it long. Last line of defence, Cooper Sharman takes the mark inside the goal square for St Kilda, still sitting with their 7-point advantage.
As Cal Wilkie dropping another mark that he would normally gobble.
Stocker takes the mark and then goes short to Riley Bonner across the face of goal. He kicks out to Dan Butler, who marks it right half back. St Kilda leading by 7 points, 8-12-60 to the Bombers, 8-5-53. Saturday afternoon footy under the roof of Docklands on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and via the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button. Kick up towards the wing in the direction of Ryan Marshall. Can't take the mark, but he's first back onto it against Goldstein. Kicks up towards Filippo. Ben Mackay read it best for the Bombers. Hand pass inboard to Parrish. He goes back to Redmond inside the defensive 50. Pressure came from Brad Hill and he chips it out to Heppel. He marks boundary side at left half back. Around the back to Redmond. Kicks up towards Laverty on the half volley. His hand pass back to Redmond is too sharp. And it goes over the boundary line for a throw in. Saints by 7 points, a throw in at right half forward for the Saints.
Saints forward setup has been pretty poor this quarter, I think. You shouldn't win a stoppage on the wing, kick the ball forward to an Essendon player standing there all by himself. That just means you're not set out correctly.
So Parrish running onto the footy. Steele can pick it up and hand pass it to Philippou. Hand passes to Wintagre. Goes backwards towards Jones, who takes a few steps before skying the ball inside 50. Laverty can get a tap ahead of Sharman, and then he just holds the footy and sees it out of bounds for a throw-in, 40 metres around from goals. St Kilda's goals late in this third term. St Kilda leading by 7 points. Both of these sides, their first game at Docklands, their home turf for the season. Goldstein, one hand, taps it away. Merritt tries to grab it, can't. Philippou can hand pass across to Jones for St Kilda, who can kick further towards goals for the Saints. Heppel's in there for the Bombers, trying to gather it. He's on the ground, can hand pass it away to Merritt, who can flick it across to Redmond, shovels it off to Martin, and he'll get the ball out of defensive 50 for the Bombers by finding Jake Stringer at left half back.
Well done by Stringer by leading up at the person with the football, giving them an option. It's exactly what the Saints aren't doing at the moment.
Stringer up towards Caldwell, can't take the mark with Riley Bonner making the spoil, and the ball goes out of play centre wing. St Kilda by 7 points, 8-12-60. The Bombers 8-5-53. Essendon in this quarter, 3 goals, 2 to the Saints, 2-4. So 18 scoring shots to 13 so far in the match as Merritt gathers for the Bombers, kicks up towards Gresham. It's spoiled away from him. Brad Hill's onto it, almost brought down by Hobbs. Gets the hand pass away to Sinclair. Kicks up towards half forward. It's too wide for Membry. And the mark is taken by Dersma at centre half back. Andrew Mays on the boundary.
Yeah, just confirmation it is a shoulder injury for Durham, not concussion. So good news in that regard, but hopefully that shoulder's not too serious. No ice or anything on it at the moment.
Dersman to Redmond at right half back, and that will do us. It sets up what could be a thrilling final quarter. St Kilda leading by 7 points. That basically led all match. The Bombers have threatened to mount a second half fight back. They kicked 3 goals to 2 in that third quarter to close the gap to 7 points St Kilda's way. 8-12-60 to the Bombers, 8-5-53. Where Jack Higgins having booted 3 goals for the Saints. Individuals to Ross, Owens, Butler, Sinclair and Caminiti. Meanwhile for the Bombers, 3 goals to Carl Langford, 2 goals to Harrison Jones, who was the late inclusion for Will Setterfield. Individuals to McGrath, Stringer and Dersma. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Marcus in South Melbourne. What a grumpy set of fans you have today. Is the umpiring that bad, Berkey? We'll get the thirds of Nathan Burke in a few moments' time. Dennis in Mortdale in New South Wales says, where is the Coventry end? Well, it's to the right of your radio as we see it. And Tom from Adelaide says, what do you think of the Goldsmith and Draper combination? What can they learn from each other in their respective ruck roles? We'll get the thoughts of Nathan Burke and Chad Wingard in just a moment. The Saints leading by 7 points at three-quarter time. Live footy on ABC Sport, on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and via the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button.
So, what makes us Australian?
Just be whoever you want to be.
And who's the obvious person to ask how that's transforming?
Welcome to Broken Hill, Miriam.
I'm on a quest to learn what it takes to change and adapt.
Occupation. I'm actually an escort.
An influencer.
Miriam Margolyes, Impossibly Australian.
You are changing the world.
Starts Tuesday, April 9 on ABC TV and always free, always entertaining on ABC iView.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Hand pass to Durham. Longer hand pass across to Caldwell. Finds himself at right half forward. He's got Langford on a one-on-one. Easy mark taken by Langford ahead of Wilkie. Runs to an open goal square, puts it through. He's got two, and that was a quick transition there for the Bombers.
Hand pass away to Hill. Kicks around his body. Long towards the teeth of goal. Mitch Owens is there. Caminiti as well. Shoved out of it was Ben Mackay. A chance for Higgins. Receives the hand pass. Snaps over his shoulder. And Jack Higgins kicks his third.
The Saints quickly trying to move it out of their defensive 50. Stocker with a spearing pass towards Sharman through his fingertips. McGrath puts the ball towards Langford. He spills the mark. McGrath gets it back from Hobbs. Kicks towards goals, and this time the Bombers have got it. 45-metre goal from Andy McGrath.
Well, the mark is taken by a steal. Comes in board as easy as you like, which is surprising given the 50-metre penalty. And Severos takes the mark directly in front, 40 metres out from goal. The 200 gamer for what could have been for the Bombers at one end. Severos trying to make sure of it at the other. He starts his approach just outside 50, comes in, gets underneath it, but steers it straight through the middle. A 2-goal swing. And Severos is able to make the Bombers pay.
So that sub has been made. Durham hasn't even re-emerged from the rooms yet. So the call's made upstairs. Hind into the game.
Caldwell hit it with pace. Hand pass forward. They're out here, the Bombers. The kick inside 50 from Gresham. Spots up Langford. He marks in the left forward pocket. Only around 30 metres out. The Bombers leading goal kicker last season. Out to the left. Kicking for his third. Langford comes in and sends it straight through the middle. As the Essendon fans get to their feet at the Coventry end.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
At the time at Docklands in Melbourne, St Kilda leading by 7 points over the Bombers, 8-12-60 to Essendon, 8-5-53. Our next stop on ABC Sport is the Adelaide Oval, where Port Adelaide take on Melbourne, and that's where we find Aaron Bryans.
Afternoon, Clinchy. It's a blockbuster clash to cap off Easter Saturday. As you mentioned, the unbeaten Power hosting a Demon side who are also in the midst of a win streak. It feels like Port Adelaide's first test after confident victories over the Eagles and the Tigers. Meanwhile, Melbourne need to once again block out the noise of off-field controversy. They've also lost Stephen May to a couple of cracked ribs, but we'll be celebrating a big milestone tonight. Jack Viney playing his 200th game becomes the sixth father-son pairing alongside his father Todd to play 200 games at one club. And speaking of Todd's, Todd Marshall's going to play his 100th game for Port Adelaide after kicking 4 goals last week against Richmond. Really excited to have 4-time All-Australian, 3-time Premiership captain Chelsea Randall alongside me, as well as Port Premiership ruckman and NBL champion Dean Brogan. Neil Cross will be calling the action. Top 4 implications you'd think between these two sides. Port Adelaide and Melbourne coming up next on ABC Sport.
Thanks, Aaron. Look forward to joining you. That feels like a statement match from the Adelaide Oval early in the season. St Kilda by 7 points here at Docklands. Chad Wingard, Nathan Burkett. Feels like the game's up for grabs. I'm not sure if it should be, given the way St Kilda have played at various stages.
Yeah, it's definitely up for grabs. So it doesn't look like any one team's looking like they're going to kick multiple goals in a row. It's looking a bit dire in terms of their ball use going into 50. If I could say one thing, I think Essendon look more dangerous. Would you agree, Berkey? When they're, like you said, they're leading at the ball. The forwards look more dangerous. Obviously, we saw Stringer potentially had that goal, was a free kick, but with St Kilda, they look like the forwards are trapped under the ball a lot, and they're not getting a run and jump, or a lot of their goals are looking like they're going to get it from pressure or a snap, or like a quick shot from about 10-15 metres out. The St Kilda look good around the ground, but unfortunately it's just not looking like they're going to score inside their forward 50. They need a bit of work from their forwards, maybe setting up structures from stoppages a bit better. They're obviously giving up a number, and Essendon look like they're very comfortable with the defensive structure, and back there obviously guys are just racking up possessions back there as well. But can they turn some of these possessions into goals, or can they get some of these changes to actually pay off? Obviously St Kilda's had 8 goals 12 and Essendon 8 goals 5. Just a number of scoring shots tells you the story a little bit, doesn't it, Berkey?
It does a bit, and I like what you said. Essendon have created an open forward line at times, and when they can get through the middle freely, it looks really, really dangerous. So it's going to come down to how well the Saints can actually defend that run of Essendon and how well Essendon can continue that run. This is going to come down to guts a lot in this game. They both look really tired. Who can push through that?
Are we set for a thrilling finish here under the roof for round 3? Draper wins down the tap against Marshall, gets it to Merritt. The captain kicks out towards half forward. Hine leads the foot race, can't quite gather. Knocked on by Jones, back to Hine. Centering kick, looking for Stringer, it clears him, but Langford takes the mark on his chest. Options are plenty And Cole Langford on a 45-degree angle will kick from about 35 metres out.
Saints are winning the clearances overall, but the Bombers have dominated the centre clearances since quarter time. I think it's around about 11-5.
A chance to kick his 4th goal of the match and move the Bombers within a point. What a statement this would be to start the final term. Cole Langford starts his approach, comes in, aims it to the right, it stays right. And a minor score. A 6-point lead the Saints' way. Andrew Mays on the boundary.
Yeah, sub has been made for St Kilda as well, so Hasty will get a quarter of footy in his first game, and Cooper Sharman, the man who has the vest.
Thanks, Maisie. Bonner brings the ball in straight down the line for St Kilda. Beautiful mark there, taken by Stocker. Rising over Gresham, then he quickly hurries a hand pass away to Hill, who kicks towards the broadcast side of the ground. Marshall takes the mark in front of the Essendon bench, kicks to half forward. And it was well read by Mackay, who sits behind Caminiti and takes the intercept mark for Essendon. So his kick goes straight in the middle of 3 St Kilda players and Darcy Parish, who can't get it, running through his Hobbs, trying to steal it back for Essendon. Philippu's there as well. He can hand pass to Sinclair, can hand pass to Steele, who can hand pass across to Bonner.
Kicks inside 50. Mitch Owens caught behind, made the spoil though. McGrath under pressure, turns it over. Bonner pinched away. Here's Hasty on to Boo. He gets a hand pass away to Hill. Centering ball, caught behind Higgins, although dropping the mark was Nick Martin. Cox under pressure, hand pass away. Hines slipped over, trying to knock it out now. Only around 20 metres out from the Saints' goal. And a ball up as Cox is stuck on the bottom of the back. Filippo over the top of him.
Saints 3 players all led to the same spot. Got in each other's way. They're just not working together. Maybe it's because Max King isn't there being the general, being the one that they all work off. They all think they've got to be the player who's the main guy. So it's just not quite working for them today.
Inside 50 for the Saints. Marshall knocks it down to Steele. He's locked up. We'll do it once more. Draper wins down the tap, then tries to throw a boot at it to clear the congestion. Ricochets to Heppel, who kicks to Harry Jones. He's lunging forward, marks at right half back. St Kilda by 6 points, early stages of the final term.
Jones a hand pass across to Martin, who's racking up the disposals so far today. Kicks from right half back towards a pack forming, and it's Philippu who can get the ball for the Saints. Hand pass to Sinclair, across to Brad Hill, who puts St Kilda back inside 50 towards Caminiti. Mackay sits back at the back, takes the mark. Philippu affects the kick. St Kilda's trying to lock it inside their forward 50, leading by just 6 points early in this 4th term. Ball gets out to Owens. He's taken in a tackle by Merritt. And the ball will go no further. Just stopped 45 metres out from St Kilda's goal, leading by that one straight kick early stages of the 4th term.
The Bombers are giving them a chance, but they just can't capitalise.
Draper takes it out of the ruck. Hand pass away to Kelly. Got it to Cox and the hand pass to Merritt. The Bombers captain kicks up towards Langford. It's spoiled away by Cordy. Gets support from Wilkie. Knocks it down to Stocker. Hand pass back to Cordy across half-back. The mark is taken by Riley Bonner. He can chip it into the middle of the ground. Hill marks. Looks up towards half-forward. Steals in space. The St Kilda captain's away. Runs to right half-forward. Looking long towards the run of Caminiti. He's got it. Deep in the right forward pocket. I don't think he's going to play on this time. Hard against the right point post. He should get a generous angle here, a 45-degree angle, only around 5 metres out.
It was a good mark by the young man, stretching up. He ran a fair distance to make an option. But the good thing about the Saints was they had players leading forward, some coming sideways, not in each other's way, gave the captain, Jack Steele, some options. So
no Max King. He steps out, snaps on the left and puts through his second. Anthony Caminiti with a steadier for the Saints to restore a 12-point advantage. 9-12-66 to the Bombers, 8-6-54. Just 4 minutes gone in the final term on ABC Sport.
And that's a great build-up again. Obviously, they got an intercept, went to Bonner, got into their ball users' hands, got into Bonner, over to Bradley Hill, getting over to Steele. And that's 3 possessions from their back half-forward flank all the way on the other side of the ground and to deep entry, Caminiti into like about 5 metres out. And it's an interesting approach, just the 2-step out on the opposite foot. No rush, look very composed and put it through. But you see, they want to get the ball into these guys, into the ball users' hands. Want to get into Bradley Hill, into Riley Bonner, Wangani Malira. These guys are so damaging for him, and they just got around Essendon way too quickly then.
The worry was that Jack Steele ran from one side of the ground to the other with nobody following him.
So Marshall taps it down to Draper, but there'll be a free kick going the way of St Kilda. Zach Jones from the centre circles. St Kilda trying to go for another one in as many minutes, in a couple of minutes. It's Redmond who can pick it up for the Bombers. Hand pass back to Merritt. He goes with a long hand pass to the right back pocket. Andy McGrath takes in some space. He's able to find Martin. Keeps running, but Martin decides to take on two players, and he made the wrong decision. He gets caught. So instead of taking the easy hand pass, Martin gets caught.
What's that?
And it's inside 50 now, coming from Windhager. Long kick. And the mark is taken by Mackay. Owens drags him down to the turf. The umpire won't pay any advantage. It'll be Mackay with the kick. He just chips it across to Merritt in the left back pocket, who'll go towards Dersma right along the boundary line. Can mark it at left half back for Essendon, who are trailing by 12 points.
Port Adelaide former midfielder comes inboard to Hine. The sub looks up around the wing and Caldwell makes space. He marks in front of Cal Wilkie. Jai Caldwell, his eyes darting into the middle of the ground, looking for options. Nothing really presenting. So sends it long in the direction of Draper. The big Bombers up but can't complete the mark. Marshall knocks it out. Got it to Hasty on debut. Hand pass away to Stocker. Under pressure to Cordy. To Windhager. Knocks it back towards Hasty. Hines slides in for the Bombers. Hard against the boundary. Kicks towards the teeth of goal. It's wide of Jones. Lays the tackle on Battle. Spills to Sinclair. Good composure. Hand pass to Wilkie. Kicks into the middle of the ground. It's wide of Steele. Knocks it forward with Cox coming the other direction. The Bombers have the numbers though. Merritt gathers. Quick 1-2 with Ben Mackay. Swings onto his left, kicks up towards Draper, can't take the mark. Marshall chopped his arms though in the eyes of the umpire, and Draper has it at left half forward.
They haven't played any soft ones all day. Don't start paying them now.
So Draper, a couple of kicks from home, just kicks it long towards the goals. Langford's held on to it. Right on the boundary line. Oh, he's been called this time.
He just juggled it over the boundary line.
It was touched. So it was touched over the boundary line. He tried to claim it though, Langford. And instead it's touched, which might be a good
I don't think it
result
was
for the Bombers.
touched. I think the umpire's a bit of a guess there.
Said he didn't quite grab it fully, but
That was impressive either way. Impressive either way.
He didn't get his second hand on it till it went over, but he pretty much had it in one hand.
So it'll be Langford that contests the ruck for the Bombers here. And a free kick
a
for
shepherd.
A shepherd will be going the way of the Bombers.
How can you shepherd 15 metres away from the ball?
And Stringer slipped over as well in all of that.
I don't know how you can pay a shepherd.
So it'll be a free kick going the way of Jake Stringer. It's about 8 metres in from the boundary line, kicking from 35 out. He's already got one today. And the Bombers need this one to stay in touch. He curls it towards goals. And it's a good result for Bombers fans. Takes advantage of the free kick. Jake Stringer gets his second. Moves the Bombers again back to within a kick. 6 points the margin with St Kilda leading the way. Essendon 9-6-60, St Kilda 9-12-66. Still plenty of time left in this contest. 8.5 minutes gone in the fourth quarter.
Oh, goodness me, umpire. There was Shepherd. The two players were pushing each other. Stocker and Stringer were pushing each other on the boundary line, and he's called a shepherd 15 metres away from the ruck contest.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is he's probably tried. He's not looking at the ball, and he's got his arm wrapped around him. So I know haven't called it all day. That's your point. They haven't called that all day. They've given that away. But again, he made the most of it. But yeah, they've got to be consistent with those calls because it's dangerous to call those free kicks in at 450.
The voice of Chad Wingard, Hawthorn forward alongside Nathan Burke. Zach Jones trying to bust his way through the middle. He's gone. Perkins lays the tackle, and the Essendon fans are rising with their team. St Kilda lead by 6 points. The footy not returned initially to Archie Perkins, now it will be. And a chance to go forward here from this stoppage. Perkins looks out inside 50, sends it in the direction of Draper, who's gone forward. He crashes the pack. Wilkie under pressure, hand pass to Cordy for the Saints. Kicks straight to the boundary, out of bounds on the full. It's coming back, a Bombers free kick at right half forward.
Saints are making some poor decisions with the football at the moment, just panicking a little bit.
Nick Martin has it, no surprise. Possession number 41 coming up as he kicks to the lead of Langford. He marks hard against the boundary in the right forward pocket.
I'm not sure how you just let a player who's their key forward, the number one man, you actually stay really tight on him and let the others play the 50-50.
3 goals, 2 so far this afternoon for Kyle Langford. Starts up against the fence in the right forward pocket. This will take his best to draw scores level. Langford sets fly. It's across the face of goal. Draper's there. Goldstein as well. He had 2 bites of it. Couldn't complete the mark, and it goes out of play. A boundary throw in the left forward pocket for the Bombers. St Kilda by 6 points.
This is where the Draper-Goldstein comes in handy. Draper does the ruck inside the forward line. Goldstein comes out 60 metres behind the play as an extra player building that wall.
Draper and Owens that are doing the ruck work inside 50 for the Bombers. Hind lays a tackle on Jack Steele. The umpire will come to ball it up 30 metres out directly in front of Essendon's goal. Trailing by 6 points in the 4th term. Ball bounces once before Windhager picks it up and then puts it on his boot towards Hill, taps it to the ground. Heppel's there for the Bombers, can hand pass across to Merritt, who just dabs the kick inside 50 towards Hind.
That's the way the Saints, if they win that football inside 50 like they did, they bring it out. It's 4 versus 2. So Essendon have set up that extra player behind the ball really well. The Saints love extra numbers inside their defensive 50. But if they're not going to kick it to anyone when they come out, because they're outnumbered, it's going to come straight back in again.
So Hind will be kicking here from just outside 50. Plays on, launches with everything he's got towards the goals. It'll be over from behind, touched over the line.
Someone just took out that goalpost.
So we have the distance, Nick Hind, just not the accuracy. It's now 5 points the margin. St Kilda's way, 12 minutes gone in the 4th term.
It was Harry Jones like a kid in the backyard who went flying into the padding on the post. Thankfully no damage done for him, but St Kilda's lead is cut back to 5 points. The Bombers have not led at any stage this afternoon. Bonner with a long kick out of the fence, looks for Caminiti, he's worked underneath it. And the mark is taken by Ben Mackay. All the Bombers at the moment, he kicks up towards Hind, sliding down low, he takes the mark. Into the pocket for Draper, can't take the mark, he tangles with Battle over the top of the footy, trying to knock it out. Hasty tries to rip it clear. Sub into the action on Debu, the umpire circles and will ball it up. Deep in the left forward pocket for the Bombers, St Kilda by 5 points.
Yeah, Caminiti and these guys, when they kick that long ball out, they've got to at least bring it to ground, get it out of play.
Draper pulls it out from the ruck contest. Parrish goes in there. It's Hasty who has a go at it, and then Parrish goes in again for the Bombers. Steele on his hands and knees will lock the ball up again. Nick Hind at the bottom of the pack for the Bombers. So Essendon coming at the moment in this 4th term, trying to make up that 5-point deficit. As Draper and Owens go again in the ruck. Draper wanted a free, didn't get it. Bonner's there, pushed out of it by Parrish. Diving across the ground is Merritt, who pushes it towards Heppel. Can hand pass to Perkins, who can take a shot at goal to give the Bombers the lead. He's missed to the right-hand side. So an opportunity goes begging for the Bombers. 4 points now the margin. St Kilda ahead, 13.5 minutes played in the final term.
Jack Higgins, you're lucky. I'd like to see you make a far better attempt at tackling there than just sticking your arm out.
Riley Bonner brings the Saints back into play. Everyone's set on the broadcast side. It clears Marshall and Caminiti, bounces end over end, and Higgins takes it across the boundary line in front of the St Kilda bench. Saints holding on to a 4-point lead.
And that's a win there for Saints. They're finally consolidating some turf. Now they've got it to half field. Can they, again, gain another 30-40 metres without them marking it off them?
Thrown in, Goldstein fends off Marshall. Hand pass to Merritt. Did he get a push in the back? No whistle. Hobbs swoops onto it. Hand pass to the Bombers to half back. To Mackay. Little fumble by Hobbs. He turns it over. Higgins gathers to Marshall. It's too slow. Right down by Dersma. And Rowan Marshall too slow.
You know my other rule.
Don't
handball to Ruckman, Chad. Never do it.
Xavier Dersma with a great tackle to bring the St Kilda Ruckman down, although his kick missed Mackay. He has enough time to gather and chips it into the pocket. Another disposal coming up for Nick Martin.
Here's Nick Martin with another one. Chips out towards Laverty. Just inside defensive 50 for the Bombers. Holding on to the footy here, walking out along the city wing. He indicates that he's going to go long and he kicks out to centre wing. Essendon plays it there. Goldstein stands up tallest.
Got to get it going before Saints can get their numbers back there. Todd, wheel around on your left. You had one-on-ones ahead of you.
So a mark to the new Bombers ruck. Kicks to centre-half back where Mackay marks. And then he switches across to Heppel. Running along in front of the benches, broadcast wing of the ground, kicks it to Caldwell. Nice chest mark. He'll play on. Inside 50 for Essendon, going towards goals. He was kicking to Hind and Battle. Taps it over the boundary line for a throw-in. So again, next to that left behind post, we'll have another throw-in deep inside Essendon's attack. They're trailing by 4 points in this final quarter. And
the pressure just keeps building. Essendon just keep putting the throttle to the middle. They're just obviously putting them under so much pressure here. See if they can get one against them. Every stoppage inside their forward 50 is making it, like every time you can just see St Kilda are feeling the stress. They're giving a handball when they shouldn't. They're kicking down the line. The other thing is you've got Goldstein down the line here. You've got Mackay down the line. And you've got two of their best marks, and they're outnumbered as well. So St Kilda are going to find it very hard to get this out of here.
The voice of Chad Wingard with you on ABC Sport. Marshall one down the tap, but it comes the way of the Bombers. Hobbs with the hand pass. Dersma's high kick. Jones sets flight, never reaches him. Marshall makes the spoil, lunging forward. McGrath wanted a free kick. It spills out to Caldwell. He kicks a high ball underneath at Menzies. He lost his opponent and takes the mark. Stocker can't believe it as he lost the high ball in flight. And Menzies just slid in, took a great mark despite the late effort of Josh Battle.
Yeah, well done by the young man. He stood under it. The ball was that high, it nearly hit the roof. But he kept his eye on it the whole time. Didn't think about what was coming at him. And the Saints were just too slow to get numbers there. That should have been killed over the boundary line.
Jai Menzies out to the right. He'll kick on a 45-degree angle from 30 metres out to put the Bombers in front. He hits the post.
Dodged the bullet.
They can't do it at the moment. Slams into the right goalpost. They've kicked 1 goal 4 in this final term. The Saints 1 goal straight. St Kilda hanging on to a 3-point lead.
Well, it's definitely been the Essendon's best performance by far of the quarter throughout today. Their pressure in the fourth term. It's been the best quarter they've played all day as Bonner moves it across to Cordy, who kicks down the wing, stolen by Harry Jones, taken over the boundary line by Zach Jones. And we'll have a throw-in just forward of centre wing to Essendon's advantage. So Bombers have had their opportunities in this fourth term, still trailing by 4 points though. As the umpire tosses the ball in, Marshall gets the tap away and Brad Hill can pick it up for St Kilda. Hand pass back to Sinclair, who then kicks towards his captain Jack Steele. Just holds on to the footy here and then kicks to Seb Ross.
The Saints just need to take a little bit of sting out of this at the moment. It's all been played with Essendon's pace at the moment. Oh, what's going on there?
To Battle now to Bonner, who kicks inside, attacking 50. Mackay just sits back.
And Wayne Manila was on then, wasn't he? He's screaming for it, letting him know, Bonner.
So Cox just sitting back there to take that intercept mark. Kicks it towards McGrath, who then kicks out to Harry Jones, who's now got it in the defensive half of the ground for Essendon.
But Saints forward line have to be open to the fact that they might play on through the middle, especially when Bonner runs past. They give it to him no matter where he is, so they have to be a wake-up to leading.
Inboard to Heppel, to Andy McGrath, who tries to hug the boundary line with a kick looking for Stringer. It's spoiled by Cordy and seen out of play. St Kilda hanging on to a 3-point lead, 9-12-66 to Essendon 9-9-63. The Saints have led all afternoon. The Bombers with 1 goal 4 so far in this final term. They've had 8 to 6 inside 50s. They've had 25 marks. The Bombers to St Kilda's 10. From the stoppage, it spills out to Heppel, dodging and weaving away from traffic. Underground hand pass looking for Cox. Dersma gathers, hand pass away, works it back to Laverty. The kick is over the head of Martin. Riley Bonner comes charging out, can't take possession. It's volleyed forward by Butler, and sliding in the mark is taken by McGrath. Hand pass to Heppel, here go the Bombers.
Quickly making its way to the outer wing to Caldwell. Inside 50, in the Stringer direction. Takes the mark, no worries about that.
Yeah, St Kilda look like they're just, every time they're near the ball, they're rushing. So that half volley, he could have just picked that up and given it hands. And you see when Essendon get the ball, they look way more composed. They're looking for a target. You can just see that pressure building as well. Like Essendon just seem to be coping with it better at the moment.
It was Dan Butler, just panicked. He had numbers around him.
So the man on the mark, standing on the paint of 50 as Stringer comes in, gives it everything he's got, and puts the Bombers in front. For the first time this afternoon, Essendon has hit the lead in the final term, thanks to Jake Stringer's third goal. Essendon now ahead by just 3 points, 10-9-69. St Kilda 9-12-66. 20 minutes gone in the fourth term, and Essendon finally ahead, Chad.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. The thing that's worrying me about this centre bounce is that Essendon 13-6, like you said before. Like the two ruckman versus one, Rowan Marshall's obviously getting the longer the game goes on, the more tired he's getting. And the moment they need a centre clearance is right now. So can St Kilda come up with something to go against the tide and get a centre bounce clearance? Because they desperately need it right now. But Essendon put Draper in there, X factor.
He's just come off the bench too.
Exactly, he's fresh. Expect him to go hard at this.
Of course, it's Jake Stringer who finally put the Bombers in front. Can the Saints find a way to answer back? Back in the middle, Marshall and Draper. Ball spills down to Steele. The St Kilda captain with a hand pass to Higgins. Driggles a kick up to Brad Hill. Slips over. Lost his footing. Merritt gathers. Hand pass to Nick Martin. Kicks up towards Langford at half forward. Good battle with Cal Wilkie. Wilkie taps it down. Langford gathers. Broke the tackle. Gets the hand pass away to Kelly. Swings onto his left. Driving kick inside 50. Goldstein's gone forward. Spoiled away by Cordy. Bonner's kick is smothered. It spills to Gresham. Around the body, he misses to the left-hand side. Essendon lead by 4 points. It's all one-way traffic at the moment. 21 minutes gone, final term.
St Kilda have got two kick-ins. They go one long down direction, or they have a misplay, and that's when someone leads straight up the middle of the ground. Let's see what they go for here.
So it's Riley Bonner with the pressure of the kick-in. He goes long down the broadcast wing of the ground towards Marshall. There's the fresh Draper that you mentioned. Comes over the top of him and punches it over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Interesting. I thought Saints might have went for it because they've had Bonner normally kicks it straight down the guts when they need a goal. That's where they go. They've gone to the boundary and just copping a centre bounce, which is strange for this time of day.
4 points Essendon's advantage. Saturday Arvo footy on ABC Sport. Ball's tossed in. Heppel tries to kick it away on the ground. It's Marshall that picks it up, flings it over the back of his shoulder. Martin comes in to pick it up for the Bombers. Hand pass to Merritt, who hand passes it back towards Redmond, whose kick goes out of bounds on the full 3 rows back, and he hands the ball back to the Saints. Jack Higgins to take it for St Kilda. Essendon ahead by 4 points. 23 minutes now gone in the final term.
It's hard to find a way for the Saints to move their way through this situation here. They're finding a short target, but whenever they go long, they're just losing the football.
Higgins inboard to Steele. Gets the hand pass away to Angus Hasty on the Boo. Kicks up towards half forward. Memory with a little shove on Mackay, who lands awkwardly. Hand pass comes forward to Redmond. Couldn't take it cleanly. Burns with a kick inside 50. Trying to get after it. Phillippo can't take the mark. It's spoiled to the front. Gresham with a hand pass to Hobbs. Here go the Bombers around the broadcast wing. Hand pass to Merritt. Kicks over the head of Goldstein. A chance though. Wilkie couldn't take it cleanly. Draper's involved. All the Bombers' big men are there. Spills out to Steele. Goldstein with a tackle. Essendon fans want the whistle. It spills out to Stringer, who opens up the angle. It's curling, it's not coming back enough. It misses to the right-hand side. It feels like the roof is about to come off here at Docklands. Essendon holding on to a 5-point advantage at the 23-minute mark of the final term.
To be honest, you'd think that Essendon are down the way that they're playing. Yeah. St Kilda are just playing so slow. They're like, look at this, they're not going anywhere. They're in no hurry. They need a score.
Wanganeen Miller up under all sorts of pressure at the top of the 50. And finally, kick long down the wing. Here's Brad Hill in a bit of space for St Kilda. Just chips it forward to half forward. Mitch Owens there. Puts it to Ryan Burns, top of the goal square. Can he nudge his opponent out? Burns can't get there. It's rushed through by the Bombers.
Poor kick. Poor kick by Mitch Owens. Ryan Burns hasn't taken an overhead one-on-one contested mark in his whole career. Just wait for someone else to find space. You had everyone streaming back inside forward 50 and you go to that option. Just fatigue can make people make really bad decisions, and that's what happened then.
Essendon by 4 points as Redmond comes in, finds Heppel. Exhausted players all over the field who can execute in the last 3 minutes of the match. Back to Redmond, who waits for the opportunities to come, and Parrish charges into space. Takes the mark. Chips it over the top to Merritt. Can the Bombers play this style of footy? Do they hold on to it? Do they look to attack? He chips it over the top to Heppel, who runs into space. Dersma's coming from the field. Dyson Heppel has it at right half back. He looks into the corridor. He'll kick long down the wing. Harrison Jones sets himself in from the side. It clears to the back. Onto it is Riley Bonner. He hacks a long kick as far as he can. Underneath it, Redmond flies. It spills the way of Merritt for the Bombers. Swings onto his left. Kicks long down the line once more. Wilkie can't take the mark. Spills into the path of the Bombers. Charging forward. The centering kick looking for Draper. Can't take the mark. Ross tries to tap it on to the advantage of Battle. Langford had it for a moment. It spills out to Jones on all fours. He gets back to his feet. Hand pass to Stringer. Around the body. Kicks towards the teeth of goal. Battle. Marks on his chest. Essendon hang on to a 4-point lead.
So the Saints have now got to work at the length of the Docklands. Not long left. Still kicks it out of bounds on the full.
Tired.
2 centimetres
lazy.
out.
Want better from your captain?
And that kick missed Jones. Zach Jones out of bounds on the full. Ben Hobbs with the footy for the Bombers. 55 metres out from goal. His side in front late in this fourth term. Puts it to the hot spot where players will fly for it. Mark can't be taken. Menzies was there for Essendon. Tried to find Langford. Couldn't. Philippou came in, as did Hill. For the Saints, Wanganeen Miller are on hands and knees. And then Hasty pushes it forward. It'll be kicked out of bounds on the full, it looked like. Or it'll be a throw-in.
And I think Hill kicked it into the Essendon player's foot, and both players have claimed that it should be their ball, but I think it's the Saints.
For the Saints. So Brad Hill will have the chance now for St Kilda.
He switches play, looking for Ross. They've got to attack now. Takes the mark. Only has Mitch Owens on the far wing. He's able to break the tackle, though. It allowed Owens to get some space away from Heppel, and he takes the mark centre wing. Feeds the hand pass around the back. From the run of Wilkie, his hand pass over the top. Links up with Sinclair to Ross at half forward. Kicks inside 50. Membry the target. Can't take the mark. Reaching over Laverde. It spills to Philippou. He blazes away and misses everything. Out of bounds on the full.
Goldfish.
Burns wanted it at the top of the square. He went for glory. Missed everything. And the free kick will go the way of Andy McGrath up against the right behind post. Essendon hanging on to a 4-point advantage as McGrath plays on. Kicks it as long as he can in the direction of Stringer and Wilkie. Wilkie spoils it down. Sinclair's kick is smothered. Jones wants the mark. It's not 15. Hand pass away to Parrish. Kicks end over end towards the boundary line. That should be insufficient intent. And the Saints will get another roll of the dice.
Here we go. Not long left for the Saints to score. Bonner holding on to it. He doesn't know where to go. Centre wing. He just chooses to put it on his boot. Gains some distance. There's Draper for the Bombers. Comes in, holds onto the mark. Maybe that's where those two rucks have worked out for Essendon today.
There's inexperience there by the Saints. One of their big players had to get to that ball.
Draper kicks it across to Stringer. Goes for the mark. The ball bounces outside. It'll be a throw-in at centre wing, but importantly, it chews up a few seconds now for the Bombers. They've got that 4-point lead. Not a whole lot of time left in this fourth quarter.
This is what you train all through the off-season for. Final term. Essendon leading by 4 points. Throw him back in. Owens doing the ruck against Draper. Spills down. Hill trying to get after it. Parrish over the footy. Tackled by Zach Jones. A hold and an Essendon free kick. And that might just about relieve the pressure as he chips it back to Redmond, who marks it right half back. 29 minutes gone, final term. Time just about up for the Saints as Redmond plays on boundary side. Kicks it as long as he can around the outer wing. Draper's there. Mitch Owens is there as well. Neither can take the mark. Spills out to Perkins. Gets the hand pass away to Hobbs. Under pressure. Hand pass to Gresham. Gets a kick to half forward. Good mark taken by Hasty at half back. He has it at left half back. Rolls the dice into the middle of the ground. But time runs out. And the Bombers come charging home to record a famous win. They defeat the Saints by 4 points to move to 2 wins and 1 loss.
To win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this grand old game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up, up. The other teams they don't fear. They all try their best, but they can't get near as the Bombers fly up.
The Saints led until the 20-minute mark of the final term, but the Bombers finished with the last 2 goals of the match, courtesy of Jake Stringer. It was a hard watch at times. They kicked 2 goals, 6 in the final term to St Kilda's 1 straight, as the Bombers came charging home 10-11-71 to the Saints 9-13-67 in front of 44,412 fans. The Bombers win by 4 points.
See the Bombers fly up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this grand old game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up. The other teams they don't fear. They all try their best, but they can't get near as the Bombers fly on.
The Bombers win by 4 points under the roof here at Docklands. And despite the Saints having so many scoring opportunities through the first 3 quarters, it was the Bombers who were able to charge home in the final term to prevail and win their second match of the season in round 3. 10-11-71 to the Saints 9-13-67. For the winners, Carl Langford finished with 3 goals. Jake Stringer finished with 3 as well, including 2 in the final term. 2 goals to Harry Jones, who was a late inclusion for Will Setterfield. Individuals to McGrath and to Dersma. Meanwhile, for the Saints, 3 goals to Jack Higgins, 2 goals to Caminiti. Individuals to Ross, Owens, Butler and Sinclair. The Bombers winners by 4 points. The thoughts of Nathan Burke and Chad Wingard.
Yeah, I think he hit the nail on the head. I think the 2 rucks versus 1 rucks. You could just see Ron Marshall held his own for the first probably 2.5 quarters, and then you could just see the last half of that 3rd quarter and the whole 4th quarter, there just wasn't enough of him. You see like the marking prowess of Draper and Goldstein just wore away, and that's evident in the centre bounce clearances, 14-6, and it's such a score source. You think about the 34-27 hitouts, doesn't look like a big discrepancy, but 14 centre clearances to Essendon to 6 for St Kilda, and that's a killer. You're playing off the back foot, you're playing in the back half of your ground. And the other thing that I would note is St Kilda just didn't look like they wanted to score. The last quarter, I think the last goal was 4 minutes in the first 4 minutes in the last quarter. They just didn't look like they set up for success. They didn't look to score. Even their kick in, Riley Bonner, he had that kick in twice, and it went down the guts the whole game. The last quarter, they went long and wide, out of bounds.
Lost their dare, didn't they?
Yeah, it's almost like they just rolled over a little bit. And then they felt the pressure. The 40,000 fans that were here, they're all Essendon screaming. Maybe they felt a bit of that. Maybe they felt a bit of the home crowd. And you could just see the soccer off the ground, not being clean with the ball. And then the opposite with Essendon. When time came, I think they led for 8 minutes of the match. But the most important thing is they lead when the final siren's gone. So, end of the day, you tip your lid to Essendon. They got it done when it mattered. And St Kilda, again, shoot themselves in the foot early on, missing goals, missing opportunities. And the last quarter, I think they've got to have a good, hard look at themselves. When it gets tough, do we just go into our shells and try to hold a lead? Or do we try and score? And I think you've got to learn that in this game, 2 goals, 3-goal swings can happen so quickly. So you've got to keep attacking no matter what the score is.
Nathan Burke.
Yeah, Saints dominated for early parts of the game, but didn't actually put scoreboard pressure on. Kicked themselves out of it. In the end, bad kicking for goal when you have dominance really gives the other team a sniff. And I was really disappointed in their senior players towards the end. I think Callum Wilkie, that's the worst game I've ever seen him play. Even in that last quarter, there was 2 one-on-one ground balls that Langford beat him in both of them, and he dropped that many marks today. Really, really poor. Thought Membry was poor today. Without Max King out there, he really needed to stand up. He really needed to guide everyone, tell the young players where to go, and really present and have a presence in that forward line, and he failed to do that. Dan Butler, who came into the team today, was very, very ordinary. Jack Steele tries his heart out, but you can't be kicking the ball out of play on the full. Brad Hill falling over in the centre bounce. When you win that one, you clear, away you go. Their senior players let them down, and then their young players in a really tight game like that made some dumb decisions. like Mitch Owens. I love the way he plays, but that was a dumb decision to go to Ryan Burns, one out in the goal square. Just take your time. Find somebody else. You've got a whole bunch of players streaming inside 50. One of them's going to drop off, be composed, and they weren't. So they were young and dumb when their senior players didn't hold up and show them the way to go. Essendon, look, I don't think Essendon played really, really great football, but what I liked about Essendon today was that they just didn't give up. They just kept plugging away. They kept plugging away, and it took a little bit of brilliance from Jake Stringer in that last quarter. Hadn't had a big influence for 3 quarters, but what I liked about him was that the goal that he kicked, the man on the mark was right on the 50-metre line. He's about 10 metres in from the boundary. No one had kicked the ball straight all day, but he went back from outside 50 and kicked the ball straight through the middle of the goals. That was what was needed to win this game, was a little bit of class, a little bit of composure, and it was Jake Stringer who provided it in the end. Forget about the second last one he kicked from a dodgy free kick. That last one really made the difference, kicking the ball outside 50. So well done by the Bombers. It was just a case of hanging in there, persisting, not giving up, and that's what they did far better than what the Saints did today.
And the listener that said Dyson Heppel should hang up the boots, that's the benefit of having a past captain and a good leader back there. He ended up with 31 touches, but you see in the last 5 minutes, he was actually directing players. He's pulling people back. He's probably one that keeps guys composed. So that's worth his weight in gold right there.
Essendon winners by 4 points. Our South Australian listeners are off in around a minute. Down to the Bombers song.
To win the premiership flag. Woo! Our boys who play this great old game are always striving for glory and fame. Woo! See the Bombers fly up, up. The other teams that don't fit in. They will try their best, but they can't compete as the Bombers fly up. Woo!
It's a very happy rooms down here. Clinchy will hopefully catch up with a player or two in just a second.
Thank you to Andrew Mays. We'll be back down with you in just a moment. So Essendon, well, they edge over the line by 4 points, 10-11-71 to the Saints, 9-13-67. And the Bombers now turn their attention to Port Adelaide for gather round for Friday night. For the Saints, they have Richmond at the Adelaide Oval on Sunday. So the Bombers with a 4-point win as Jake Stringer kicked the last 2 goals of the match. They came from the Clouds and prevailed by 4 points. For our South Australian listeners, you're off to the Adelaide Oval. We bid you farewell. And for everyone else, we'll continue on for about another half an hour or so. Mitch Turner letting us know that, yes, St Kilda led for 104 minutes of the match. But, Chad, as you made reference, it was that final quarter where it did feel like a tidal wave. I'm not sure what it was that clicked for the Bombers. But, you pointed out Rowan Marshall just got more and more tired as the match went on. And I'm not sure how many games they intend a 35-year-old Todd Goldstein to play, but the combination of he and Sam Draper at least always gave them a contest, didn't they, down the line?
Yeah, the aerial presence, but I think it's the centre bounce is the biggest difference. I mean, 13-6, and like I said, if you're a team that's starting behind the 8 ball, every second centre bounce, it makes a huge impact. But yeah, I thought the game was played in waves. St Kilda looked really good at one point. I thought it's their game to lose. And then, yeah, like you said, Essendon, like you said, Berkey, just stuck at it. They were never too far out of the game to make a run. And that's what happened. They kept themselves within reach. And then the last quarter, the crowd got them involved. I couldn't believe how loud they actually started booing the umpires for a bit. But then they got up and about, and it actually created that energy and that buzz. And then I think that the St Kilda players actually felt that, and then they made, like you said, dumb decisions or a lapse in concentration, whether it's not covering the lead up or giving away a free kick. It's just those lapses that happens when you have a home crowd.
Let's head down to Andrew Mays. The Bombers winners by 4 points.
We might start by asking Mason Redman about that crowd out there. I mean, Chad mentioned the booing and the frustration in the first half, but the second half they came alive. How much do you feel that out there as a player?
Mate, I didn't notice the booing too much, but mate, when the Essendon crowd gets going like they did in that back half there, we're able to trap the ball in our forward half, and I think the fans really rallied behind us and could sense something, and it was lifting.
You're a young leader in this group. Tell us about when things aren't quite being played on your terms, like the start sort of probably 15, 20 minutes. What are your messages out there? What are the messages on the bench and how are they getting conveyed?
Yeah, well, I think take the first 2 goals out of it. That isn't the way we want to play. After that, I felt like we were able to get the footy on our terms a lot. We were able to pressure them. I know in the pre-season we sat back off them a bit, and we knew if we could surge it forward and pressure. I feel like I'm not sure what our tackle numbers were, but I feel like they would have been high. And I think Chad mentioned dumb decisions, that sort of thing. I felt like it was brought about by our heat. We're able to trap them in our forward half, especially the second half of the game. I feel like they didn't score too much, and I'm really proud of the boys and the heat they bring.
Can you feel it out there, the waves of momentum, and do you sort of feel pressure going, we've got to use this momentum while we've got it?
Yeah, I felt like we were pretty lucky in a sense. Like, I felt like they had a big lot of the ascendancy in the first half and kicked a lot of points, and felt like we were going to do that as well in the last quarter. We were playing the ball in our half, but we couldn't kick a goal, but Jakey stepped up and got the job done for us. But I felt like as the game wore on, we were just wearing them down, and as I said before, really proud of the boys. Like, we want to play a front half game, and we probably haven't been able to do that in the first 2 weeks, but I think tonight was hopefully a step forward.
Chad Wingard and Nathan Burke upstairs, gents.
Congratulations, mate. It was a hard-fought game. There was periods of the game there where it looked like both teams were out on their feet with players bent over on their haunches. Was it a particularly gruelling game to play?
Yeah, it almost felt like a wet weather game out there. It was very slippery, and obviously I'm sitting behind the ball, and when I was on the bench, so you can see you're sitting off the play a bit and you can read it a bit, but it was hard to read. It was almost like a pinball in there, like someone would get their hands on it, they'd duff a handball, there was pressure on from both teams. So, to your question, it felt like a wet weather game, and the pressure was definitely hot out there.
Yeah, it looked like it. There was a lot of players sort of uncharacteristically dropping marks and things like that, so it's good to get that information from you. But three-quarter time, we sort of made the point that this is going to be a guts game. This is going to come down to effort rather than one team being tactically or technically far better than the other one. It's going to come down to guts. Was that a bit of the conversation at three-quarter time?
Yeah, Scotty's big on his two main words are effort and process, and as you said, the effort in the last quarter, it was that. But as I said, I feel like from a back's point of view, it felt like more of the process sort of thing, because the mids and the forwards had it trapped in our forward 50, and they were the ones putting the pressure on and really lifting the heat in there. And the pressure was on in terms of when it came back out, but the boys were putting a stack of pressure on, and I felt like as I said earlier, I'll keep saying I'm really proud of the boys up the field because they make our job a lot easier.
Yeah, how you going, mate? Congrats on the win. Just want to talk a little bit about the dynamics between Stringer and Langford. Obviously, two different kind of players. Obviously, I thought Langford started really well, but can you talk about just the potency of those two players and I suppose the damage that they can do in such a short span?
Yeah, I feel like the two things. The one thing that they both bring is that they never go to ground. They always stay in the game, as you could see there. Langers and Jakey, even when they're getting tackled, they've got a strong core. They can stay in the game, and they're both powerful players. And I feel like we've got them playing a role, like both playing roles now that fit their strengths, and they're both, as I said, they're both power players, and we're really playing to that. And they're both great finishers around goal as well, which helps.
Mason Redmond's with us in the Bombers rooms. Mason, Nick Martin, his new role, 44 disposals. I mean, we've seen Darcy Parish sort of rack up over 40, but you see a defender across half-back, and it seemed to be a clear intent to give him the footy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I saw that at half-time. He had 28 at the half. He was on track for 50. There wasn't a clear directive to get it to Marto in a sense, but we really wanted to energise the ball coming out of the back half. I felt like when we play, I'll touch back on when we played him in pre-season, we were very stagnant and sort of played into the Saints' hands, which was a bit due to the conditions. And obviously, other than being a bit dewy out there, it was perfect conditions for footy under the roof at Marvel. So, we really wanted to energise the ball, challenge him with length and width, and Marto obviously reaped the benefits of that. It's awesome seeing him up and going.
And the combination of Todd Goldstein and Sam Draper, I mean, what have you made of it? It feels like they were able to work Rowan Marshall over in that last quarter, and both offer different styles in the way in which they play.
Yeah, exactly. Goldie's a real grinder. He gets the work. His tap work's exceptional as well. Japes is more crash and bash, and I think, Rowe was credit to him, he was on top of us early. I think we kept just kicking it down his throat early, and the boys, the big rucks, made adjustments, and very happy with the way they're going. I don't talk to them too much about their relationship, but it's good to see them both up and firing, and they both bring their strengths to our team.
And Zach Merritt, of his 30 disposals, had 12 in the final term. I mean, we were talking to Jordan Ridley before the game, who joined us, about the type of captain he's trying to be, a lead by example captain. I mean, it was easy to notice him covering the ground so well in that final term.
Oh, Zach's one of those players who can give you 30 every week, but I think the thing that we really love to see from him is the pressure he brings around the ball and around the ground. His work rate to get back and help us defenders, and to help out those mids and get some big tackles on at big moments, as we saw last week. And obviously I was watching from the sidelines last week. It was inspiring for me, and I just wanted to get out there and make him proud this week. And I think he's one of the best at being a two-way mid at the moment.
And Mason, as we let you go, Port Adelaide for gather round at the Adelaide Oval next Friday night. It feels like that's a good test as to where you're standing after back-to-back wins.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be tough taking on Port Adelaide at their home deck in gather round, but as you saw the last couple of weeks, we're trying to bring the heat, and I feel like if we bring the heat and the effort in our process, we'll see whether we might not guarantee us a win, but it'll guarantee us success.
Good on you, Mason. Thanks so much for your time post-match.
All right, cheers, mate.
Mason Redmond joining us from the Bombers' rooms. Winners by 4 points, 10-11-71. St Kilda 9-13-67 in front of 44,412 fans. Matt Clinch alongside Lauren Borden, Chad Wingard and Nathan Burke are your experts. And it's interesting given the fact that we know their record when it comes to finals. It's been 19 years since they've won a final, but trying to find that consistency and a more even spread of contributions, Berkey, in terms of just being reliant on the same stars week in, week out.
Yeah, and that's what they need. Look, I think Ben Mackay coming down back certainly helps them. They needed a big, strong guy down there. And Peter Wright sort of coming into a little bit more consistent form up forward. So Langford, he's your medium guy. You've got Stringer, who's your enigmatic guy. So they're getting all the pieces of the puzzle together, absolutely. So it's just a matter of joining all those bits together in a consistent fashion and playing some good football. I don't think today was good football, but it was probably their pieces of the puzzle were better than the Saints' pieces of the puzzle today.
Couple of clutch moments late in the match, Chad. There was the Jake Stringer moment, which you referenced. Liam Stocker made contact to the arm, and then Stringer kind of pushed him off. And by the time the umpire blew the whistle, Stringer had actually lost his footing. So for a lot of the fans who would have reacted, they thought, well, he just fell over his own feet. But you saw the passage of play beforehand that he was actually holding him as the ball was being thrown in.
Yeah, it's hard with footy. You don't want to get stuck on one play, but you can think about that many opportunities that St Kilda missed at goal, and you can't just blame it on one decision that the umpire made. But he also made the most of his. He kicked the goal after it as well. So I mean, you get a free kick. Yes, it's fortunate, but you got to take that chance when you get it. I don't think as fans you can get too upset with something like that, especially when St Kilda definitely had their opportunity and they missed their shots as well. So
the goal that came after that was the dumb bit of play, which was the ball was bouncing around on the wing here. The Saints had the numbers. Dan Butler comes in and flies and kicks the ball off the ground. Essendon have numbers behind the footy, go bang, bang, Stringer marks it, kicks a goal. If you're in front and you're trying to sort of ice the game a little bit, you don't go kicking the ball off the ground to an outnumbered forward line because the ball goes straight up the other end. So it was, Marshall getting run down from behind, not smart. Butler not smart. Wilkie not smart. Membry not smart.
And Owen's kick.
Yeah, Owen's.
Yep.
The Saints will look at that last quarter. They'll look at the first three quarters and go, first of all, our kicking for goal has cost us again badly, but we made some really dumb decisions in this game which kept Essendon in the game, and Essendon's credit, they capitalised.
Yeah, I think both Brad Scott and Ross Lyon will have a bit of time with the video editor to cut up some highlights for their team to look at on Monday. Because
the cutter-upper,
as Nathan Burke gave the official term before the game. The other one, key moment which just stuck in my mind, was the Xavier Dersma race back to half-back to make the spoil. The Saints are out, new player at a new club trying to make an impact. He didn't actually return to the field after that collision, but the desperation to get back and to make a contest, I'm sure that would win his teammates over.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you want to, like, you're on the first few games, you're definitely on to try and make a statement, not just to your teammates, but obviously your past club and to yourself that you belong in this team. And like you said, hurt his wrist in the meantime, but it cost him, it saved him a goal. And that's not, I wouldn't say his strength is because he's a winger. It's not a one-on-one contest. It wouldn't be his strength, but he got it done. And that's when your time is called and your moment comes. And he capitalised on it at the best of his ability. Unfortunately, I hope his wrist is okay by the looks of it. But yeah, he done his job today. He kicked a goal, played very well. And I think he's settling into that top side for sure.
So in the second half, the Bombers kicked 5 goals 8 to St Kilda's 3 goals 4. As the Bombers came flying home to win a thriller by 4 points under the roof of Docklands. Can their forward line, I mean, you mentioned Kyle Langford, Jake Stringer, Harry Jones came in. He was the late inclusion for Will Setterfield. Looks like Harry Jones's confidence in that first quarter was high. And we spoke with Jordan Ridley before the match about their number 1 draft pick, who they'll be keen to give an opportunity. Pick 10, Nate Caddy, who's a forward at some stage early in the season if opportunities present.
Well, Harry Jones, to me, he's earned himself another game next week, absolutely. He kicked those 2 goals, but there was another 3 or 4 where he just got his hands to it, but just didn't quite grab it. If he had have taken those, he could have been in line for 3 or 4 goals. And I like his liveliness around the play. So certainly Will Setterfield, hopefully he didn't sort of pull himself out for a 1-week injury and expect to come back in next week, because he won't be taking Harry Jones' spot. I think he's definitely earned himself another spot. And again, probably the one that they're missing is they're relying on Stringer to probably be that small forward as well, kick the goals from off the ground and the scraggly bits of play. Who is there really key? I know Gresham's the man, but he just wasn't sighted today. Whether the occasion overawed him or not, playing against his old mob, sometimes you can just try too hard. Might have been a case of that today, but they need Gresham playing that small forward role, and then it looks a bit more complete. But I'd like them to have another small forward in there as well.
Yeah, that forward tackling pressure, trying to lock the ball in. That's been one of the highlights for the first 2 weeks of the Essendon losses that the media has focused on. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Greg's rather scathing. St Kilda did nothing in the last quarter. 4 points and they did not move. Can't believe it. Bunch of muppets. And Pete from Darwin's been in touch. Chad, I made a bad call. I've been watching the Bombers, the former Bombers captain over the last few years. I'm happy to admit I was wrong. I'm now back on Go Bombers. So that was after you messaged in to say maybe it's time Steve Smith and Dyson Heppel, so he didn't miss Steve Smith in the process. It was time they retired. But and what a load of rubbish umpires gave that match to Essendon. More than one dodgy free kick. Well, hopefully we've kind of touched on some of the key moments. The fans were certainly involved in the match, and it felt like there were fluctuations for both teams, but probably there was a period where the Bombers were getting the rub of the green in terms of probably missing out on some of the one-on-one calls, but in the end they got the 4 points. So the Tigers for the Saints at Adelaide for gather round, GWS and the Western Bulldogs. So interesting to sort of see. We know the style of footy in which Ross Lyon wants them to play, are highly defensive, try and restrict your opposition from scoring too much. But, the Tigers have had their challenges to start the season with injuries and personnel. Josh Gibcus unfortunately done for the season, but GWS and the Western Bulldogs in the weeks to follow, it doesn't get much easier.
No, it certainly doesn't. Max King will come back in after that 1 week suspension. Needed him today. Dumb thing he did last week was bumping a play, deserved a week for it. But he'll come back in and just work up that forward line. I was really frustrated that they stopped leading. About 5 minutes into the third quarter, they looked tired, and every time the ball went forward, they were sticking their hand in there like they're hailing a cab. And they're just waiting for the big long one coming in, and they're not tall enough or strong enough to push Mackay and these sort of players and Redmond out of the way, and they just weren't marking the footy. So they've got to get on their bike and start lead. But unfortunately, no one got the message to them. And again, in that last quarter, it was a very much sort of hail a cab type forward line. And so without Max King, Max King coming back in will certainly help them. But, today was not a good effort by their forward line.
Can you play Caminiti? Cooper Sharman might be the one who kind of gets squeezed off. He finished on the bench this afternoon.
I think, Cooper. I like Cooper. I think I'd be playing Cooper in the ruck as their second ruck option and not Mitch Owens. And Mitch Owens looked to me at a moment, he's not having the impact that he had last year because he's a bit of both. He's a bit of a forward, he's a bit of a midfielder, he's a bit of a ruckman. He's a young player in his second season. Settle him down. Give him some continuity in a spot and let him go. And you throw a guy like Cooper Sharman, who's taller than Mitch Owens, can leap higher than Mitch Owens, chuck him in the ruck. Let him get belted around by Todd Goldstein and keep your franchise players free of the bang and let him just go to work in one position.
So we know they don't let the opposition score a lot of points, but also St Kilda pretty low scoring themselves. They won with 85 points against Collingwood, but then round one had 68 and then today 67. How do they not so much improve that, but what do you think a winning score would be for them, Chad, to get to?
I actually will touch on how I think they can improve it. They scored 45 points out of their 67 from turnovers, so they need to find another source. Yep. They need to find whether it's stoppage. I don't think they're setting up to their best capabilities with the stoppages. So I think they're taking too much away from their forwards and they're not looking too dangerous ahead of the ball. So they're giving up a number and I don't think it's helping them score. So yes, turnovers and their defence is number one to try and get them scores, but they need to find another avenue. And in terms of what's a winnable score, I can't see too many games where they can win under 85. I think they need to score 85 and plus. And they're holding their oppositions to, yes, under 70, but you still need to, I think it's their mindset rather than the points. So you see in that last quarter, it was a clear mindset shift. They went from let's defend this game, let's hold this lead, to let's keep attacking, let's run and carry, let's use the width, and let's get it into our forwards. They completely went away from it. Even their kick-ins, they didn't take any risks. And not taking a risk is a risk for them.
It's almost like what they know is stay safe,
and you kick into Goldstein straight down the line. Obviously, you got those guys that can mark the ball. They didn't have those. They don't have Max King. They don't have the guys that can actually compete with the people in the air. So they need to find another way, another source to score more points. That's in my opinion.
Chad Wingard alongside Nathan Burke, Matt Clench and Lauren Borden. Andrew Mays has made his way to the St Kilda rooms. Will head down once they come out of a team meeting. The Bombers winners by 4 points. It feels like they're trying to generate a lot more run off their half-back line with Wanganeen Millera. Riley Bonner as well had a pretty good game, it must be said, this afternoon. 32 disposals in which he had 29 kicks. He had 7 inside 50s and 6 score involvements, but it did feel like they just missed a bit more of that outside run from Liam Henry, who was missing from the previous week. And just some of those players on the outside, Zach Jones has normally been one that can sort of break lines and almost connect between the guys who do the in and under, but provide the connection across half forward to get their opponent out the back.
Yeah, again, I think Riley Bonner started the game really well, and a lot of guys did, and you can just see those guys that did get the ball in their hands. I thought Bradley Hill was probably the only one towards the whole 4 quarters. He actually looked composed, and I wish that they got the ball into his hands more. I thought Wanganeen Millera was composed the whole game, did really well. But yeah, I thought Bonner, I love him, played with him. I just thought sometimes he used his right foot when he didn't need to. He blazed the ball, he kicked the ball, and he kicked it way too hard. There were 3 guys inside forward 50 and then missed an option. So I think a few guys will look at themselves, they could I have my chance again. And but yeah, I thought Bradley Hill, Wanganeen Millera, like I said, keep getting the ball in those guys' hands, good things happen. I think Bradley Hill again was really good.
The votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year, Nathan Burke.
Might be a tad controversial here, but
hello.
No, I'm going to give Martin 3 votes. For 44 touches, you probably deserve 3 for...
How many kick-ins?
Yeah, good point. Did he kick in 13 times?
All right, you're going to take them off.
Oh, so he had 31, 32, so I'll give it to him for that. The 2 and 1 votes, I'm going to base it on the last quarter because I don't think anyone stood out in the first 3 quarters, so I'm going to give Jakey Stringer 2 for his 2 goals in that last quarter. And I'm going to give Zach Merritt 1 for his 12 possessions in that last quarter. So the 1 and 2 just came down to their performances in the last quarter, and Martin for a 4-quarter performance.
3 to Nick Martin, 2 to Jake Stringer, 1 to Zach Merritt from Nathan Burke in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Our next stop is the Adelaide Oval as Port Adelaide take on Melbourne. Todd Marshall celebrates his 100th game. Also a big milestone for Jack Viney as well. So you think of some of the famous father-son combinations, which has been such a lovely part of our game, and we're now seeing the father-daughters as the next generation start to get their opportunity as well. But some of the famous names you would have seen throughout your career, Berkey, with Sergio and Steve Silvani, Ken and Dustin Fletcher, Tim and Job Watson, Gary Ablett Sr. and Jr., and Tony and Tom Liberatore. So Todd and Jack Viney join that list as a pairing. 233 games.
Played against two lots of those father-sons. Played against Tim and... I don't know whether I played against Job, but I played against Gary and Gary.
Played against... Yeah.
Played against both Ablets. What was the other one you mentioned there?
Sergio and Steve Silvani.
No, I didn't play against them.
Didn't play against Sergio. Steve, you would have played against Steve Silvani.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the play against father and son. So I played against Gary Senior and Junior.
There you go.
So it makes me feel old. I'm not sure whether I played against Job. We're going to have to check when Job started.
Yep. So a piece of history for Jack Viney, and I mean, what a heart and soul player he's been for Melbourne over the journey. A former captain of the club. He's now the spiritual leader alongside Max Gawn as the captain. But Chad, we were talking before the match got underway that this is a real statement game for both these sides. Port Adelaide, we think, will be hard to beat at home this season, a bit similar to what we saw with Brisbane last year, although the Lions, all of a sudden, the Gabba fortress has been broken. But for Port Adelaide, they've had two good wins over the West Coast Eagles to start the season and the Tigers last week. So this will give us a better gauge as to how strong they're going to be this year.
Yeah, I think Melbourne, like I said, they've had tougher opponents, and I think they're going to be definitely more seasoned in terms of the preparation for this game. The only thing I can say is if Melbourne won, they could really jumpstart them. I think they need to jump them at the start to have a chance. I think, obviously, with that physicality, like I said before, I think the midfield from the Demons with Petrarca, Clayton Oliver, guys like that, a bit bigger and a little bit more physical than I'd say than a Rosies and a Butters. Obviously, you've got Ollie Wines there as the big unit. But yeah, they're going to have to jump them, and I think it's going to be a great game. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It's very hard to beat Port at the Fortress, and you definitely feel a lot confident as being a Port player when you've got that crowd behind you. They're going to be up and about. It's going to be loud, and it's a perfect night for it, I think, in Adelaide.
How much of the Demons going to miss Stephen May tonight, Berkey? And Jake Lever's been named as fit to play, and Clayton Oliver's out there as well, despite leaving the training track early. So the Demons having lost the opening round clash against Sydney, but a couple of good wins since then.
Well, he's one that they set up off. So he gets himself in a position and all the rest can sort of set themselves off him. So whether Jake Lever can then take up that role, not too sure. It'll be interesting to see who goes back. My tipping is Harrison Petty might be the one to go back. Can do that job really, really well, but then that leaves a hole up forward. So you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So interesting to see how they line up.
No late changes for either side tonight with Jace Burgoyne and Taj Woden, the subs for their respective sides. Mitch has let us know that your last year was 2003, which was Job Watson's first year, but you didn't face each other. Job wasn't picked for the match.
Oh, poor Job. Thanks for the research. I appreciate that.
All over it just to help you to try and remember some of the latter stages of your career. A quick look forward, Berkey, to the games tomorrow. The Western Bulldogs and the West Coast Eagles is our first match at Docklands tomorrow. So the Bulldogs able to relieve a bit of the pressure last week down at Ballarat.
Yeah, need to keep that form rolling. 9-1 in the first quarter last week, playing against another interstate team coming over here to Melbourne, so need to get off to the same sort of start again. So this should be a big win for the Bulldogs.
And the Sydney Swans taking on Richmond from the MCG. No Dylan Grimes and no Dustin Martin for Richmond. So the challenges for Adam Uze in his first season as coach of the Tigers, they've certainly come quick and fast. And the Swans look one of the informed sides to start the season with chance to move down to the MCG and make it four wins to start the season.
Yeah, Swans for me, Chad. I think with Warner and Isaac Heaney patrolling that midfield, I think they've certainly picked up where Mills and Parker had left off. So, the Swans are in great form.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think both games should be beaten pretty convincingly and set them up for the gather round.
An Easter Monday clash, Chad, for you. You get to watch your Hawks in action against the Cats. Tom Hawkins plays his 350th game, so He joins, I guess, the all-time greats. It felt like 300 once upon a time was sort of the barrier in which the great players were able to pass. He now ticks past another Geelong great past 350, and certainly a man you don't want to stand in front of.
Yeah, we were just saying before the broadcast, we're saying how many tall forwards have played that many games. We came up with, was it Buddy Franklin maybe?
Yep.
So, yeah, it's very impressive for a guy to be that physical and play that many games, and he's obviously to be played that consistent. He's an absolute star of the game. Hope he has a bad one. he's a ripper, and then, like I said, he's definitely one of those guys you don't want to get in the way of, especially we call it the big pool that he has in front of him, and they chuck it in the deep end, and he seems to mark it every single time. He's an absolute star, but Geelong have had some absolute stars in recent memory, and I'm hoping our Hawks boys can obviously respond from last week. We've had a good training session today, and I think we're ready to go. And like I said, it's always good games, no matter where we are, where both teams are on the ladder. It's similar to like a showdown or a derby. The atmosphere is rivaled, and it's going to be a big game. So we got a lot to prove.
Absolutely, yeah. It's become a great occasion, the Easter Monday clash, and you're right, regardless of where the two sides sit on the ladder, it's traditionally close. There's swings of momentum. From a Hawthorn point of view, what would you like to see from your side?
We're definitely going to see it, but I think we're going to play the way that we've definitely branded ourselves. We're going to be tough and attacking and try and bring that back. Like I said, I'm not sure what the weather's going to be. I think it might be a late thunderstorm. We're not too sure yet, but it's Melbourne, so you never know. But yeah, we're looking forward to playing like our brand of footy, tough and attacking. I'm hoping our forwards have a bit better day, and we've got to put more score on the board. I think that's a big thing. We only scored 36 points last week, and we didn't set our forwards up for success. We made it very hard for them, chipping the ball around and not going fast enough, not taking the contest, which we saw a bit today, and we say it doesn't work. So I think we'll take the contest a little bit more, run and carry, use our weapons, which is our speed and our youthness, compared to obviously the Cats got their experience and I won't say old legs, but they've got the experience and they're very smart with the way that they play. So we're going to have to try and play our best footy to keep up with them.
Look forward to watching that. Hawthorn and Geelong on Easter Monday. Chad, thanks for coming to spend your Easter Saturday with us. We loved your insights.
Yeah, filthy there's no chocolate Easter eggs, or that's all right. Maybe next time you owe me some.
That's a good feedback. We'll make sure there's some next week. Great to have Chad Wingard alongside. Thanks, Berkey.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks to Andrew Mays. Thanks to Lauren Borden, to Stuart Baker and to Mitch Turner back in the studio. Essendon winners by 4 points. Nick Iron is out there running laps as the sub, so his night is not done yet, getting the last few metres into the legs for the afternoon. But the Bombers 10-11-71 defeating St Kilda 9-13-67 in front of 44,412 fans. It was St Kilda who led by 9 points at quarter time, by 11 points at half time, by 7 points at three-quarter time. But the Bombers came charging home. They kicked the last 2 goals of the match. They kicked 2 goals, 6 in the final term to St Kilda's 1 goal to record their second win of the season. The Bombers have now turned their attention to Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval on Friday night. We take you now to the Adelaide Oval. It's Port Adelaide and Melbourne as round 3 of the AFL continues. Aaron Bryant's behind the mic with Neil Cross, Chelsea Randall, Dean Brogan and Josh Money. On behalf of the ABC Sport team, enjoy the rest of your night. We'll chat to you tomorrow.